The Legacy of the Saiyans. What if Goku and Vegeta were sent to Earth together? Vegeta and Goku, two eternal rivals, joined through a devastating battle for Earth. But what if their fates were changed? What if their meeting came much sooner? Kakarot's father Bardock arrives back on planet Vegeta, worried that Frieza's fear for the Super Saiyan may mean the end of the Saiyan race. Now he comes to King Vegeta with a warning, hoping he'll allow his children, Raditz and Kakarot, to go to Earth alongside the prince. But before we begin, a thank you to the sponsor of the video. I wonder what types of games a prince plays on a voyage to Earth. Well, I know one free game that he should definitely be playing. Check out Raid Shadow Legends. With great graphics, awesome champions, and a rewarding PvP scene, Raid Shadow Legends is the game to be playing. There's over 700 champions to collect, belonging to 15 factions, tackling 12 intense dungeons. Who will you bring to your next battle? And if you're looking to get competitive, you can take on Classic, Tag Team, and even the new Live Arena PvP. With regular updates, there's always new stuff to enjoy. There's nothing better than summoning a great new character. My personal favorite champion so far is Urtikata. Her design is crazy. As a new player, you can obtain the Stag Knight, an epic new champion, and a whole new skin. Just use the promo code JTSkin before October 7th, but don't worry, if you already play the game, you can still get the Stag Knight and the skin through an in-game event. And don't forget to check out the recently added Hydro Clash, where your clan and 4 others compete to see who can hurt the boss the most. So what are you waiting for? Use my link or scan the promo code to get a free starter pack with some epic rewards. Watch out for the name SmugStick out there, and I'll see you on the battlefield. Thank you to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. King Vegeta sits on his throne, alone, thinking about the future of his planet under Frieza's rule. He was worried. Frieza told him to call down all the Saiyans back to planet Vegeta. Clearly there was some special mission that would require them all. He wasn't thinking about confronting Lord Beerus, was he? No way. Even Frieza knew better than that. Suddenly, someone burst through the chamber door. King Vegeta asked the meaning of this, as he watched a low-class Saiyan push through his guards in an explosion of power. This Saiyan kept saying that he needed to warn the king. They needed to prepare. The king was annoyed, but amused. He allowed the Saiyan to speak. He declared himself as Bardock, and he realized that Frieza's call for the Saiyans could mean trouble. Bardock suspected that the Saiyans were to be wiped out. The king laughed. If it was that, then he would surely already know. Nothing like that could get over his head. Bardock went on to explain that Guinea and himself devised a plan to send away their youngest child. The king found this traitorous and got his guards to take away Bardock to the dungeon until he calmed down. His words stuck in King Vegeta's head. What if he was right? Obviously, as the king, he couldn't leave. He had to lead his people and not show weakness. But if they were all to die, what would happen to the Saiyan race? Later that night, King Vegeta visited Bardock in the dungeon. Bardock didn't want to speak to him, so the king did most of the talking. King Vegeta didn't think that this was serious, but it did worry him, so he made a deal. As long as he doesn't tell any other Saiyan until they figure out what's going on, then he would allow his son to be sent away to their remote planet, along with Prince Vegeta. He'll even provide the pods and the cloaking technology, so they wouldn't be spotted by Frieza. Bardock was surprised. Why would the king want to send his son along too? The king said that if something were to happen to them, then the prince would have to continue the Saiyan race. He will call down Prince Vegeta from his off-world mission. He realizes that if his son somehow survives while Frieza's around, he will be turned into a lackey, a slave for the Emperor. If something did happen to them, it would be up to Vegeta to avenge them. A low-class Saiyan kid wasn't something he was happy with, but it was Bardock's plan after all, and his warning at least deserved that as compensation. Bardock nodded slowly. He had one more thing to ask. His eldest son was also stationed away with the prince. Could he come along? The king scoffed. Bardock was left to sit alone until the following night, when he, Guinea, and the king snuck at night to the forest area, where the king's guard had brought a pair of pots. But Guinea and Bardock's face went pale when they saw that there were only 2, and that Prince Vegeta was the only one there. The prince thought that this was ridiculous, and he knew he would be back soon. He hated having to go with this low-class Saiyan, but at least he knew Raditz. If his brother was anything like him, he would at least be fun to mess with. The king instructed the prince to keep a low profile until they came to get them. They didn't want Frieza picking up on a deserted Saiyan. Gine slowly reached for the king as he took Kakarot and placed him in the pod. He closed the hatch, and the prince got in his. Gine began to pull on the king's robes, asking what about Raditz. The king didn't respond. He turned to look at them, and finally said that they had only earned one child. If Raditz was smart, then he would stay where he is and survive. Vegeta doesn't need two low-class rats slowing him down. Gine pounded on the king's chest armor, demanding Raditz be saved as well. Bardock yelled at him, but the king moved his arm back to press the button on the pod. Kakarot and Vegeta blasted away, with Gine yelling for her son. The king said they should be thankful he even allowed him to go. Prince Vegeta could see a flash of light as a battle seemingly began below. He didn't care. He just wanted to get this over with and return home. Thus, the children of the monstrous Saiyan race were sent across the galaxy to Earth on a mission to survive. Their pods fell from the sky and into the greatest adventure of all time. The pods landed in a mountain area full of trees and life. Loads of strange creatures neither Vegeta nor Kakarot had ever seen before. Vegeta looked for a scouter to use and research the area, but realized that he didn't have one. His father must have taken it so that Frieza wouldn't be alerted. The cries of Kakarot kept him from thinking. He dragged the kid by his arm and put him back in the pod. At least his cries were drowned out now. Vegeta looked around and found a small cave. They would need shelter for sure. Just as he was going to pick up Kakarot's pod and take it to the cave, he heard the cracking of leaves. Instinctively, he shot a blast to where the sound came from. The leaves ruffled in the air as they burned, but there was nothing there. Vegeta must have been imagining things. But the prince jumped back as he turned around, seeing a smiling old man. Vegeta let Kakarot's pod fly up, only for the old man to catch it with one hand. Vegeta got on guard instantly. His father told him to lay low as to not alert Frieza, but he did need to defend himself. But the old man spoke softly.
Oh, no need to worry, kiddo. I'm not here to hurt you. I heard some crying and came here to investigate is all.
A monkey tail dropped on Gohan's face. It seemed like the pod opened when Vegeta let it go, and now Kakarot hung overhead.
Oh, another one. You must have been the one crying. A tail. Very interesting children, aren't you? Where are your parents?
Vegeta kept his guard up, telling the old man to let go of the brat. Let him go? Vegeta found himself confused. He didn't care about Kakarot. When did he even say that? Gohan took a step forward while he let Kakarot down, but Vegeta jumped to punch Gohan. To his surprise, Gohan dodged the hit in a flash. Vegeta was in utter disbelief. How did he predict that move?
You're strong, but there is so much to learn about martial arts. You could beat me physically, but I have the knowledge you don't.
Vegeta was getting angry, and he was going to attack again, but his and Kakarot's stomach growled.
Seems like you both could use some dinner. Come, I'll feed you.
Vegeta wanted to protest, but it was true. He was very hungry. This old man could live, for now. But to Vegeta's surprise, Gohan's food is really good. He loved every bite he took, and apparently so did Kakarot. He was also content in knowing that he didn't have to sleep on the cave. He didn't trust anything this earthling said just yet though. It wasn't until one day when Gohan watched Vegeta fight alone outside.
You've got good moves. What do you want, old man? I just want to know about your parents. You never answered me.
It's none of your business, Gohan sighed. How did you do it?
Do what?
Know where I was going to attack. Know where we were.
I see nothing gets by you, Vegeta. But you're right. I actually didn't hear Kakarot's crying at first. Instead, I felt a powerful ki presence nearby. Your ki presence.
Ki presence?
Ki is the essence of all living creatures. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds nature together. You have always felt it, but never realized it. Close your eyes.
Is this one of your tricks, Earthling? You know I can kill you, right?
Oh, I am well aware, but this will be an important tool if you plan to defeat that man you wish to take down.
How did you?
Trust me, Vegeta.
Vegeta finally accepted, closing his eyes and sitting on the grass. Gohan continued, telling him to feel everything around him. The trees, Kakarot, even the tiger that's been stalking them. Vegeta found it difficult at first, but it was as if a shock of electricity struck him, because he could virtually see everything. Gohan explained that with enough time he would be able to tell just how powerful a foe is. Vegeta recognized this feeling as the same feeling he got when using his Gallic gun. So, this was where he was drawing that power from. From then on, Vegeta began to unknowingly trust Gohan even more. Despite being much weaker than himself, this old geezer had a wealth of knowledge that he was going to use for his own advantage. Vegeta largely ignored Kakarot, but noticed that he was picking up on a lot of things as well, getting stronger, but he would never catch up to him. The gap between the low-class Saiyan and the elite was far too great, and Vegeta knew it. Gohan tried to take care of them both, but Kakarot was the only receptive one. Vegeta only cared about him when it came to martial arts and food. That was until one fateful day. Gohan took Kakarot out late to gather some fruits, while Vegeta trained alone, but they were taking way too long. Vegeta felt something. Vegeta decided to take a peek outside, just for a second. It is then when realization struck him. It was a full moon. Is that why his father had picked this planet? Vegeta put on a cloak to avoid looking at the full moon, and he began to rush towards the forest, where Kakarot and Gohan had gone to. Finally, he reached the site of a decimated forest and the raging Ozaru Kakarot in the center. Gohan was below, struggling to get him to calm down, but Kakarot simply slaps Gohan away, with the old man hitting a tree. Vegeta's eyes widened, jumping forward as his cloak came off. While jumping in the mid-air, he slowly transformed. He knew this was the only way to stop Kakarot. He would have to teach him to control this form later on, wasting his valuable time. He hated that low-class runt. Vegeta just hoped that both of them transforming wouldn't destroy the planet, or worse, alert Frieza. Ozaru Vegeta finished the transformation and threw a punch against the back of Kakarot's head. This instantly knocked out Kakarot, with the Ozaru dropping down below. Vegeta made sure to hold back, as to not kill him. Good. Kakarot was okay. But Gohan! The Ozaru turned to find the old man lying under a tree, his giant hand picking him up. Slowly, Gohan opened his eyes and smiled at Vegeta, asking him how he found them so quickly. Vegeta's eyes widened. He had sensed Kakarot and Gohan's ki, way before even hearing the roars. That's what caused him to look for them in the first place. Gohan was very proud and would eventually recover. It seemed like Vegeta had gotten there just in time. Time passed, and although Vegeta still maintained his hostile attitude and his mission to destroy Frieza, he also slowly began to open up. He did teach Kakarot how to control Ozaru. Having him rampage again would be too much of a hassle to clean up after all. He also told him about why they were there, about their parents. Kakarot insisted that they would return to pick them up someday, but Vegeta never held on to hope. He figured that his father must have been right, and Frieza really did wipe out the race. During training, Gohan would call Kakarot his brother, which infuriated Vegeta. Even Kakarot himself called him Big Brother a few times, which Vegeta completely rejected. He would yell at this low-class trash that he's not his brother, that he didn't even consider his real brother his brother. He would fly away in anger. Kakarot would be saddened by this, but Gohan was always there to cheer him up and reminded him that Vegeta didn't really mean it. Kakarot would constantly challenge Vegeta to battles or contests, but Vegeta would always win. Racing, hunting, hide and seek, it didn't matter. Vegeta was always ahead of him. However, this didn't discourage Kakarot. On the contrary, it motivated him even more. He learned to sense ki and fly, just so he would attempt to keep up with the prince. Vegeta found it amusing. Kakarot wasn't a crybaby or a quitter like his brother Raditz. A year prior to Bulma's arrival, Vegeta decides that he can no longer stay in the mountains. He has gone flying around Earth before, but it was always when he was racing against Kakarot. He wanted to take his time, experience everything this world has to offer, before he maybe takes her over. It was clear to him now that this planet wasn't as powerless or as insignificant as he once thought. Perhaps there was someone or something that could make him strong enough to face Frieza. Gohan and Kakarot bid him farewell, but not before Kakarot promises Vegeta that he'll be a lot stronger next time they meet. Vegeta scoffs and flies away, his mind filled with thoughts of revenge against Frieza for wounding his Saiyan pride. Through his travels, Vegeta eventually encounters the Pilaf gang in a castle he found in the middle of the desert. He was tired, so he decided to rest there for the night. Pilaf nearly had a heart attack when he goes into his room and finds the monkey boy sleeping in his bed. Pilaf summons Mai and Shu to take his intruder out, but Vegeta nearly kills them. He decides not to, after they reveal why they are there. The Dragon Balls, 7 magic orbs that can grant any wish. This was Vegeta's ticket to defeating Frieza. He would wish for immortality. He would let them live as long as they helped him with the Dragon Balls. After all, they had all sorts of radars back in their home base. Unbeknownst to him, Kakarot himself had started his own adventure with a new group of allies. This Goku is far stronger than the one we know, thanks to some training with Vegeta. He manages to collect the Dragon Ball sooner than expected and doesn't need to call Roshi to put out the fire on Mount Frypan. He just used the Gallic gun. Even so, Roshi takes great interest in the powerful kid. While he is kind-hearted, he's still prideful, as a Saiyan and has some brutal techniques. He has to watch himself to make sure he doesn't go overboard. Over time, he becomes a little cocky in his abilities and believes he can eventually take down Vegeta in a sparring match. But much like in the original story, the Pilaf gang attacks, capturing Goku and the rest. One thing Vegeta had neglected to do was train Goku's tail, and he was caught by surprise, as the Pilaf gang were instructed by Vegeta himself. They would take them to Pilaf's castle, or should I say Vegeta's castle? As the Dragon team is brought forth to the throne room, Goku's eyes widen as the chair turns to reveal Vegeta. It had been over a year since he left Gohan's house, so this is where he ended up. Kakarot called out to his brother, asking what he was doing. Once again, Vegeta yelled to not call him that. He was simply doing what he was born to do, rule. He would take the Dragon Balls and wish for immortality and defeat Frieza. Bulma barked that the Dragon Balls were theirs, and that she had a wish. Vegeta was surprised that the woman had the nerve to yell at him, but he smirked, asking what she would wish for. She simply blushed as Vegeta got close to her. He was only a year older than her, but he was very handsome. Bulma could only mumble nervously, but Vegeta backed away and told her to shut up. Yamcha said to never talk to her like that again, to which Vegeta cackled, asking if he was her boyfriend. Goku argued that he shouldn't let the anger dictate his actions. They were both there to defeat Frieza, but immortality is not the way to do it. That just sounds like cheating. Only their new power would destroy him. Together, this struck something in Vegeta. Yeah, those were Gohan's teachings, alright. He was also glad to see how much of a prideful Saiyan Kakarot was, and to know that he was eager to avenge their people. But regardless, this would be the only way. In a desperate move, Kakarot challenges Vegeta to a battle. The prince commanded Pilaf to uncuff his brother. Smirking, he was excited to see how much he'd grown. Vegeta around this time had a power level of 10,000 to 12,000, thousands of times stronger than Goku in the original story. But that also means that the small amount of teaching and training that Vegeta provided, whether intentional or not, helped Goku power up exponentially. He can't catch up to him just yet, but his power level is an impressive 2,000. What Vegeta learned the most during his training with Gohan was ki sensing, martial arts, and spirituality, and he understood that numbers were not everything. Kakarot spent a lot of time with Gohan. He couldn't underestimate him. Thus, the two brothers fought it out. He was merely toying with Kakarot. The younger Saiyan saw no option but to look at the full moon. Vegeta smirked, and he watched the transformation. He did the same, and the two Ozarus threw punches, each hit causing the entire desert to shake. The giant apes used many martial arts techniques. Mouth beams were fired in all directions, and Kakarot even bit Vegeta's tail. It was an awesome sight to behold. But both the Pilaf gang and the Dragon team knew they needed to do something. Pilaf took this chance to summon the dragon, but Bulma was ahead of the game. Yamcha told Oolong and Puar to take down the Ozaru by cutting his tail, while Bulma stopped Pilaf. Before the Emperor could say anything, Bulma jumped into making her wish for a perfect boyfriend. Shenron's eyes sparkled, while Puar and Oolong cut the monkey's tail off. The two Saiyans had their battle interrupted and were both very upset. Bulma thought that the dragon was a sham, since she did not see any boyfriend around. Her eyes squinted while she glanced at Vegeta getting up after the de-transformation, but her vision was covered by something else, Yamcha's smiling grin waving at her. Of course nothing happened. He was already there, right? Bulma laughed, sighed, and said that he was right. Though she looked back at Vegeta and Goku one more time, making sure they were okay. Goku and Vegeta looked at each other, with the younger Saiyan laughing. Vegeta turned his head and scoffed, getting up to rush away. But Bulma yelled at him that he was a bad guy and they needed to stop him. Goku couldn't let him get away. Vegeta raised an eyebrow at Bulma. Goku stepped in the way, finally explaining what was going on. Vegeta was his brother, and he was trying to find a way to defeat a different bad guy. He then turned to Vegeta with a small smile. He said that Vegeta had finally realized that wishing for immortality wasn't the way to go about it, right Vegeta? The prideful Saiyan prince cracked his knuckles and nodded. He hated to admit it, but he almost gave up the only thing he had left, his Saiyan pride, in order to defeat Frieza. He had to find another way. Goku noticed that this was the first time that Vegeta ignored the brother comment. He didn't draw attention to it, but it warmed his heart. Vegeta said that he had to go, but that Kakarot had impressed him in the end. He told Goku to keep up his training, because next time he wants a real challenge, even if it's from this low-class scum. Vegeta walked past Mai, Shu, and the Pilaf gang. They were terrified that they would be killed, but he simply told them to find him a new challenge. Finding those Dragon Balls was way too easy. He was also feeling rather peckish too. It'd be in their best interest to find him a suitable meal. The trio followed after Vegeta. They knew they were his lackeys now, and time passed. Goku trained with Master Roshi, learning a lot more about martial arts. He was extremely powerful, so he won most of the tournament very easily. Knowing that he would breeze through it, Master Roshi contacted not only Gohan for help, but Vegeta as well. The prince agreed to participate only because he sought strong warriors. Thus, with a bunny mask and a robe, Vegeta participated as the Masked Man. Though Roshi and Krillin made it far, it was obvious that the final match would be between the Masked Man and Goku. It was spectacular, and Goku was none the wiser. Though he recognized some of the techniques, he couldn't quite put his finger on it. In the end, the Masked Man defeated Goku before disappearing into the night. Goku never found out who he was. No one there was strong enough to teach him anything useful, though that Roshi fellow did give him some advice, that he shouldn't remain vengeful, and instead seek peace. This was the way to defeat Frieza and get stronger. That old man was a fool, and he could have killed him easily, but that would just make Gohan upset. On another note, he recognized Goku was growing more and more. His power level hadn't increased much, but his techniques were unique and impressive. It didn't matter, he didn't care. The Masked Man returned to a flying fortress anchored on the island's parking lot. There, he sat on a throne with the Pilaf gang kneeling before him, and behind them, a cloaked figure walked forward, pushing away the trio. The man's deep voice echoed as he demanded progress in the search for the Dragon Balls. Vegeta shushed the tall man, standing up and creating a key ball to pull to his face. The hooded man took a step back, terrified. Vegeta said that he would get his wish soon enough, and maybe then he'll be a real challenge. Vegeta smirked, saying that there was only one true king here. Right, quote-unquote, Demon King Piccolo?
Hey kids, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hello everyone, I hope you're enjoying the video thus far. If you like this sort of content and want to see more and support the channel, then consider becoming a Patreon. There, you can help support the channel through various tiers while getting some perks of your own. As a Patreon, you will help get the videos out faster, fun thumbnail art, editing, and even writing for videos. Overall, this is the best way we can ensure to keep providing you guys with awesome content. Plus, you get some neat perks like a bonus mini podcast, early access to videos such as this one, and more. So be sure to go to patreon.com/SmugStick and consider supporting the channel. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
Back to our show.
The hooded figure took down his cloak, revealing the Namekian. A few months ago, the Pilaf gang had finally found a new challenge for Vegeta, the Demon King Piccolo. He was a very dangerous threat, and had begun to attack villages already, but Vegeta showed him his place, defeating him very easily. King Piccolo damned the world, saying that if he had his younger body, then he was sure he would win. Vegeta knew he was bluffing, but seeing a Namekian here was very interesting. He must have been the one to create the Dragon Balls. With the promise of a better match, Vegeta used his resources to start finding the Dragon Balls. He found out that another power, the Red Ribbon Army, was also collecting them. He made quick work of everyone, going through Muscle Tower to collect one, killing Colonel Silver for another, and stopping Blue in his tracks. The hunt wasn't over yet, and Goku also wanted one Dragon Ball, the 4-star ball, to return it to Grandpa Gohan. That's when Vegeta and Goku met at the lands of Korin, where they were confronted by mercenary Tao Pai Pai. The two Saiyans made quick work of the assassin, saving Upa and Bora in the process. It had been a long time since the two had been together on the same side. The two also went up Korin Tower. Goku had a little more trouble, but not that much. When they made it up top, Vegeta realized that it was harder for him to catch Korin than it was for Goku. Perhaps this Earthling training that he was getting was actually something special, because even though he had incredible speed, Master Korin had some tricks up his sleeve. Vegeta already knew that the water wasn't divine or anything. It was really training for Goku and himself. Goku asked what exactly Vegeta wanted the Dragon Balls for, and Vegeta said that it was just some stupid challenge he wanted to do. This guy, the Demon King Piccolo, wanted to have eternal youth. Maybe he'd be a real challenge then. Korin's eyes widened and he yelled at Vegeta that he shouldn't do this, that King Piccolo was a monster. Vegeta laughed loudly, explaining that if Piccolo was a monster, then Vegeta is the devil himself. He then rushed away with the final Dragon Ball. Perplexed, Korin yelled at Goku that he needed to do something. He needed to take that power pole and head to Kami's lookout. Something horrible was about to happen. Goku trusted Vegeta, but he listened to Korin just in case, and thus he made it all the way to Kami's lookout, facing Popo and finishing the bell test much faster than usual. Popo was extremely impressed, and when Kami showed up, he already knew everything of what was going on. They needed to do something quickly, or the whole world may end. Goku's eyes widened when he realized that Vegeta may be trying to take over the world. Had he misread his brother? Had he really freed some monster? He was a proud Saiyan, but his home was Earth, and he was going to protect expected. Kami said that Piccolo was dangerous, but that Vegeta may be even more so. Their training would begin. Little by little, Goku was convinced that his brother was a problem. Goku's training is a complete game changer. He is used to being under pressure, and his mental fortitude is stronger than regular Goku. He manages to stay in the chamber for months, though a year is still out of his reach. He was terrified that Vegeta could actually do something horrible. He needed to stop him. Vegeta finished collecting the Dragon Balls, with the Demon King demanding that he be turned young again. Vegeta gathered the balls together, and Piccolo summoned the dragon. He was turned back into a young Namekian, his power surging and overflowing. Vegeta still wasn't impressed. But the Demon King declared that this world was already his, spitting out various eggs and creatures to battle the Saiyan. No way he could win, right? Piccolo's booming voice terrified the Pilaf gang, but it was a sudden flash of light that landed in front of them that really made them jump. It was Kakarot. Vegeta's eyes squinted. What was he doing here? Goku explained that he spent the last few months training with Kami since the last time they saw each other. He knew what he was up to, and he would need to be stopped. This Demon King could bring ruin to the entire world. Vegeta burst out laughing. He told Kakarot to sense his ki. He was nothing compared to them. Goku closed his eyes. He was right. He was already massively stronger than Kami. This Demon King was nothing. Even so, Vegeta freeing this guy meant that he was going down a dark path. He would stop at nothing to defeat Frieza. Clearly, even if it meant endangering the planet. Goku yelled at Vegeta that Kami was right. The greatest threat to Earth was Vegeta. The prince gritted his teeth. He was insulted. How dare this low-class trash forget his place? He smirked, telling Piccolo to go ahead and send the whole army and himself against Kakarot. This would be a good warm-up before their match. The Demon King chuckled, not realizing that he was still being used as a pawn. Vegeta knew that the Demon King could not stand a chance against Goku, but he could at least show him a good time. Vegeta wanted to see just how far Kakarot's training had brought him. Goku did not hesitate, extending out his arms and focusing his ki for a great Gallic gun. He corrected himself. Kamehameha. The blast consumed the army, not leaving a single trace behind. King Piccolo's eyes widened as he shook in fear. Kakarot took slow steps towards him. Vegeta raised his voice, saying that the Demon King had greatly disappointed him, but he at least served to prove just exactly what side Kakarot landed on. Piccolo and Kakarot stopped in their tracks, while Vegeta walked to them with a smirk. He said that Kakarot had already impressed them with his blast. His training had served him well. He even looked older, despite the fact that it had only been a few months. He had great potential and a talent for battle, something that the prince didn't see in the other Elite Saiyans. Soon he could be a great adversary, but not now. Goku and Piccolo rushed towards each other, blasting and fighting, but Goku was so above Piccolo that his best attacks severely wounded the alien. Goku's clothes were ripped, but he was fine. King Piccolo fell to his knees, panting. Vegeta faced Goku, but blasted at Piccolo without even looking back. The Demon King screamed in pain as he was pierced. After all, he had no use for a Demon King that can't move. With the last of his breath, promised that he will return and his reincarnation will kill Vegeta. Vegeta lifted an eyebrow, turning to face Piccolo while he spat out an egg. Piccolo died, but not before getting a glimpse of his nightmare. Vegeta jumping and catching Piccolo's egg. Piccolo passed away, while Vegeta looked at the egg pensively. Kakarot walked slowly to Vegeta, asking him to put the egg down. Vegeta laughed lightly, saying that he was quite impressed by Kakarot. He could tell just from his ki spikes that he was above his older brother. Perhaps he was even getting close to Nappa. Goku didn't know what he was talking about. He hadn't heard anything about his older brother nor Nappa in many years, ever since Vegeta told him their story. To Goku's own surprise, Vegeta did put the egg down, leaving his hand on it. A woof of air lifted behind the two Saiyans. Kami. He quickly rushed to Vegeta, slapping his hand away from the egg. Vegeta's eyes widened. Another Namekian. He squinted, whispering to himself about it. He must be the creator of the Dragon Balls. This was Kakarot's teacher? Kami stared down Vegeta. He knew he couldn't stand up against him, but at the very least, he could stop him from unleashing a second Piccolo. Kami was going to attack the egg, but Vegeta caught his hand, his eyes burning with anger. Kami instinctively took a step back. Vegeta told him that he isn't going to touch the egg. Goku was surprised. Was he changing? Was Kami wrong? Kami argued that Vegeta was the greatest threat. Vegeta tilted his head as he looked at Kami. The Saiyan Prince says that he knows that already, and that he will raise him to be the greatest adversary. He then turned to Kakarot, saying that if he wants to defend Earth, then he better train hard. Kami was not going to allow this to happen. He ordered Goku to help him battle Vegeta. Goku was hesitant, but he did as told. Vegeta smiled. He was excited to see what Kakarot had left to show him. The Saiyan kid rushed in, with Vegeta blocking the attack and creating a shockwave across the plane. Vegeta was incredibly surprised. How exactly did he get so strong? Did the Namekian have a secret? Goku clocked Vegeta in the face a couple of times, actually drawing blood from the Saiyan prince. Vegeta's eyes brightened up, and he exploded his ki. Both Kami and the egg were pushed out. Kakarot managed to keep himself up. He wasn't about to give up. The battle continued for a while, with Kami absolutely terrified by the power he saw. This was the power of the Saiyans? The Earth really was doomed. But Goku didn't last much longer. He was brought down on his back. Weak, out of ki, Vegeta pointed a ki ball at his face. Kami yelled out a sorrowful no, but Vegeta made the ball disappear. Extending his hand out with a slight smile, Goku was helped up, looking at the ground. Even after all his hard work in the chamber, he still couldn't catch up to his brother. In one of the only acts of warmth that Kakarot would see in his life, Vegeta pushed Goku's chin up. He told him that he was very impressed. He got so powerful in such a short amount of time. He wouldn't stop looking for ways to get powerful on Earth, and neither should Kakarot. Vegeta turned to look at the egg. It was cracking. It would be born soon. He dusted it off and held it. Kami yelled that he would doom the world. Vegeta simply shot a blast past Kami's head as a warning. Vegeta explained that he could take over the world anytime he wanted, so he should be grateful he hasn't already. Vegeta blitzed away. Kami nearly broke his staff in half with how tightly he held it. Goku took slow steps towards him, saying he was sorry to have lost, that next time he was sure to win, but that he believed his brother was changing. Vegeta didn't mean what he said. When he was a kid, he saw Vegeta kill for much less. Not only had he not killed Kakarot, but actually taken someone he knows will be weaker than him in order to train him. This was something very out of character for Vegeta. Kami ignored what he said, simply stating that his training would be tougher than ever now. And thus, a new chapter in their story began. Vegeta would go on to raise Piccolo for a few years alongside the Pilaf gang, while Pilaf, Shu, and Mai would provide care and support for the child. Vegeta would focus solely on fighting and training Piccolo. He subjected him to brutal training on a daily basis, with a similar regiment that Vegeta himself followed when he was still living with his father at the royal palace. Vegeta did know a little bit about the Namekians, so he wasn't surprised to see him grow taller than himself in just 3 years. Goku continued to train at the lookout, still unsure of what Vegeta will mean for Earth, but hopeful nonetheless. Kakarot's training to defeat his brother continues. Next, Dragon Ball What If? Vegeta recalls the girl that Goku hung out with for a long time. Bulma, was it? He met her at the castle and at the tournament. He knew from Goku that she was the daughter of Dr. Briefs from Capsule Corp. Vegeta knew if he wanted to stay ahead of Kakarot as well as train Piccolo, he would need some help. One day, Vegeta and Piccolo arrived with cloaks on at Capsule Corp. It nearly gave Bulma a heart attack. She hadn't seen Vegeta in many years. He was even more handsome, though she would never admit it, especially with Piccolo's scary face nearby. She said that Kakarot wasn't around, and that she knew they were trouble. Vegeta was actually a little awkward, which confused Piccolo. He had never seen him like this. Vegeta yelled at the Earthling woman that she shouldn't speak to him that way. He had come to request help. He needed a place to train, one that would make him powerful in a short amount of time. He needed to train Piccolo and keep ahead of Kakarot. She asked why she should help, and Vegeta took a step closer to her chest. She blushed, but he said that he would spare her life if she did. Though there was some arguing, Bulma ended up agreeing to help. She needed Vegeta's old Saiyan pod to create it, but she and her father made a gravity chamber. Vegeta raised Piccolo to be a strong warrior, and a Namekian with the pride of a Saiyan. He wasn't kind, but the kid was strong, and he could definitely handle Vegeta's hellish training. Piccolo was a vengeful soul, his thoughts filled with revenge towards Vegeta. Piccolo swore to kill him for having humiliated him in his previous life, but the prince found it amusing. In fact, he encouraged Piccolo to continue hating him. His drive for revenge would serve as fuel for his training. He wanted Piccolo Jr. to be his greatest challenge yet. He wanted Piccolo to be strong enough to kill him. This intense training and motivation pushed Piccolo to be much stronger than he would otherwise be. It was only a matter of time before he was powerful enough to defeat Kakarot, Vegeta thought to himself. Unbeknownst to Vegeta, Piccolo was having a conflict deep within. Kami had visited him a few times in secret. They hated each other, but Kami offered to help him train alongside Kakarot. Despite his intense loathing for his evil half, he knew that Vegeta was a greater threat than he would ever be, and they needed to work together to stop him. Piccolo was smart though, and he played both sides. He would train with Vegeta in the gravity chamber, and then train with Goku in the room room of spirit and time in secret. He actually liked Kakarot somewhat, though they never trusted each other. His kind-hearted nature was a refreshing change from Vegeta's ruthless and cold demeanor. Slowly, Piccolo started to soften up a little, thanks to Goku. His demeanor was changing, but it caused great turmoil in his heart. Should he continue to be ruthless and brutal like his master Vegeta? Or should he be gentle, yet unwavering like Goku? Kami could sense the storm brewing in Piccolo's heart. He never thought the spawn of true evil could change, but he was, and right in front of his eyes. This even made Kami think about what Vegeta could be thinking. If Goku was right, could he change as well? Kami looked on at Piccolo's training, thinking to himself how strange it is that after all this time spent hating each other, the two halves of the same person are working together to face a new threat. Maybe, just maybe, this could mean they could become one again. No, that's crazy. It's far too soon. But, for the first time in a while, Kami was hopeful, just like his pupil Goku. With such powerful training partners, Goku and Piccolo's strength rose to new heights. Vegeta was filled with anticipation. He could sense their growing ki with each passing day. Vegeta grinned as his Saiyan blood rushed with excitement. Finally, he would have the battle he was looking for. One day, Piccolo left Vegeta's flying fortress and never returned. The Pilaf gang were saddened, but Vegeta didn't seem to care. Rather, he wondered if it meant that their battle would be drawing soon. Sure enough, a few weeks later, Vegeta received a rude awakening when Piccolo reappeared abruptly, stopping the flying fortress with his bare hands. Vegeta got out and asked why he had come crawling back, but it was Piccolo the one who laughed, saying that he was finally ready to take his revenge. However, rather than fighting here in the skies, he had a more suitable stage in mind, the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. Once he kills him in front of the whole world, Piccolo will begin his subjugation of the planet. Vegeta chuckles as he tells him he'll be looking forward to it. The tournament commences tomorrow, and he expects to see him there. Goku and Vegeta arrive at the tournament. Piccolo had also gone to Kami's lookout to personally challenge Kakarot. While Piccolo plans to kill Vegeta, he also wants to face Kakarot in an honorable combat to see who has improved the most. If they can't defeat him, then he'll start his reign of terror on Earth. The pair enter the tournament, along with Krillin and Yamcha. They were eager to prove themselves after losing the previous world tournament. Bulma shows up as well to cheer them on, but realizes that Vegeta is there and openly flirts with him. She had broken up with Yamcha a while back. Vegeta actually gets flustered at this, which greatly pleases her, but infuriates Yamcha. Goku just looks on in confusion. During the preliminaries, the Z Fighters and Piccolo breeze through the competition, but there is a lone fighter that catches Vegeta's attention. It was a muscular, bald man with a third eye. His name was Tenshinhan. According to Krillin, he was the champion of the previous Tenkaichi Budokai. He was the one who humiliated Yamcha and Krillin in the last tournament. During the past few years, Goku was completely focused on his training, and, as a result, he never entered the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai. Because he never fought Goku nor Jackie Chun, Tien is still a malicious, deadly assassin with a twisted heart. He approached the Z Fighters, mocking Yamcha and Krillin, asking them if they've come back to get their legs broken again. They are about to yell back, but Vegeta tells them to shut up. If they truly have improved, then they'll prove it in the ring. Tien taunts Vegeta, asking him if he's friends with these weaklings, but Vegeta chuckles. They weren't fit enough to lick his boots, and neither was he. Tien was furious, but he smiles, stating smugly that he'll enjoy breaking them apart. His first match is against Vegeta. Despite being cocky before, Tien is immediately overwhelmed. No matter how many attacks he uses, Vegeta simply overcomes all of them. Not even the Kiko Ho stood a chance. Vegeta simply took a blast head on and came out without a scratch. Vegeta won, but not before telling him to clean up his act and get his head straight. His clouded soul is reflected in his sloppy fighting. Tien realizes that he's right. This humbling experience showed him that he wanted more than anything else the thrill of battle, not dominating others. Tien bows and thanks Vegeta for the lesson, but Vegeta simply scoffs. In reality, he saw a little of himself in Tien. Goku and Piccolo's battle is the one that Vegeta looks forward to the most, even more so than his own battle. It was spectacular. He had trained both men at least some, and he watched them use his own techniques and their own. Vegeta did realize that a lot of their attacks seemed very similar to Kami's techniques that he taught Goku. Piccolo must have learned a little bit from that deity as well. Goku's Kamehameha and Piccolo's Gallic Gun clashed. Vegeta actually wasn't sure who would win. Kakarot had spent some time in the time chamber, but he wasn't a fan of it. He only went in there with Piccolo. But Piccolo had a lot more training with Vegeta than Goku did. He was built specifically to defeat this younger Saiyan. And though Goku had the power advantage at first, Piccolo's training really showed off in the second half. Not only had his training with Goku helped him get stronger, but it also gave him insight into his weaknesses. Goku was far too loose with his movements, even cocky. Piccolo exploited this, surprising Goku with something that he had never shown off before, his arm extension. He juked Goku and made him expect a punch, only for his arm to move behind Goku and pull him out of the arena. In this surprise twist of events, Piccolo defeated Goku in the tournament. The Namekian was happy with the victory, but Goku was not his goal. He still needed to avenge his father. Kami watched from above, at the lookout. He had wanted to enter the tournament, but Goku promised that him and Piccolo are enough to take down Vegeta if needed. He still wasn't sure. He was dealing with a lot, not only Piccolo and Vegeta, but also the fact that he now knows that he's an alien, a Namekian. What else was there for him? In the finals, Vegeta fights Piccolo and it's a spectacular match. Piccolo goes all out as he uses every single ability and technique at his disposal. Stretchy limbs, multiform, paralysis, giant form, etc. He even developed a new, deadly technique just to kill Vegeta, the Makankozapo, Special Beam Cannon. For the first time in his life, Vegeta is excited in a battle. He congratulates Piccolo for pushing him this far and thanks him for the match. However, he says that he's going to bring it to an end before he can do any harm to the people here. Piccolo asks what he means by this, and Vegeta drops a bombshell. Not once since he's been on this planet has he ever revealed his true power. Not once. He powers up to the maximum as everyone, including Kami, Piccolo, and Goku, look on in horror and disbelief. He declared himself a Super Saiyan, though his appearance didn't change at all. Piccolo tries anything he can to fight Vegeta, but it's no use. Vegeta easily defeats Piccolo, and the prince is announced as the winner of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. But Vegeta spares Piccolo's life once more, as he encourages him to continue training so he can kill the prince someday. Piccolo has nothing else to say and leaves. Goku gets engaged with Chi-Chi during the tournament, and Bulma congratulates Vegeta with a kiss on the cheek, which makes him blush a lot. Thus, the Saiyans raised on Earth have now grown up. Some time passed after the 23rd World Tournament. Vegeta has accepted that this piece of space rock is his new home. He at least takes solace in the fact that he has Bulma's gravity chamber, and Bulma herself, to keep him company. Things are starting to calm down as Goku and Piccolo continue their training. They no longer train at the lookout, nor in the Flying Fortress. Goku does it on his own during his free time at Mount Paozu, after marrying Chi-Chi, while Piccolo roams the wastelands, though he does occasionally decide to sleep at the lookout as well. Meanwhile, Vegeta stays in his Flying Fortress with the Pilaf gang. Goku eventually has a son with Chi-Chi named Gohan, and his existence brings hope to Vegeta for their race, even if he doesn't want to admit it. He's also visiting Bulma more and more often, and they're even starting to go on dates. Vegeta is closer to Goku and his family. Vegeta is even starting to look at the Pilaf gang as friends, while viewing Bulma as something more. However, in the back of Vegeta's mind, he fears that he's growing too content. He's becoming complacent, soft. If the Frieza Force found this planet, all his happiness would be taken away in an instant. Gohan notices the storm brewing in his soul as he offers that he should go see the old Baba, the witch fortune teller. If he defeated her warriors, then she might tell him the future. Vegeta agrees as he single-handedly takes on Baba's tournament and wins easily. When she reads his fortune, images of space bots, the Frieza Force, and Frieza himself laughing over a destroyed city shine on her crystal ball. Vegeta is utterly shocked and terrified. This confirms his fear. He was getting too soft. The shadow of Frieza and the terror that he brings, always looming over this planet. He was a fool to think that the tyrant would never find him. Vegeta starts to become closed off and distant from everyone. The Pilaf gang, Bulma, Goku, and Gohan notice this. They're all worried. Chi-Chi recommends that Goku invites Vegeta and Bulma for a dinner to celebrate Gohan's second birthday. He thinks that this is a great idea, as Goku invites his brother and the Pilaf gang to their home. Everyone has a great time. Even Vegeta seems to be enjoying himself. During dinner, Goku and Gohan reminisce on their past, as Vegeta finally decides it's time to tell everyone. Goku asks point blank what's bothering him. Vegeta tells everyone about his worries, about Frieza, his visit to Baba's, her visions, and his fear for this planet, and himself. They aren't ready to face the tyrant. Goku and Gohan say that they can just continue training and prepare for what's to come next, but Vegeta just can't trust them. He views them all as weaklings, and it's this planet and its weakness that scare him so much. He's scared that everyone on this planet will die unless he does something drastic. He declares to everyone that he plans to take over Earth so that he can prepare for Frieza's inevitable invasion. Following his declaration of his plan to take over Earth, Vegeta stormed out of the house. Kakarot stood in front of Vegeta, pleading with him to stop this, but Vegeta was dead set on his plan to subjugate the planet. Kakarot balled up his fist and warned Vegeta to stop. or else. Vegeta sighed as he placed a hand on Kakarot's face, stating that this was for his own good. Goku was surprised by this sudden display of affection when he is swiftly kneed in the stomach. The force of the blow knocked the wind out of Goku as he dropped to his knees. Vegeta states coldly that the weak don't get to make demands, as he orders the Pilaf gang to follow him. They have a lot of work to do ahead of them. Bulma tried to stop him, but it was too late. They were gone, as Chi-Chi and Grandpa Gohan helped up Goku. He cursed under his breath. He hopes that he wasn't being serious, but he did feel the storm brewing with Vegeta. Kakarot had known that his brother had struggled with his desire to defeat Frieza, and his changing heart with the love of Earth. He promised Bulma and everyone else to go and see, as well as talk to him soon. But right now, Vegeta probably needed some time alone. Goku would also go see Piccolo. He may need his help in getting Vegeta to calm down. Once Bulma returned to her home, she realized that the gravity chamber was on, but locked. It would remain this way for nearly a week. Grandpa Gohan was extremely worried about Vegeta. He had always said things like this before, but this time he seemed serious. Grandpa called over Goku, explaining to him that it was time he learned something new. One final technique that may help him against his brother. He knew they didn't have much time, but they would have to make do. He was going to teach him the way he moved, how he instinctively allowed his body to weave and dodge. Master Roshi was much better at it, but he wanted to have this time to teach Kakarot one final lesson. Thus, over the next few days, Gohan worked diligently with Goku to help him enter this mindset. This lack of ego. It was no transformation, just instinct. Goku noticed a huge difference by the end of it, but he couldn't quite do it well. This was a heightened state of being, where one leaks no ki and achieves enlightenment. It was a very advanced form of martial arts, and Goku struggled with it. One day, Bulma rudely woke up to an explosion. Vegeta had destroyed the chamber from inside out. She resigned to call over Goku, and he soon arrived to pick her up on the flying Nimbus. She held on to Goku as they flew towards the lookout where Chi-Chi and Grandpa Gohan, as well as little Gohan and Piccolo, were waiting for them. Kami had offered them sanctuary there, while things were turbulent back down on the mortal realm. Goku promised he would bring back Vegeta. He sensed his ki rising. He was heading towards the Earth's capital. He nodded at Piccolo. The Namekian wanted to be the one to defeat Vegeta and rule the world. He wasn't going to let them get in his way. Goku left Chi-Chi and Gohan with Bulma, so they would be safe in case something happened. Grandpa Gohan would stay behind as well to protect them in case anything happens. He looked at Goku and Piccolo, wishing them good luck in knocking some sense into Vegeta. Goku gives them a thumbs up as the two warriors rush towards Vegeta's ki presence. As they watched them go, Chi-Chi put a hand on Bulma's back, ensuring her that it would be okay. Bulma said that she hoped so, as she rubbed her belly. Chi-Chi and Grandpa Gohan's eyes widened. Goku and Piccolo reached the capital, realizing that some of the Earth warriors had felt the presence as well and found their way there. Krillin, Yamcha, and even Tien arrived. It was a scene of pure destruction as Vegeta swooped tanks and soldiers with every movement. Hellfire surrounded them, and Vegeta welcomed them. He was holding onto the King of Earth with one hand and a ki ball burning in the other. Before the battle began, Vegeta dropped the king and extended out his arm to the fighters. He acknowledged them as weaklings and knew that Kakarot would never join him. But Piccolo and Tien, they saw things his way. They knew how necessary power was to protect others. He offered them a chance to join him in his quest to protect Earth. Goku's head spun to look at them. Piccolo crossed his arms, explaining that if anyone is to take over Earth, it would be him, not Vegeta. The prince scoffed and turned to look at Tien. He looked down. He could feel the terrible power that Vegeta held, but he was right. Everyone here was too weak for him, and Vegeta wants to defend them? He must know something much scarier than himself. Tien thought of Chaozu, and he finally began to float towards Vegeta. The prince smiled, welcoming him as a new ally, declaring that this planet now belonged to the Prince of all Saiyans. The battle began with an explosive Kiko Ho from Tien down to the Z fighters. They all dodged it, with Goku yelling back at Krillin and Yamcha to take care of Tien, while Piccolo and himself will handle Vegeta. Tien fights Krillin and Yamcha. Despite their best efforts, it doesn't go well. After losing to Vegeta in the previous World Tournament, Tien vowed to get stronger and followed a new path so he could one day challenge Vegeta. As a result, he trained non-stop for years, which resulted in him becoming stronger. Yamcha tries to keep Tien busy, rushing him down with a Wolfang fist. As Krillin charges a Kamehameha, Tien notices this as he focuses his ki, creating two extra arms behind his back. As Tien blocks each of Yamcha's strikes, he uses two of his hands to trap Yamcha in a chokehold, as he uses his other two hands to redirect the Kamehameha back at Krillin. The bald man is sent flying, crashing into a nearby building, as Yamcha struggles to push off Tien before falling unconscious. Elsewhere, Goku and Piccolo are able to put up a better fight, but just barely. They have an advantage in numbers, and they know each other's techniques and movements better than anyone. However, Vegeta is still an overwhelming force. He is the strongest being to ever appear in the history of Earth, and he knows it. Vegeta is confident that he can crush these two fools. Perhaps he may be too confident in his battle, which could give the pair a much-needed opening. This moment comes when Piccolo manages to block one of Vegeta's punches and immediately counterattacks by appearing above Vegeta and slamming him down to the ground with his elbow. The ground cracks into a small crater as Vegeta grabs Piccolo and slams him back down, leaving him prone on the dirt. Vegeta stands back up, ready to fire a point-blank ki blast when, suddenly, a rocket launched from far away, exploding behind Vegeta, which catches him by surprise. Vegeta turns around, asking out loud who dares interrupt the battle. In the distance, a giant mech stands tall and smoke flaring from his chest. It was the Pilaf machine. Both Goku and Vegeta stand in shock, with Piccolo yelling at the Pilaf gang to get away. This wasn't their battle. Vegeta snarls, demanding to know what the meaning of this insubordination is. Pilaf cries out that they won't let him hurt Piccolo anymore. But not only that, they're tired of seeing Vegeta in this pain. Vegeta's taken aback by this, and Shu chimes in, saying that he knows how much he's hurting. He's been shouldering the burden of the world on his own, and it kills them to see him like this. But that doesn't mean he should save them all like this. This isn't him. Mai jumps in to say that they're here to stop Vegeta before it's too late. It's because they all care about him, and they're stepping in to stop him from making the worst mistake of his life. While Vegeta is distracted, thinking about what he just heard, Piccolo regains his footing as he hits Vegeta in the ribs with a karate chop, cracking his armor. Piccolo yells at Goku that it's now or never as Goku rushes in. Together, both Goku and Piccolo assault Vegeta with a dual meteor combination attack. The pair manage to land 2 clean hits that temporarily stun Vegeta as they jump upwards, charging 2 Gallic guns and firing them both directly at the prince. At first, it looks like Vegeta might be defeated, but as the smoke clears, Vegeta roars as he bursts his ki open. In a few swift moments, Vegeta appears behind Goku and Piccolo, bashing their hands together and blasting them into the King's Tower, obliterating the building. The Pilaf machine fires all of its weapons, but not a single missile or bullet manages to connect with the target. Vegeta fires several small ki blasts from his finger, destroying the machine, as the Pilaf gang is forced to eject themselves from the mech before it explodes. As the battle seems to be drawing to a swift end, Vegeta and Tien stand side by side as the prince proclaims to everyone that he's doing this for their own good. If they can't beat him now, then they'd be doomed once Frieza arrives with his army. It seems hopeless for the Z Fighters, but they feel a strange presence arrive. Was that a baby Gamera? They all turn around to see Roshi land from his Gamera, accompanied by Grandpa Gohan on the flying Nimbus. Vegeta and Gohan stare down, while Roshi stood before Tien. Roshi tells Tien that he mustn't let fear and doubt cloud his new path, that he changed for the better already. He must not go back to what he used to be. Meanwhile, Gohan pleads with Vegeta to reconsider his actions and stop this before it's too late. He was not only his student, but his son. Vegeta's heart dropped when he heard this, but he couldn't stray from his goal now. Even as a tear fell from his face, Vegeta gets angry and adamantly proclaims that he's doing this to save everyone. Tien is quiet, feeling conflicted in his heart. Without any other choice, Roshi and Gohan tell their pupils to sit back and watch. This will serve as a reminder that brute force is not the way of the Turtle School, and it is not the only way to win a battle. Tien and Vegeta go into attack, but are stunned to see the old masters dodge their attacks. While both are shocked, Vegeta is the one who is truly aghast. He had become vastly stronger, faster, and smarter since he arrived on this planet many years ago. But still, he can't seem to touch Gohan. Gohan tells Vegeta that this is one technique he knew the prince always struggled with. However, it's something Kakarot is starting to grasp, which infuriates Vegeta. Gohan extends his hand out to Vegeta with a sad smile, telling him that his pride has driven him somewhere he does not belong. He can't give up his soul for this pride. Vegeta stands his ground. His pride is the one thing he will never throw away. Vegeta manages to successfully hit Gohan away and knock him into the king's castle, reacting faster than he could think. He didn't hold back. He could have killed Gohan. Sweat falls down Vegeta's face. Gohan lays on the rubble, unmoving. Everyone turns to see Goku shaking uncontrollably. They expect him to get furious, but he's not. Goku looks down as he states out loud that he understands Gohan's lesson. He's not fighting alone. Goku takes slow steps towards Vegeta and asks him why he fights. Vegeta opens his mouth to say something, but nothing comes out. Is it to save others? For the thrill of battle? To prove his superiority? Goku explains that as long as Vegeta doesn't understand why he fights, he'll never be able to protect anyone, let alone the entire planet. Goku's ki skyrockets as everyone sees a white glow surround his body. Krillin and Tien remark that they don't sense any ki leave his body, as Roshi smiles, saying that he's done it. Goku has let go of his ego and obtained enlightenment, the no ego zone. Don't mistake this, true believers. This isn't Ultra Instinct, nowhere near it. But it is an impressive martial arts technique that Master Roshi did show off during the Tournament of Power in the manga. Goku turns to tell Roshi to take care of Gohan, then turns to Vegeta, telling him that their fight will continue somewhere away from everyone, somewhere private. With the Saiyans gone, Tien sees no other choice but to use the multi-form technique to fight the rest of the Z fighters. But seeing what Vegeta did to Gohan definitely made his passion falter, and slowly he found a lack of hope for victory. Piccolo finally restrained him, pointing a blast to his face. He told him to give up, and Tien resigned from the battle. He felt like he had chosen the wrong side. Goku and Vegeta arrive at a desolate wasteland, far away from civilization. As the two Saiyans stare each other down, Goku and Vegeta argue about Gohan's teachings and their meaning. Vegeta only sees them as means to defeat Frieza, while Goku sees them as a way to better oneself. Vegeta argues that the low-class Saiyan wouldn't ever understand. This actually hurts Goku, who says that he isn't just a low-class Saiyan, he is his brother. While the battle is initially in Goku's favor, upon entering the no-ego zone and dodging Vegeta's attacks, Vegeta's anger grows as he uses more and more power. Eventually, Goku realizes that he can't stay in the no-ego zone for long without sustaining mental strain. Slowly, Vegeta gets the upper hand, unyielding in his attack. He was still stronger than his brother. Him being able to dodge most of the punches means nothing when each punch landed counted as 100. Vegeta lands one more punch against Goku's face, making the Saiyan fall on his back. Vegeta continues to punch over and over, angry, but slowly let up. Goku spat on the side, then looked at Vegeta's eyes. They were pleading with him to give up. Goku smirked, however, saying, I could do this all day. Goku's aura exploded, pushing the Saiyan Prince back. It looked as if, for a second, his hair turned golden. But that couldn't be it, could it? Vegeta staggered in surprise, hurt. Goku could barely stand. Whatever that power was, took a lot out of the younger Saiyan. Vegeta knew this was it. This next move would end the fight. With the last of his strength, Goku stood back up, cupped his hands. Vegeta did the same. But in a strange twist of fate, Vegeta fired the Kamehameha, while Goku fired the Galick Gun. It was clear that Vegeta was the one with the upper hand, but Goku took a deep breath, closing his eyes. There was no sound, no movement, just the warmth of the key ball in his hand. He needed to concentrate. He couldn't hold the blast for much longer, and the no-ego zone even less. He had a plan. He just needed an opening. Vegeta could see it, the world under his command. Endless resources to train and defeat Frieza. But even as he thought this, he felt bad, imagining all those people as subjects. He saw himself in them. Was he just becoming another Frieza for the sake of revenge? Goku's eyes bolted open. Vegeta's attack did not waver, but he could feel something was wrong within Vegeta's mind. He took this chance. Goku spun on his heel, taking full advantage of the no-ego zone, letting go of the blast for just a second, dodging the Kamehameha. Vegeta's eyes widened as he realized that Goku was now on the side of the blast. Goku smirked, firing the blast once more. Vegeta couldn't do anything but watch helplessly as he was consumed. It was done. For the first time in his life, Goku has defeated his brother, not by fighting as a Saiyan, but by fighting as an Earthling. Vegeta realized this as he regained consciousness. Vegeta himself could do that. He could fight as an Earthling, as he had done so before. Now he just had to remember to do it. He knew when to accept defeat. Perhaps, with the help of his brother, he could defeat Frieza and protect Earth. He jolted up, realizing that he was surrounded by his friends. Goku smiled at him, and he smiled back. But his first thought was, where is Gohan? Thankfully, from behind Goku, the old man stood up with a smile. He was hurt, but he was still alive. Vegeta sighed in relief. and apologized. He realized now that what he was doing was wrong and that he should have more faith in his brother and everyone else. They still have a lot of training to do if they want to defend Earth, but it's a possibility. They can do it. Goku says that he's glad that he finally understands that. Krillin and the others still don't know if they can trust him just yet, but they promise that they will be around when Earth needs their help. Bulma runs up to Vegeta, slapping him across the face, telling him how much of an idiot he was. Vegeta blushed and said that he was sorry about everything. While apologizing, he placed his hand on Bulma's stomach, and his eyes widened, realizing that she was pregnant. She nodded brightly. He couldn't believe it. He was going to be a father. He looked at little Gohan and smiled. He could feel a great power coming from him, and he could only imagine that his son or daughter would be the same way. If they can't protect Earth, then surely their kids could. But never mind that. They had a whole new reason to protect it. This new generation of heroes. But something loomed overhead. Something very dark, as similarly to Goku and Chi-Chi's wedding, Uranai Baba's present is to read the future. She does so, and she sees a space spot coming in close. It's the near future, no more than a couple of years. But this time, Vegeta has his friends to rely on, and he knows they can do it together. Whoever is on that space spot will be sorry they stepped on Earth. But that's for next time on Dragon Ball Z. Vegeta and Goku have settled on Earth, with Bulma trying her best to help Vegeta capture his fighting spirit once more by creating a gravity chamber. It has been some time since he tried to take over Earth, and most of them have forgiven him. Bulma and Vegeta even have a child, whom they name Trunks. Vegeta often visits Goku and his son, explaining to them legends from planet Vegeta, including the Super Saiyan. Goku aspires to reach that level, though Vegeta thinks it may still be some time, if it's even real at all. One day, a ship crashes on Earth, revealing that Qui has arrived. This is a massive change from the story we know. Vegeta recognizes the key and calls on Goku to accompany him to the crash site. Vegeta and Qui look each other in the eyes. Qui had no idea that the prince was on that planet. Their reunion is filled with tension. It is palpable. Qui comments on how it's such a shame that he doesn't have a scouter so Vegeta could tremble in fear of his power. But Vegeta simply laughs, saying that he doesn't need that at all. Vegeta questions why he's here, and Qui says that he was sent by Raditz. Vegeta's confused. Raditz was of course the Saiyan he once knew, a weakling, the brother of Kakarot, but he keeps that to himself. Instead, Vegeta tells Goku to stand aside, that this is between Qui and himself. But the training he's had on Earth proves to be way too much, with Qui losing badly. Through the battle, Vegeta thinks about something that Uranai Baba said long ago, the prediction that a Frieza ship would soon loom over planet Earth. Was it finally coming true? The two Saiyans interrogate him as he dies, and he explains once again that he was sent to Earth on Raditz's command, and that soon enough, he would be arriving on Earth with a whole platoon of soldiers. Vegeta couldn't believe that Raditz was even alive, let alone strong enough to be commanding Qui around. He didn't believe it, but why would Qui lie? Kakarot has many questions, but Vegeta is too worried. He doesn't tell Kakarot who Raditz was. He only explains that he was a weakling Saiyan that worked for him long ago, but apparently he had grown in power. Vegeta had previously deterred himself from space travel as to not reveal Earth's location, but it seems like Raditz had known about Kakarot's whereabouts. And now, because of the scouter, Raditz must know that the prince is there as well. His location was compromised. Now Earth was a much bigger target, just because they knew that Vegeta was there. It was time to move. They couldn't sit around and wait to be killed. Vegeta knew where Frieza's planet was, but no, that was insane. There was no way he was going to just walk through there and demand that Frieza leave them alone. But Goku tells Vegeta that this is what they had been waiting for many years. Surely now Vegeta was strong enough to take that tyrant on, right? Vegeta shook his head. Yeah, he was strong, but it wasn't enough. Either way, they needed to take care of Raditz. All they could do for now is wait and train their hardest. Vegeta and Goku warn everyone else about the upcoming attack, and for the first time ever, the Z Fighters all agree to train as a unit over at Kami's lookout. Even Piccolo joins in, with little Gohan and Trunks as well. The training is hard, but Vegeta encourages them all, though he has some trouble connecting with the Z Fighters. Goku is much better at the speeches. Slowly, Vegeta gets a hold of that technique that Kakarot used against him, the no ego state. But it was difficult. clearly unrefined. All that sticks on Vegeta's mind was the Super Saiyan form. He wanted to reach that. Kakarot's enthusiasm about it made him want it even more. Eventually, a year passed, and a shadow looms over West City. Raditz was not alone. He had brought over a platoon of soldiers as well. The prince gulped as he watched the ship cast a shadow over Capsule Corp. It was time. Dozens of Frieza soldiers swarmed the cities, clearly trying to draw out someone. Thankfully, they couldn't sense Ki, but that also meant they would stop at nothing until they found Kakarot. That's what Raditz was after, wasn't it? Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, and Piccolo were summoned in order to defend the city. Though the Frieza soldiers were strong, they were simpletons. A lot of them only had blasters. Clearly, Frieza didn't trust Raditz with the good ones. The voice of Nappa echoes through the city as he says,
"Come out, Prince Vegeta. We're here to welcome you back home."
He knew that the second his location was revealed, Frieza would come after him. As the Z fighters defended the city, Vegeta stepped out to stare at the ship, Kakarot at his side, while Gohan and Trunks fought alongside Piccolo, the person who had taken a liking to them and trained them at Kami's lookout. Goku and Vegeta waste no time rushing into the ship, and from it rose Raditz and Nappa. Raditz says,
"Thanks to you, I knew where to find the prince. Frieza will reward me handsomely. Now, why don't you come along, and we can welcome you back into the Empire."
Goku was going to ask how he knew him, but Vegeta interrupted.
"I would have thought that me killing Qui would have been enough to send a message. We're not serving under a tyrant anymore. Leave Earth or suffer the consequences."
Nappa kneeled before the prince, telling him that his guidance was greatly needed still. Vegeta dismissed Nappa, telling him that he doesn't need him. The Saiyan race is dead. He is no prince. Raditz was becoming angry. He told Vegeta, fine, but he knew that his brother would join him, extending out his hand to Goku. Goku's eyes widened. Did he hear that right?
"Leave him out of this. You're nothing but a weakling Saiyan." "That's where you're wrong, Prince. See, without you, Nappa and I had to get stronger in order to survive. So strong that we even surpassed your own powers some time ago."
Vegeta couldn't believe, but he was telling the truth. His ki was rising as he got angrier. Vegeta had enough and rushed in to challenge Raditz. Kakarot told him to wait. He wanted to find out more, but it was too late. Nappa was already swinging him around. Even with their preparation, Vegeta and Kakarot weren't ready for the Saiyans to have gotten so powerful. Vegeta noticed something. Raditz had bruises all over his body. It looked like Frieza had been using him as a punching bag for some time. No doubt that played a role as well. The more Saiyan neared death, the stronger they got. Raditz looks down at the prince before approaching him slowly. Vegeta knew there was no easy way to get out of this. Raditz sped up and rushed him suddenly, hitting him with an immediate and powerful right hook to the face. Staggered, Vegeta took a few seconds to gather himself before firing a Gallic gun straight back at him. Raditz knocks away the blast and smirks. Vegeta knew this battle was going to be a challenge. It would push him to his limits. He was determined to win despite this. The two continued to clash. Meanwhile, Nappa and Goku were already locked into battle. Nappa was a heavy hitter, something Goku learned the hard way. But like Vegeta, he wasn't going down easy. Thankfully, Goku has agility by his side and is able to evade a lot of attacks, though the surrounding area isn't so lucky, as he is pushed down from the ship and onto the ground below. Goku uses the no-ego zone as much as he can, but it is becoming too much. He decides to take the battle further away, so Vegeta and himself can focus solely on their own battles. Nappa follows Goku through the city, where they are soon greeted by Krillin, Yamcha, Piccolo, Gohan, Little Trunks, Tien, and Chaozu. Nappa is very quickly outnumbered, and they all begin to attack in unison. Explosions can be seen and heard from the back, where Vegeta and Raditz are battling. Goku sees this and grits his teeth. Krillin and the others tell him to go back and help, as it seems like Vegeta's having a harder time. They can handle this Saiyan, reassuring him that they have this under control. Goku hesitates, but then smiles, thanking them and rushing off to aid Vegeta. Nappa tries to stop him, but Krillin destroys the energy blast he fires with his own destructor disc, splitting it in half. Goku arrives and quickly spots a battle-damaged Vegeta. It's clear that Raditz was way too powerful. He had Vegeta on the ropes. Raditz explained what he had gone through, the years of beatings by Frieza. If Vegeta had been around, perhaps Frieza would have restrained himself. But not only was Raditz a Saiyan, a thing that Frieza hated the most, but he was also a low-class warrior, something that was unacceptable in Frieza's reign.
"I find it amusing that you chose to side with Prince Vegeta rather than your own brother, Kakarot. Goku stands there for a while, processing what he just heard. This stranger who just landed on Earth and attacked them was his brother. But why didn't Vegeta tell him? He felt betrayed. He made his way to Raditz, looking at him with a confused expression. That's right, Kakarot. I'm glad to see that you know where your loyalties lie. Vegeta spat some blood out, telling Goku that he can't join him, that their home is on Earth, that he's sorry he didn't say anything about Raditz, but that he thought it would be best for Goku to have no attachments to that side of his past. He didn't even think that Raditz was alive. Goku looked back at Vegeta, with some tears filling his eyes. He raised his hand slowly, focusing his ki. Vegeta closed his eyes. He couldn't believe it, but he was actually going to be killed by Kakarot. But Goku continued to talk. I have a brother. His name is Vegeta. Suddenly, he turned his hand, aiming it directly towards Raditz, firing a blast in point-blank range. Vegeta was very proud of his brother, as Raditz was sent flying back. Goku helped his brother up. The two nodded at each other, ready to face off against Raditz. The two battles continued, with the tide turning to support Earth. Raditz was beating a lot of the Z-fighters, with Yamcha and Chaozu being taken out of the fight, though saved by Trunks and Gohan. Nappa was ping-ponged around between Piccolo, Krillin, and Tien. Three different styles of martial arts combining into one, culminating in Trunks and Gohan firing a huge blast. Everyone was surprised. It was clear that these half-breed Saiyans were something to take seriously. In the end, Nappa was defeated. The Z-fighters rushed in to try and help Vegeta and Goku, but they were stopped, as they told them that this was their battle. Gohan and Trunks cheered their parents on. Raditz was slowly being taken down, but he said something that made Vegeta look both ways. He said that he would definitely win if he had a chance to turn into an Ozaru. Everyone went silent as Vegeta smirked. His pride wouldn't allow him to win this way. Without any warning, he threw an artificial moon to the sky, forcing Raditz to transform into an Ozaru. And to his own surprise, he could control it. The city was slowly being destroyed, something which Goku scolded Vegeta about. How could he allow this to happen? But Vegeta said that they had to do it at their full potential. They couldn't just win against someone who wasn't using their full power. Goku didn't disagree, but the city was suffering because of it. Goku yelled at the Z-fighters to evacuate the city, and they all rushed to do so. In the meantime, the fight against Ozaru Raditz was difficult, but Goku had to admit, it was fun. But Goku was knocked down. He couldn't keep going at this rate. Perhaps Vegeta really had made a mistake. But as Raditz began to focus on him, Vegeta sighed, focused his ki, and breathed in. He could do it. He could feel where Raditz's next move was going to be. With his eyes closed, he dodged. A punch, a kick, a mouth blast. He could dodge it all. Of course it helped that Raditz was slower as an Ozaru. Vegeta had finally been able to use the no ego zone, even if for a bit. He did it for just long enough to distract Raditz and have Goku regain his composure. Vegeta finally reopened his eyes to see that he was standing in front of his brother. He had reached him and defended him. They look up to see Raditz punch down, both of his fists crashing down, but the two Saiyans jumped back. This gave them a chance to rush up Ozaru Raditz's hands. They ran up and blasted Raditz in the face. He was blinded, screaming in pain. Taking inspiration by Krillin's technique, both Goku and Vegeta fire a Kienzan at Raditz's tail, cutting it off. Raditz lands on the ground, defeated, slowly regaining his vision, though things are still blurry. He was tired, beat. His platoon was defeated, and his ship was on fire. All he had left to do was call down his Saiyan pod and leave. But Vegeta stepped on Raditz's hand as he tried to call it. Goku stood behind him, with his arms crossed. Vegeta said, "Give Frieza a message for me. Earth isn't going to stand still as he continues to terrorize planets. We're coming for you, Lord Frieza." With that, Vegeta stepped off of Raditz, letting him call the pod, cursing as he gets on it and sets off to space. Goku wonders if that was the right call, but admits that he wants to fight him again. Vegeta chuckles, saying, "Me too." The Z-fighters gather around, looking at the destruction. This is gonna take a lot of time, but they have to rebuild. They have to find the Dragon Balls. But Vegeta has also something else in mind. He tells the Z-fighters to stay on Earth, to look for the Dragon Balls, while him, Goku, and Piccolo will head towards a different planet. They're all confused. Space travel? Yes. Vegeta is done hiding. Kakarot is done hiding. Vegeta realized that they need to do this for every planet in their universe. They're taking the fight right to Frieza.
Earth's most formidable fighters gathered together to formulate a plan. Previously, Raditz and Nappa attacked Earth while looking for Kakarot and Prince Vegeta. Though Raditz was left alive, this was only so he could warn Frieza about his impending doom. It was clear to Vegeta that if he wanted peace, he would have to approach Frieza himself. Krillin thinks this is far too dangerous, and Piccolo agrees, but if they attacked Earth before, they will do it again with stronger forces. Goku says that it's going to be too dangerous for the kids, so Gohan and Trunks will remain on Earth despite their protests. With the help of Bulma, they create a brand new spaceship, one with gravity chambers that are strong enough to contain them all. Vegeta is a little anxious about the battle ahead. This is what he had been training for all his life, but Goku encourages him. He knows that his older brother can do anything he sets his mind to. Vegeta thanks him for his conviction and promises that he will make not only Goku proud, but also the whole Saiyan race, and especially little kid Gohan and Trunks. The team takes off to space in search of Frieza. Raditz kneels before his emperor, sweat dripping from his forehead as he finishes explaining his defeat and the rest of the situation. Frieza slams his tail against the ground, creating a shockwave. He was extremely angry. Raditz feared for his life, but the emperor simply pet him, saying,
"Oh, Raditz, you are proof that there is such a thing as a good Saiyan. I've got plans for you. Come."
While on their way to planet Frieza, Goku, Vegeta, Krillin, Piccolo, and Tien all trained. Thanks to Bulma and her father, this spaceship was equipped with a gravity chamber, though Piccolo had to stop the two Saiyans multiple times in case they got near to destroying the ship. One night, Vegeta sat at the door, smirking. While everyone slept, he welcomed them to planet Frieza. There were spaceships already waiting for them, and he watched as they got closer to the atmosphere. It looked like Frieza had gotten their message. Zarbon and Dodoria led the charge. Vegeta yelled out in order to wake everyone. The ship was sturdy, but it couldn't take too much punishment. As soon as the ship got to the atmosphere, burning up from all the attacks, Vegeta told everyone to abandon ship, exploding his ki and the ship along with it, while the various fighters rained down from the sky. They all battled Frieza 4 soldiers in mid-air, including Zarbon and Dodoria. The intense mid-air battle culminates in a giant Kiko-Ho from Tien, blowing nearly all of the forces away. Zarbon and Dodoria remained standing, but it was the Ginyu Force who stepped up to the plate. Vegeta was a lot more concerned of them than any other fighters, as they had strange abilities he knew nothing about. Piccolo took on Burter, Tien Jais, Goku Rikum, and Vegeta Ginyu. Krillin reluctantly was stuck with Goldo, but thankfully he was killed pretty quickly as the battle began, while doing rock, paper, scissors. Vegeta commanded everyone to attack while they're still playing their silly little game, and without questioning it, Krillin launched a Kienzan that cut Goldo's head clean off. The Ginyu Force was angry and stronger than most of the fighters, though Vegeta and Goku proved to be incredibly formidable foes, thanks to the teachings of their grandfather and Master Roshi. They could barely be touched. It went on to the point where Ginyu's body changed in the middle of battle, but Piccolo watched the altercation and kicked Burter into the beam's trajectory. He tried to exchange bodies again, but as the other Ginyu Force were destroyed, Vegeta grabbed Ginyu's body by the face and held him up, causing him to exchange back and throw him through the throne room doors. As it happened, Zarbon and Dodoria begged for mercy, but a foe sat on the chair within the throne room, blasting 2 beams through the soldiers. The room was dark, and Ginyu slowly struggled to inch himself to the throne in order to ask for help from Frieza.
Lord Frieza, I'm sorry, Captain, but Lord Frieza had a previous arrangement. You shouldn't have told me to tell Frieza that you were coming, Prince. Where is he? Brother, Frieza's already on Earth, you fool. Not only that, but he's found new forces on that planet. Looks like your own planet has betrayed you.
Vegeta's eyes shook with anger, dropping to his knees, but it was Goku putting his hand on his shoulder that triggered him. That means Gohan and Trunks. Vegeta screamed in anger, rushing in to attack Raditz. This had been their only chance. This is what all their training had led to, but that coward escaped. Raditz simply laughed as Goku screamed in anger. Vegeta punched Raditz through a wall as he screamed, then walking over to him and grabbing him by the neck, his aura bursting open in golden ki. Neither Goku nor Vegeta could contain themselves. Vegeta dropped Raditz, and the Saiyan couldn't believe what he saw. This immense power, this transformation. Could this be Frieza? You will pay.
Super Saiyan.
In the meantime, on Earth, Frieza looks onto the horizon of his subject, Earth, smiling proudly.
Oh, Doctor, I'm so glad I didn't kill you when my forces found your lab. Your android truly has been great help. He took down those pesky warriors easily.
Dr. Gero stands next to Frieza, as does 19. Grandpa Gohan, Roshi, Bulma, Chi-Chi, and Yamcha are all behind bars. Frieza had teamed up with the Red Ribbon Army and Dr. Gero to take over Earth. His plan was to allow Gero to rule over Earth as long as it was clear Frieza himself owned the planet. And if those Saiyans ever returned, they would be killed instantly, along with their friends and family. On Frieza's planet, the Z-Fighters discuss what to do. They need to return to Earth immediately, now that they know Frieza's there. But the skies darken as a ship flies overhead. To them, it looks like it's more Frieza Force soldiers, but Raditz's eyes shake. He couldn't believe who it was. Everybody realized that the person's key, whoever was in there, was stronger than potentially even Frieza. Raditz tried to escape, but Goku appeared before him and stopped him, asking who the hell that was. But their answer soon came as the ship landed and the door opened. 3 soldiers stepping out. They were all ready to attack, but a voice came from within the ship who said,
"Please, Salza, put your blast down. There's no need for that just yet."
That's when Vegeta realized who it was. He had only heard rumors of him, but Frieza's older brother, Cooler, had arrived. Was he here to take revenge for them killing all of Frieza's army? But almost as if he was reading their mind, Cooler shook his head and said,
"No need to worry. I'm not here to attack. My little brother has always been reckless, and it's clear that his little plan didn't take into account losing 60% of his forces. I'm here to teach him a lesson, and I think you all can help me with that."
Monsieur Cooler, are you sure?
Salsa, stand down. Any of these fighters are strong enough to take you on, and I don't want to kill them just yet. We have a common interest. I want to kick my brother's ass, and they want Frieza out of their home. Plus, above that, everyone's scouters blew up while we were landing. You two must be Super Saiyans, the very first of your kind in a millennia. As long as I get to fight powerful opponents like you, and you keep serving me as sparring partners, then you have nothing to worry about. So what do you say, Saiyans? Will you come to Earth with me?
The heroes reluctantly agree. The ship blasted off towards planet Earth, where it arrived sometime after. In the meantime, however, Gohan and Trunks, the 2 youngest Z-Fighters, have been doing what they can, fighting the Frieza Force's mightiest members. The 2 were extremely powerful, and have grown in power after the battle against the Saiyans. While in Cooler's spaceship, Goku, Vegeta, and Raditz spent a lot of time together. The 2 brothers had forced Raditz into the spaceship, making sure that they would deal with him later. Cooler thought that it was ridiculous that Lord Frieza had entrusted a Saiyan with taking care of his planet. Clearly it didn't work out. And above that, sooner or later he would turn against them. Goku talked to Raditz about how their race wasn't all about just killing and taking over planets. Vegeta's a prime example of that. He changed a lot. He had that mindset for a while, but eventually, through training and the love from the people of Earth, he changed for the better. Raditz said that it was too late for him, and that this was the only way he knew. This was his life. He had to do anything he could to survive ever since the destruction of planet Vegeta. Why was it Kakarot that was spared? Why was he the only one that was sent away? Why did his parents care about him more? Those are questions that Raditz had asked himself for many years. Goku put a hand on Raditz's shoulder, but he simply slapped it away. Raditz wasn't ready to listen to this, but over time, as they traveled to Earth, they get to know each other a lot better. Raditz knew he couldn't stand up against 2 Super Saiyans, so he just had to listen. As much as he tried to deny it, Goku did start to make sense eventually to him. Even Vegeta himself chimed in, telling Raditz that Bardock did want to save both of his children, but it wasn't really an option at the time. Raditz didn't know how to feel, but as they traveled to Earth, his heart was changing, and he knew he would have to make a choice sooner or later. Eventually, Cooler's ship zoomed over planet Earth, and from above, everyone could already see smoke coming from the various buildings. Vegeta balled up his fist as he watched Capsule Corp be engulfed by flames. All he cared about was knowing if Bulma and Trunks were okay, as well as Gohan and Chi-Chi. Goku gulped, looked at Vegeta, and nodded. They were ready. The spaceship landed a little further away from the city, and all of the Z-Fighters stepped out. They could feel the faint presence of Master Roshi, Grandpa Gohan, and the rest. At least they were okay. But as they concentrated more, they realized that Trunks and Gohan were not with them. They were somewhere else. They were fighting. Goku and Vegeta wasted no time, and despite the other Z fighters trying to stop them, they rushed towards their ki. They found them in the middle of a city, fighting against Frieza Force soldiers, as a strange-looking mime commanded the forces. They couldn't sense that guy's ki, but Gohan and Trunks were doing very well. They were very happy to see their parents, and the mime locked onto them, analyzing them. He finally confirmed those were Goku and Vegeta, but the strange new Super Saiyan transformation was something completely new to him. He had no record of it. Goku tried to ask who this being was, but to no avail. This Android 19 was freed earlier than he should have. After all, Frieza found Dr. Gero, and he was about to kill him until Gero offered his expertise. So this 19 isn't exactly as refined as the one we know from the original story. Vegeta stepped up. He wanted to see what this android was all about, and the battle began. He was doing well, but the Super Saiyan transformation hadn't allowed for too much fighting just yet, and he still had a lot to learn about it. The clash was powerful, and it gave Goku the chance to save the kids, destroying all the other forces, and getting them to Korin's tower to get a few senzu beans. He told the kids that he was very proud of them, but for now they needed to lay low. They would save everyone. The Z fighters had spread all through the world, fighting the forces until Goku and Vegeta were ready to storm the castle. As the fight against 19 continued, Goku realized that Vegeta was slowing down every time he was grabbed. Of course, those strange bulbs on his palm, they must be absorbing his ki. It got to the point where Vegeta was doing a lot of damage, but he got knocked out of Super Saiyan. Goku was the one to then step up, fighting at a distance, but every Kamehameha he launched would get absorbed. That's when Goku thought of something. Perhaps he didn't need to fight him at all. Maybe he could overload him. This seems like a robot, and robots can short circuit, can't they? Just overload them with information. Vegeta realized what Goku was doing when he started firing multiple Kamehamehas, and he joined him in, firing Gallic guns. This unrefined version of 19 couldn't help but absorb all that power, and it was making him very, very strong. But he also had a limit, and at the end of it, he exploded into a million pieces. Android 19 was defeated, and when Goku got close to it, he recognized it, the symbol of the Red Ribbon Army. Could they really be back? From inside the castle, Frieza grabbed onto his chair tightly. Gero had promised him that 19 would be enough, but he wasn't aware of the Super Saiyan. It wasn't his fault. Frieza slapped Gero with his tail, making him crash against the wall. He was still okay, but he was hurt. Gero promised him that they can do better, but Frieza said they didn't have any time. He had to release those two other androids. The third one too, if he could. But Gero insisted that they weren't ready. They would revolt. Frieza didn't care, but if they were going to mean a menace to his empire, then perhaps it was time for Frieza himself to step up to the plate. From the king's castle, Frieza rose, and soon after, Goku, Vegeta, and the rest of the Z fighters arrived, staring down at Frieza. What Frieza didn't expect was seeing Cooler behind them. His brother had betrayed him?
Come on. I would never betray my little brother, but you do need a lesson. You could have killed all these pesky Saiyans if you weren't such an idiot. Now, show them what you've got. Prove to me that you can handle the situation.
Frieza cursed at his brother, instantly transforming into his third form. There was no time to waste. Frieza looked at his brother. Once he was done with these monkeys, he'd prove to his brother once and for all who was the strongest in the universe. Outside of the king's castle, Goku and Vegeta stare down at third form Frieza, glowing in their golden Super Saiyan auras. Finally, after training their entire lives, they had reached this moment, where they could face Frieza, the one responsible for the extinction of their race. Beyond just that, they were standing together to fight their oppressor as a Super Saiyan legend. Although Vegeta looks over to Cooler, who is simply standing to the side, watching on with no expression on his face. Vegeta didn't like that they needed his help to get back to Earth. What was he thinking? What was he planning? Vegeta didn't know, but that'd be a problem for later. For now, his goal was ending Frieza, but Goku chimes in, saying he wants to fight Frieza first. The annoyed Vegeta barks at Goku, saying that he's not going to let him do that. This is his fight, let him have it. Frieza and Cooler look on in disbelief as the two brothers continue arguing, playing rock, paper, scissors. Were these pathetic monkeys treating this like a game? He was the Emperor of the universe. He will not be disrespected like this. As Goku strikes a pose, excited to have won the game, Frieza launches himself towards Goku, kneeing him in the face. The impact creates a shockwave that echoes through the castle. However, to Frieza's shock, Goku merely smirks. He wasn't hurt at all. Frieza immediately leaps back. As Goku starts to slowly walk towards him, the Emperor begins to sweat, stammering as he yells at the filthy Saiyan to get back, firing a volley of rapid-fire death beams. However, Goku slaps every single one of the blasts away, right back to Frieza. He manages to dodge them all, but is then immediately hit from behind by Goku, hitting Frieza's head gem as the Emperor crashes down into the ground. Frieza is stunned. Just how fast was he? Vegeta thinks to himself that he can't believe this was the Frieza they were afraid of for so long. Had he and Kakarot really become that powerful? Of course, they had achieved the legend, but perhaps there was more than that. From far away, Raditz watches in awe. He had left Cooler's spaceship along with the other Z-fighters, but he didn't help the Earthlings nor assist the Frieza Force. No, he had to be there. He had to see for himself if Kakarot and Vegeta were really able to face off against Frieza. He knew they had gotten vastly stronger since becoming Super Saiyan, but this was ridiculous. Raditz clenches his fist, wondering if what Kakarot had told him in the spaceship was true. Did his bonds with his family and friends really push him this far? Was that really the reason a low-class Saiyan runt like Kakarot could achieve the legend of Super Saiyan? Back at the battlegrounds, Cooler mocks his brother, telling him that he needs to take this battle seriously or else it'll be his funeral. Goku chimes in, saying that he's pretty annoyed too. Enraged, Frieza bulks up into his final form. He wasn't playing around anymore. This was his full power state. He wouldn't hold anything back. Goku smiles. This would be a real challenge now. Frieza and Goku resumed their battles, as Vegeta and Cooler watch on. Frieza's attacks had become much stronger and faster, forcing Goku to switch tactics and go on the defensive for a while. However, Frieza had abandoned all caution to the wind. His maniac attacks were becoming more and more powerful, but they were also becoming sloppier. As he watches his younger sibling thrash about with reckless abandon, Cooler shouts words of advice in his condescending tone.
Keep your fists up. Center yourself. Strike with your whole body. Your fighting stance is pathetic. Do you even know how to fight?
Frieza didn't like this one bit, yelling at his brother to shut up as Goku slams a roundhouse kick to the Emperor's gut, then grabbing onto his tail, spinning him around, and letting him go, hurling straight towards the castle below, demolishing it. Vegeta looks over at Kakarot, complimenting him in the strike, giving him a thumbs up. Vegeta thinks to himself that Kakarot had come a long way from that annoying toddler he met back on planet Vegeta. Here he was now, a low-class Saiyan with seemingly no combat potential, pummeling the evil Emperor. His training with Grandpa Gohan, Kami, and Vegeta himself molded Kakarot into a true martial artist, a warrior beyond anything the Saiyan race was capable of producing on his own. Vegeta was proud of his brother. He trusted Kakarot and his abilities. He had faith he could easily win this fight. But Vegeta's thoughts were interrupted as he sees a massive skyscraper rise up into the sky. He was using his telekinesis to turn these towers into weapons, launching them at Goku. He dodged the pillars and even blasted a few, but he had let his guard down. From behind, Frieza launched a devastating barrage of punches. He was putting his entire weight and strength into the attacks. Whether he liked it or not, Frieza was listening to his brother's advice. He was adapting and learning the longer the fight dragged on. Frieza grabbed onto Goku, squeezing with all his might. Frieza laughed. He was going to squash the life out of him. The Saiyan screamed in pain as his bones started to crack. Vegeta was starting to sweat. Should he intervene? No, not yet. He trusted Kakarot's abilities. He could win this battle. Almost as if in response to this thought, Goku clenched his teeth. He elbowed Frieza straight into the gut, pounding him mercilessly, leaving Frieza gasping for air. The villain let go of Goku, as the Saiyan immediately followed up with a point-blank Gallic gun. It connected with Frieza, who was sent hurling into the heavens in a bright purple light. For a moment, Cooler thinks his brother is dead, sighing in disappointment. However, Goku suddenly looked up to the sky as the clouds turned dark. Lightning was crackling wildly in every direction, as something large was heading straight towards the planet. No, it was several massive objects. Goku and Vegeta couldn't believe what they were seeing. A massive meteor shower heading towards the planet. Frieza laughed maniacally as he floated down from the parting sky. He'd like to see the monkeys survive this attack. With a wave of his hand, Frieza sent the meteors rocketing toward the targets. Vegeta and Goku charged up their ki, as the older Saiyan warned Goku that if any of them hit the planet, Earth is doomed. Standing back to back, The pair fire a ki volley directly at the meteor storm, blasting them into smithereens. Not even a single piece would be allowed to strike Earth. Nearby, the Z-Fighters helped everyone escape. None of the civilians would be harmed. As they finished rescuing the last group of Frieza Force captives, including Roshi, Gohan, Yamcha, Bulma, and Chi-Chi, they noticed not only the Saiyans' ki soaring, but also the meteors in the sky. Even Gohan and Trunks noticed them, all the way in Korin's tower. Quickly, all of them launched their own attacks. Roshi and Gohan fire Kamehamehas. Chi-Chi and Bulma searched for cover. Little Gohan and Trunks launched their own attacks at the meteors. They knew they had to help too. Even Raditz fired a double Sunday at the sky. He had no intention of dying here. But as all of them were destroyed, one last meteor, far larger than any other, was heading towards Mount Paotsu. The two brothers stood back to back once again, charging their ki to the max, cupping their hands and shouting in unison, Kamehameha! The double blast struck the flaming meteor as it appeared to break apart. However, Frieza wasn't going to sit back and let those measly Saiyans win. Roaring at the top of his lungs, Frieza prepared a massive death ball, launching the attack behind the meteor. Vegeta yells out at Kakarot that they need to put everything into this attack, screaming that they won't allow Frieza to destroy their world. The brothers pour every ounce of ki into their Kamehamehas as the two beams swirl together, becoming one. Sandwiched in between the blasts, the meteor disintegrates into ashes. The Brotherhood Kamehameha is strong enough to push back the death ball, sending it straight back into space as it explodes. The shockwave created shakes the entire Earth, even destroying some cities. Goku and Vegeta are knocked out of the sky and sent crashing back down into the ground, straight into the rubble of the castle. Goku and Vegeta stand back up, triumphantly, but exhausted. Vegeta approached the defeated Frieza, who's struggling to stand. The Emperor can only bite his tongue as the Prince approaches him.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. This is your fate, Frieza. This is always what was going to happen to you. Or hubris and delusions of grandeur have left you a broken man. You're an ant beneath our boots. Us, the mere Saiyans you hated so much.
Extends out his hand, a ki ball forming in his hand.
This is for the Saiyan race, for our fathers, for our pride. Any last words, Frieza? This is impossible!
Shut it, Frieza!
It all happened in a single moment, before either of them could act. Two death beams pierced through Goku and Vegeta, blood coughed up as the two drop out of Super Saiyan. Frieza looks shocked as an imposing, familiar figure descends overhead.
I always knew you were a disappointment, baby brother. But this is just embarrassing. I think you were utterly humiliated by these ridiculous baboons. Our forces are annihilated, your home base in shambles, and for what? So you could get clowned on by these filthy monkeys. You bring shame to our clan's name, Frieza. As I had thought, you're a poor excuse for a ruler and a poorer excuse for a fighter. The universe doesn't need a pathetic imposter like you. It needs a true ruler. One that has the strength and the constitution to lead it. The Frieza Force and the Saiyan race shall end today. Your deaths shall become the first step of my ascension, for the Cooler Force to reign supreme. You should feel honored. You lot shall be the first, and soon to be the last, to witness my ultimate transformation.
Cooler's ki skyrockets as his transformation begins, bulking up massively, a blade-like protrusion extending on his arms.
Now then, ready to kneel?
Frieza is flabbergasted. He thought he was the strongest in the universe, yet his older brother had found a way to access the fifth form? He had no words. He merely looked on from the ground below in fear. Raditz too is shocked. It was a fool to think that Kakarot and his prince could win, and that the Saiyan race could be free. They were so close to beating Frieza, but neither Goku nor Vegeta would go down without a fight, powering back into Super Saiyan and launching themselves towards Cooler. But despite their second wind, the Saiyans are exhausted and hurt. If they worked together, perhaps they could defeat Cooler, but Cooler knew this. He never intended on letting them live. He was using the Saiyans as mere weapons to aim at his brother. Knowing that the Saiyans couldn't back down from a fight, Cooler knew these Super Saiyans would battle Frieza to death. Either the Saiyans killed Frieza or Frieza killed them. Either way, Cooler won. As Cooler grabbed Goku by the head and slammed him deep into the ground, Vegeta pointed out his fingers and fired multiple ki blasts, but Cooler simply rushed forward while still holding onto Goku. Punching Vegeta in the gut, he grabbed Vegeta's neck with his tail, throwing both Saiyans to the side before rising up. An eruption of ki ravaged the land, seemingly consuming the Saiyans and exposing the magma beneath. What remained of the castle collapsed into the bubbling lava. Frieza stands back up from the rubble as Cooler laughs triumphantly. His brother turned to Frieza, telling him that now that the Saiyans are gone, he was next. But from the corner of his eye, Cooler spots something moving below. Laying on the edge of a rock formation inches away from the boiling lava was a barely conscious Goku and Vegeta. Cooler grits his teeth. No wonder Frieza had a hard time exterminating these Saiyans. They were cockroaches. But as Cooler prepares his final attack, he's suddenly tackled by an unknown red blur. The force of the impact was very strong, and it managed to crack Cooler's head shape, leaving him winded. Cooler turns back to face a little boy with a tail.
Leave my dad and uncle alone! I'll never forgive you!
Cooler holds onto his chest, bursting his aura, as he realizes there was another Saiyan out there. Because of the humiliation, he was going to make sure this kid had a painful death. As Cooler and Gohan begin to fight, Trunks and the rest of the Z fighters arrive to lend their help, including their own masters and Yamcha. They knew Cooler couldn't be trusted. Cooler yells out, calling for his armored squadron, and in an instant, his 3 royal soldiers appear in the battlefield, telling them to attack the Earthlings. The Saiyans were his to dispose of. The squadron fought back against the Z fighters, and Raditz looked over to Gohan. Despite being such a young kid, he was able to reach a power that rivaled Cooler's for a second there. However, whatever massive power-up he had tapped into was fleeting. It was dropping fast. Piccolo saw this as well and told Gohan to wait. He was going to help, but he was stabbed from behind by Salsa, telling the Namekian that death would come for them both soon. Raditz shook his fist, biting his lip hard. It bled. No, he wouldn't allow his race to face the end like this. He refused! Ever since becoming Frieza's personal punching bag, he vowed to himself that he would never feel weak or helpless again. Even if he died here, he'd at least die fighting. With true Saiyan grit, just as his father and his people wanted, Raditz rushed in. As Cooler held up the beaten Gohan by the neck, to finish him off, Raditz fired a powerful Saturday Crush directly at Cooler. The blast hits, and it actually managed to hurt Cooler quite a bit, dropping Gohan in the process. Raditz rushed in, saying that he was the opponent now. Cooler was getting sick and tired of the Saiyans. Raditz was a Saiyan, Gohan was a Saiyan, Goku was a Saiyan. Were there any other Saiyans he should know about? Far, far away, a Saiyan named Broly sneezed. But back on Earth, Krillin and Tien struggled against the grappler door. Trunks charged forward with a somersault kick to the back of the soldier's head. Tien took the opportunity to use the Sword Flare, blinding Door as he yelled at Trunks to help out his dad and Goku. Trunks nods, flying off, but Door roars, yells out that he's not going anywhere. He attempts to chase down Trunks as 3 flying discs head towards him. A couple miss, but the last one slices him into several pieces. Krillin grins. His training finally paid off. Nace, who was fighting Yamcha, saw the retreating child and tried to blast him down. However, Tien intercepted the attack and redirected it back to Nace. The alien screamed in pain as he was completely electrocuted, getting fried in the process. While attempting to land a single slash at Roshi and Grandpa Gohan, Salsa looked over to see the death of Nace. His scouter couldn't pick up Door either. Were they both defeated? Shouting at Lord Cooler that the armored squad was suffering casualties. He requested a tactical retreat, but Piccolo stood behind him.
Oh, you're not going anywhere.
Salsa spun around, panicking, but the Namekian simply grabbed his hand while placing his own hand on his chest and blasting him off, completely incinerating Salsa. Nearby, as the bloodied and beaten Gohan and Raditz stand together, Cooler, the tyrant, notices the Z fighters start to approach them. Cooler demands to know where his elite soldiers are, but Piccolo simply grins. They were all in hell, and he'd be joining them soon. Cooler is enraged. These lower life forms were capable of taking out his armored squadron. Piccolo retorts that they are Earthlings, and they would defeat him here and now. But one by one, the Z fighters fell. No matter what they tried, they couldn't beat down Cooler. Kamehamehas, Destructo Disc, Kohos, Gallic guns, and spatial beam cannons, it didn't matter. Cooler would simply tank them all. All this while, Trunks was busy trying to find his father and uncle. He could barely feel their ki. Meanwhile, Frieza was still down on the ground watching the battle, struggling with his emotions. He was humiliated by these filthy Saiyans, the Earthlings, and now his brother. Cooler had played him like a fiddle. He treated him as a pawn, a stepping stone for his own ambitions. How dare he? The audacity. Who cares if his brother had a 5th form? It didn't matter. He was an emperor, and his rage would not be denied. Frieza stood up, sparking his aura. The nearby lava flared up and erupted into giant plumes in response to Frieza's rising power.
I am the strongest in the universe. You horrible excuse for a brother. You shall die by my hand!
Frieza pulled back his hand, gathering all of his ki and firing it right back to his brother. Piccolo and Raditz barely got away as Cooler's eyes widened, the bright blast consuming him before exploding. Frieza smiled sadistically. Cooler still stood. He was covered in scratches and dust. The attack had done a great deal of damage. Cooler was absolutely livid. He should have killed Frieza where he stood. It is finally time to prove once and for all who is the strongest in the family. There was only room for one Emperor. Frieza and Cooler clashed, their strikes sending shockwaves across the planet. Entire mountains and forests were crushed from the pressure of their attacks. Piccolo yelled at Krillin to use this opportunity to take care of the injured fighters, gathering them and flying away. Piccolo was nervous. If they didn't do something soon, the planet would be destroyed by their battle. Finally, Trunks flies over the bellowing magma, where he finds the limp bodies of his father and uncle. Trunks checks on their bodies. They were still alive, but barely. Trunks took out the final senzu bean given to him earlier by Korin at the tower, splitting it in half and giving it to each of them. The pair could barely chew it, but they were able to narrowly swallow it, their eyes widening as a massive pillar of golden light shot past the clouds. This instantly stopped the fight between the evil brothers, looking on in horror as the man with golden hair took silent walk towards them. For the first time in his life, Cooler felt fear as Cooler turned to his brother, begging him to stop their sibling squabble immediately so they could team up against the Super Saiyans. This was their only chance to survive. Frieza gritted his teeth. He despised the idea of working alongside his arrogant brother, but he knew he was right. If they wanted any hope of defeating those monkeys, he needed his help. Goku and Vegeta stand face to face against Frieza and Cooler. Goku looked around, saying that their time is over as he watches the flames consume Earth. He will give them one last chance to leave Earth and never return. Goku and Vegeta get into their battle stance as Frieza and Cooler look on. Silence filled the air until a giant pillar of magma erupted between the four. Without a word, the two pairs of brothers charged towards one another. Their bond was forged in the heart of battle many times. It's a bond that is simply unbreakable. Frieza and Cooler have no hope of overcoming it. But Frieza and Cooler's power was slowly draining as they used all their skills. Cooler realized that it's over. There's no hope of winning unless Cooler attempts to charge up a supernova in a final attempt to destroy Earth. The alien juggernaut laughs maniacally, telling the Saiyans to say goodbye to the planet. Vegeta rushes towards it and punches a hole straight into Cooler's stomach. Frieza's eyes widened as he attempts to fire Ki Blast at Vegeta, but Goku appears in front of Frieza and breaks his hand. Vegeta whispers in Cooler's ear that his greatest mistake was underestimating the Saiyan race, finally blasting a hole straight through Cooler as the Emperor coughs up blood as he begins to lose control of the Ki Sphere. As it begins to come towards Earth, Goku flies up while holding onto Frieza, kicking the supernova up to the sky and throwing the Emperor along with it as Vegeta throws Cooler. The two evil brothers slam into the supernova out in space. Goku and Vegeta stand next to each other, the two of them standing back to back, pointing their fingers up and saying,
Jackpot!
As dirty fireworks erupt, as the supernova erupts into dirty fireworks, and the Cooler brothers along with it. It was finally over. Earth was saved, and the Saiyans avenged. Goku and Vegeta reunite with their friends and family who congratulate them on their victory. However, along with them was a single person who stood out from the rest, Raditz. Goku approaches him, telling him that he knows he fought Cooler in defense of Earth. Raditz snorts in disgust, spitting at the ground, as he corrects his foolish brother. He wasn't trying to protect anyone, he simply fought that fool for his own survival. Goku smiles. Sure, whatever he says. Goku looks at Vegeta for a moment, as he gives Raditz an offer to stay on Earth. For a moment, Raditz stays quiet. It looks like he might take the offer, but he chuckles. No, there's nothing on this planet for him. He initially came to this planet to find his little brother, but apparently he already had an older brother to take care of him. He didn't need Raditz. He never has, and he probably never will. Raditz says this with a twinge of sadness in his voice, but before Goku can say anything else, Raditz turns away. He adds that he'll be leaving with the rest of the Frieza Force. The next time they meet, he won't be so kind. He'll get stronger and discover how to become a Super Saiyan himself. Goku and Vegeta smile as they tell Raditz that they'll look forward to it. Without another word, Raditz flies away. After the battle, the remaining Frieza Force soldiers along with Raditz retreat back into space as Earth started to be rebuilt, thanks to the power of the Dragon Balls, along with everyone else being revived. The Z-Fighters congratulated themselves on saving Earth as Bulma holds the party at Capsule Corp. Goku says that he's proud of little Gohan for standing up and protecting Earth. He thinks he might be stronger than him someday. Vegeta butts in, saying that Trunks was just as impressive, if not more so. Goku and Vegeta start arguing over whose son is the strongest, as Vegeta vows to train Trunks to become stronger than Gohan. Trunks gives a bright smile as Gohan looks down timidly. Everyone laughs, and Earth enjoys its first taste of peace since the invasion. However, not everything is as it seemed. It wasn't just the Frieza Force that had retreated from Earth. On a Frieza Force spaceship, Kikono approaches Commander Sorbet. He reports on massive amounts of losses the Force had suffered from both the destruction of Frieza Planet 79 and the failed invasion of Earth. Zarbon, Dodoria, the Ginyu Force, Lord Frieza, and more than half of the army soldiers were gone. How could this happen? Sorbet asked himself, slamming his fist down. Barry Blue walks into the room, stating that this is merely a minor setback. Their invasion of Earth wasn't a complete loss. They did receive an interesting new ally who has some very intriguing news for them. From the shadows, Dr. Gero enters the room. He states that with his knowledge of cybernetics and resources from the Frieza Force, he'd be more than glad to create an army of androids to replenish the ranks of the Force. Sorbet is intrigued after reading the report regarding Gero in 19. It seemed like that impressive machine was stronger than even the Ginyu Force. But what truly delights Sorbet and Barry Blue is two liquid tubes being floated up to the room. Frieza and Cooler, gravely injured, missing limbs and other body parts, but alive. Gero promised Sorbet to work alongside their scientists. With their genius, they'll be able to rebuild the Lords, even stronger than before. Sorbet is glad to have him in his ranks. But as the alien scientists continue to work, Gero quietly leaves to enter a private room, hidden away from the rest of the Force. Gero has a computer he programmed working on a secret project. Gero chuckled to himself. With all the data gathered from those aliens, especially Frieza and Cooler, and those Super Saiyans, Gero has everything he needs to create the ultimate android. The red ribbon would rise again. When it does, it would mean the end of Goku and Vegeta. He looks up at the incubator pod as a single fetus floats in the green liquid.
I look forward to seeing you very soon, Cell.
It has been a few months since the defeat of Cooler and the Frieza Force. The Z-Fighters have finally returned to a sense of normalcy, at least as normal as it can get for them. Goku and Vegeta continue their training on Mount Paozu. They had been training their entire lives for the sole purpose of defeating Frieza, but now that he was gone, they needed a new purpose to fight, and they found that purpose in each other. These two brothers created a new goal for themselves: train and better themselves, so that they might fight each other again someday, to prove who is the better warrior. However, the pair don't train by themselves. Gohan and Trunks accompany them to Mount Paozu, where they receive guidance from not only their fathers, but Grandpa Gohan and Piccolo. A while back, Piccolo had arrived to face off against Goku and Vegeta, but after seeing Trunks and Gohan's sloppy fighting during their sparring match, he decided his time would be better spent whipping these kids back into shape. Little Gohan was drawn to his great-grandfather's kind words, while Trunks was drawn to Piccolo's harsh training regimens. Yet, the boys loved them greatly. It was during one of these training sessions that Grandpa Gohan heads out to take a quick break. Everyone stopped what they were doing. A chill went down their spines, sweat dripped from their faces. Gohan and Trunks turned to their fathers, asking them if they felt the same. There was an evil key as Piccolo grits his teeth. It felt familiar. This couldn't be Frieza and Cooler, could it? Vegeta breaks his cup of tea in frustration. He knew who this was. This wasn't either of those bastards. It was their father, King Cold. Vegeta cursed under his breath. He was a fool for thinking Cold wouldn't be after them. Goku put his hand on Vegeta, telling him to calm down. They needed to meet up with the others, fast. Vegeta nodded and told the boys to stay behind, but they refused. They wanted to fight as well. Piccolo reminded the boys that this would be dangerous, but the resolve did not waver. Goku chuckled. They were acting like true Saiyans, alright. They could use as much help as they could get. And so Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Trunks, and Piccolo fly up to the sky, blasting off as Grandpa Gohan wishes them good luck. The heroes reunite with the other Z-Fighters near a wasteland as they wait for the threat. Yamcha comments on how they need a break. This is their third alien invasion in a row. Sure enough, the Frieza Force mothership touched down on the grounds as they all lined up, From out of the ship descended none other than King Cold. There was no doubt about it. He was somehow far stronger than Frieza and cooler. Vegeta doesn't understand how this is possible. Everything he had heard about King Cold seemed to indicate that he was weaker than his sons. The monarch greets the Z Fighters, thanking them for granting him an audience in such short notice. He introduced himself while complimenting the Earthlings in killing his sons. However, King Cold's smile was quickly replaced with a look of pure anger. His condescending tone changed as he tells these lower life forms that seeing his precious boys being maimed so horribly made him desire one thing: revenge. Revenge for what they did to his boys, and for dishonoring his clan. For that, they would die. Sweat falls down Vegeta's face as he shakes his head. Even if him and Kakarot used all their power, they wouldn't be enough. The Z Fighters prepared to battle to the death. But before they could take another step, a mysterious figure appears atop of the rock formation, jumping up and slamming down between the heroes. It was a young girl with blue hair and a Capsule Corp jacket with a sword. For a moment, Goku and Vegeta mistake this stranger for Bulma. King Cold asks who she is, as she says that she will defeat him. King Cold simply laughed. The stranger smiles directly at King Cold. She roars as a golden aura sparks around her. Everyone looked in shock. The mysterious stranger turned into a Super Saiyan. Without wasting any time, she decimates the Frieza Force soldiers and quickly defeats King Cold. The king cried out that this wasn't meant to happen. The doctor promised that he'd be strong enough to kill those blasted Saiyans. The stranger admits that she doesn't care what he has to say, using the sword to slice the king into pieces and blasting him away. The Z Fighters look on in awe. Goku asks Vegeta if he knew the other Saiyan, but Vegeta has no clue. He thought they were the only Saiyans left besides Raditz. The mystery girl powers down and introduces herself to the Z Fighters, shaking everyone's hand and telling them she's a huge fan. Krillin asks how she knows them, but she ignores the question. Tien points out that she's wearing a Capsule Corp jacket, and he's ignored as well. Yamcha looks at her carefully, complimenting her on her style and hair. This actually gets a reaction out of her, as she brags about how it took her hours to make her hair look this good. Gohan looks in awe. He thought she was really cool. In contrast, Trunks just shrugs. Yeah, she was strong, but kind of annoying. After rambling on about her hair, the mystery girl finally remembers what she was here to do. She asks to speak to Goku privately about something, far away from the group. She introduces herself as Bra, and she's a traveler from the future, Vegeta and Bulma's daughter. Goku was surprised, but it made sense. Bra only had one reason to be there. She traveled through time to warn them of a great evil. 3 years from now, a pair of androids would appear to kill all of the Z Fighters. Her father and uncle would die of a heart virus shortly before the attack. Without them, the Earth's defenders quickly fell. Her mother always believed that if Goku and Vegeta were alive, they would have been able to stop these androids. After handing over the medicine and telling him to make his dad drink it as well, she disappears in a time machine. But before she does, she turns around to hug Goku, telling her uncle that she's glad to finally meet him. Goku hugs her back, and she promises to return in 3 years. Naturally, everyone has a lot of questions for Goku. Thankfully, Piccolo had overheard the conversation, and he explained to everyone the Traveler's warning. Vegeta can't believe that a lousy heart virus denied him the chance of facing this new challenge. He and Kakarot would survive this time. They would be the ones to turn those machines into scrap. And so, a new period of training begins, as Bulma prepares a gravity chamber for the Z Fighters. Gohan and Trunks are the ones to improve the most, with Trunks greatly enjoying it, unlike Gohan, who was a little bit more timid about battles, though everyone around them was aware of just how much potential Gohan had. Soon enough, 3 years passed on by. The Z Fighters reunited on a cliff overlooking a massive city. When Trunks and Vegeta arrive, everyone is surprised to not only see Bulma, but also a baby she's holding. Well, everyone except Goku. Goku's happy to see little Bra, but Bulma is suspicious. How did Goku know her daughter's name? Goku nervously tries to back off the question. The Z Fighters spring into action, leaping off a cliff and flying towards an explosion. Vegeta gives the boys a mission to keep Bulma and Bra safe. It doesn't take long for Yamcha to spot two familiar figures. Before he can yell out, an invisible force holds his mouth shut. As he is lifted to the sky, two mysterious voices ring out across the city, cutting through the silence like a knife.
Oh, what a delectable creature we have here. He's one of Goku's friends, I take it. What should we do with him, brother? I want to keep him. You know we can't allow any of those Saiyans and their allies to live. Not after what they did to us. Fine, very well, do what you will.
The Z Fighters sense this energy drop. They gather together to find not only a dying Yamcha, but Frieza and Cooler standing before them. They look different than before, mechanical parts protruding from their faces, arms, and legs, and their ki was non-existent. The Z-Fighters look in complete shock and anger. Vegeta's ki breaks out around him as he demands to know how the hell they survived. Frieza chuckles. It was delightful to see that these monkeys are still as crude and crass as ever. He explains that after their previous battle, they floated in space, barely clinging to life. However, they were found by their loyal soldiers and, after years of cybernetic enhancements, they were rebuilt to be stronger than they had ever been before. Cooler smiles maliciously, declaring that they had returned to seek revenge. Vegeta steps forward, ready to fight, but Goku puts a hand on his shoulder. He wanted to fight first. Frieza likewise asks to be able to challenge the monkeys first, and Cooler obliged. Goku requests that they move the fight somewhere else, where no one else can get hurt, but Frieza shrugs his shoulders. Why bother doing that when they could just clear the board? Without warning, Frieza blasts down towards the city, releasing a massive explosion as the Z-Fighters try to get away from the blast. In that single moment, the entire city is reduced to ash. Goku is enraged, bursting into Super Saiyan. Without another word, the two clash. The battle is so intense it threatens to destroy the island. Vegeta and Cooler watch on, analyzing the battle. It seems as though Goku and Frieza's power are dead even. It was so close, it was impossible to tell who had the upper hand. But the turning point came when, as he attempted to charge a Kamehameha, Goku started to cough violently. He fell onto one knee, gripping his chest. Frieza took this opportunity to charge in and pummel our hero. The Z-Fighters watched on in disbelief. Something was wrong with Goku. Vegeta suddenly realized what was going on. The heart virus. Not wanting his brother to be beaten to a pulp, Vegeta transformed into Super Saiyan and rushed forward. However, he suddenly stopped by Cooler. It looked like he wouldn't allow anyone to interfere with Frieza's fight. As Vegeta battles Cooler, Frieza continues to pummel Goku into the ground. Goku falls out of Super Saiyan, gasping for air as Frieza pulls him up with his tail. Frieza is ready to kill Goku, but a sword swings down, cutting through Frieza's tail. He screams in pain as everyone turns around to see the golden hair of the time traveler. Goku coughs, thinking bra. Vegeta's eyes widened. Did you just say bra? The swordsman facepalms. It looks like the jig is up. She turns to face Frieza and Cooler as Vegeta stands beside her. He scolds Bra, demanding to know why she didn't tell them that Frieza and Cooler were the androids. But she shakes her head. These were not the androids from her future. As the Z-Fighters are felt reeling from this shocking revelation, the Cold Brothers merely look on in annoyance. Another Super Saiyan. They were reproducing like rabbits. Bra snickers, telling these overgrown lizards that she's going to take them down. After all, she already took care of their father. The Cold's eyes widened. This must be the one who killed him then. This insolence will not stand. It was another family brawl, a father and a daughter versus two brothers. Vegeta noted that this future Bra was definitely stronger than she was the last time they saw her. But for now, Cooler seemed to still be in his fourth form. If he transformed beyond that, they'd be doomed. Krillin pulled Goku away from the fight, giving him a senzu bean. That didn't cure the virus. It only seemed to make things worse. Vegeta yells out to Tien they needed to fall back. The Triclops nods, and with Krillin's help, they perform a double solar flare, blinding Cooler and Frieza, giving the Z-Fighters enough chance to escape. Once their vision cleared, the Z-Fighters were gone, but Cooler told Frieza not to fret. They will catch up to them, and the Z-Fighters will suffer a fate worse than death. They fly up to the sky, a pair of death beams being formed. With a casual flick of their fingers, they hurl it at the island beneath them, decimating it. Many miles away, the Z-Fighters regroup with Roshi, Bulma, and Trunks. Chi-Chi and Gohan then arrive with the hard medicine that Goku hadn't taken. Vegeta stomps over to Chi-Chi, snatching the hard medicine, going up to Goku and shoving it down his throat. He was extremely upset. The others try to pull Vegeta off, as he curses wildly at Kakarot for being such a colossal idiot. Future Bra laughs loudly, wiping a tear from her eye. She hadn't laughed this much in years.
Alright, Daddy, that's enough. I'm pretty sure Uncle Goku learned his lesson.
Future Bra puts her hands over her mouth, as everyone besides Piccolo and Vegeta gasp. Vegeta quickly clears up the misunderstanding, revealing to everyone that this time traveler was actually his daughter from the future. Bulma looks at her up and down, before exclaiming happily that she's glad to have raised such a cute girl. She definitely has her mom's sense of style. As Goku rests upstairs, Bra explains everything. In her timeline, only a few weeks after she was born, her father and uncle died from a heart virus. At the time, there was no cure, so there was nothing they could do. Her mother theorized that perhaps the heart virus originated from Mount Paozu, but there was never a definitive confirmation. 6 months after the deaths, 2 androids suddenly appeared, named 17 and 18. The twins killed off the remaining Z-Fighters and laid waste to humanity. Even a resistance force led by Master Roshi and Grandpa Gohan couldn't do anything against the overwhelming power, dying as well. With Piccolo dead, Kami was gone, which meant no Dragon Balls. The only Z-Fighters left were Bulma, Gohan, Trunks, and Bra. Gohan and Trunks spent many years training Bra, while they tried their best to protect what was left of humanity. At first, Bra didn't want to train or fight. All she wanted to do was stay with her mother and learn how to design clothes. But over time she realized that this world was not meant for that. She needed to learn how to protect her mother in case anything happened to the other 2 Saiyans. Bra started to see Trunks and Gohan as father figures, and they were both very protective of her. One day, when she was only 14 years old, Gohan and Trunks decided to confront the androids one last time, after many years of training. Bra was excited, she really thought they could do it. But once it came time for the confrontation, Bra watched in awe, and witnessed Gohan and Trunks fight for the fate of the world. They seemed to be equal to the androids in terms of strength, and they had an unbreakable bond. They fought for what seemed like hours on end, and it seemed like they won. Bra comes out of hiding, ready to celebrate. However, Trunks' eyes widen as he yelled at her to run away. Before she has a chance to react, Bra is grabbed by a massive tail with a stinger. A menacing monster unlike anything they had ever seen before appeared, demanding to know what happened to androids 17 and 18. Gohan yelled at the monster to let Bra go, that they were just defeated. Enraged, the android threw Bra towards the ruins of a haunted house attraction, knocking her out. She had no idea how long she was unconscious for. All she knew was that when she woke up, she couldn't sense anyone nearby. She crawled out of the wreckage, looking around the destroyed amusement park, screaming out for Gohan and Trunks until she found them. In the pouring rain, she discovered the bodies of her masters, her brother and her cousin, the people she loved most in the world. Consumed by overwhelming grief, Bra screamed out, pushing her to achieve Super Saiyan. But Bra didn't care anymore. Gohan and Trunks were dead. What was she supposed to do now? Over the next few years, Bra continued to train, as her mother developed a time machine. Bra was the only protector of Earth now, rescuing any survivor she could from that demon that killed her family. She never learned the creature's name, origins, nor purpose. It simply roamed the wastelands, devouring any creature it came across. Until finally Bulma finished the time machine, and she vowed to bring back hope. Back in the present, the Z-Fighters stayed quiet upon hearing Bra's story. Bulma cries softly, rushing to hug her daughter. To everyone's surprise, Gohan, Trunks, and even Vegeta come in to comfort Bra. Krillin was the first to speak up, asking if this monster was Frieza or cooler. Bra shakes her head. No, this creature was nothing like them. It was a large, bug-like creature with green skin and wings. He had a stinger, and it would use it to drink people. However, the strangest thing about the beast was its ki. Bra could swear she could sense ki of multiple different people within it. She couldn't tell who they were at the time, but now that she's in the past, she could tell whose energy she sensed. Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Frieza, Cooler, and King Cold. She recognized those key signatures as the ones she felt inside that monster. Krillin gulps as Piccolo grits his teeth. So, not only do they have to deal with Frieza, Cooler, and those two other androids, but there's a monster that could show up at any point that's stronger than any of them. He stands up, declaring that he can't just sit around and wait. Bra asks how they can possibly stand up against them, as Piccolo looks over to Vegeta. It was time to tell them about the Room of Spirit and Time. After leaving behind Goku at Kami House to rest, the Z Fighters head over to Kami's lookout. Kami's well aware of the reason why they're there, as Popo leads them to the time chamber. According to him, only 2 people can enter at once, as there's only enough supplies for a pair. Vegeta scoffs, so this is how he and Kakarot improved so quickly back then. Without hesitation, Vegeta grabs little Trunks as he tells his son they'll be going in first. Before Trunks can even protest, Vegeta was already dragging him into the room. As the Z Fighters wait for Vegeta and Trunks to finish their training, Piccolo approaches Kami. He asks how the old god knows. Kami looks at Piccolo, letting him know that he's been ready to merge for a while. He's known for a long time that Piccolo's heart had changed. Goku and Vegeta helped him turn into a good person. Piccolo scowls, placing his hand on Kami's chest as he yells at him to get this over with. Kami chuckles. It was finally time to reunite. The 2 Namekians merged together, reforming into the ancient Namekian of old. The Z Fighters are shocked by this. This wasn't just Piccolo or Kami, it was completely new and so powerful. Although everyone calls him Piccolo from now on. The Namekian then senses a horrifying power. Piccolo was able to detect the faint remnants of Cooler and Frieza's ki. They weren't completely mechanized after all. But what concerned Piccolo the most, however, was where they were heading, Kami House, right towards Goku. Realizing that there wasn't any more time to waste, Piccolo yells at everyone to stay put. He was heading over to Kami House quickly. As Roshi, Grandpa Gohan, and Chi-Chi ask what's happening, Piccolo yells at them on the carpet as Popo had teleported over to them, getting Goku and teleporting out of there. Popo returns to the lookout with the others as the Z Fighters gather together. What are they going to do now? Simply wait until Vegeta finishes training and Piccolo fights Frieza and Cooler alone? Tien is frustrated, but it's Bra who feels truly useless. They have to act. It's at that point when Bulma remembers something important. The 2 androids from Bra's story, 17 and 18. The person who built them was Dr. Gero, right? Bra nods, and Bulma snaps her fingers. If that's true, then she knows where his lab might be. Bra stands up with excitement. This might be their chance. If the androids aren't activated, and are still in Gero's lab, then they have a chance to stop them without even having to fight. This is a huge risk, however. Who knows if those androids are active or not? Besides, she wants to visit the lab for herself. It's not like any of them besides Bulma can understand the notes. Gohan chimes in enthusiastically. He wants to come too. It's like going on an adventure. Reluctantly, Bra accepts, and Bulma pops out a capsule core plane. Eventually, they make their way to Gero's lab. After blasting down the door with a key blast, the trio are amazed at what they see. Several giant pods labeled with numbers, notes and documents scatter about, schematics for the androids, and one referencing a final project named Cell. Bulma is intrigued, and she begins to read them, while Gohan and Bra approach the pods. They discover a couple of them with people sleeping inside. One of them was a giant man she didn't recognize, but the other 2, Bra knew them all too well, androids 17 and 18. She begins to charge up a Gallic gun, but Bulma and Gohan tell her to wait. With these schematics, they can be reprogrammed. Bra wasn't listening, yelling out that these robots needed to be stopped. At the same time, Piccolo meditates at Kami House, concentrating deeply, when he hears the knock on the door. He approaches the door to meet face to face with Frieza and Cooler. Back at the lab, Bra is about to fire the key blast when several loud footsteps echo across the lab. Bra's eyes widen in fear. She recognizes those dreadful, damn footsteps. Bra, Bulma, and Gohan slowly turn around to see an old man and a massive green monster next to him. Bra shakes as she sees the creature next to Jiro. This was the monster that killed her masters. Jiro notices Bra's fearful expression, and he chuckles. Was she scared of his little creation? Well, she should be. This is the culmination of decades of research in bioengineering. This is his greatest creation. The bio-android created from cells from the greatest warriors in the universe. After experiencing the terrifying might of the androids, the Z-Fighters find themselves staring into the true face of evil. As Piccolo stands before the mechanized Frieza and Cooler, Bra and her family are cornered by Dr. Gero and his greatest weapon, the genetic abomination known as Cell. Can our heroes survive against these villainous machines and stop Cell from reaching his perfect form? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Piccolo stands tall, his warrior's soul unwavering, as he stares down Mecha Frieza and Cooler. After rescuing Goku and his friends with the help of Popo, Piccolo stayed behind at Kame House to confront the incoming threats. Despite assimilating with Kami and regaining all-told power, Piccolo wasn't sure if he could defeat both of those beasts. Yet, he still had to try. At the very least, he needed to buy enough time for Goku to heal from the heart virus, and for Vegeta to finish his training in the time chamber. Frieza cleared his throat, telling Piccolo that he doesn't want to repeat himself again. Where are Goku and Vegeta? Piccolo informs them that the two of them are busy right now, but he's more than enough to handle them both. Both Cooler and Frieza chuckle, asking what a Namekian like him thinks he can do. In a flash, Piccolo bulks up as he bursts his aura open, stretching out his hands and firing a massive eruption of ki. The blast is so sudden and massive, it catches the pair off guard as they are sent hurling across the sea and crashing to a far-off island. Piccolo flies over to them, arriving just as the island cracks and shatters. Frieza hovers over the water, wiping off dust from his shoulders.
Before I rip your throat out, I wanted to ask you a question. Why do you care? Why does a Namekian such as yourself care about these brutish simians? To the point you would risk your own miserable life?
I owe these two Saiyans everything. Vegeta raised me and Goku taught me that vengeance is not the path of a true warrior. I may be a Namekian, but I have the spirit of a Saiyan. For all the Saiyans and races that have suffered by your hands, I will end you both, right here, right now.
I'd like to see you try, Slugman.
We'll enjoy bathing in your blood.
Piccolo roars as he charges at the sibling emperors. Their fists clash. Meanwhile, far away in the mountains, the Z-Fighters look on in terror. They were so close to destroying the androids that had destroyed future Bra's world, but they were stopped by the sudden arrival of Dr. Gero and the monstrous Cell. The immense power emanating from this creature was enough to send waves of fear through Bra, little Gohan, and Bulma. However, Bra grits her teeth as she demands Gero tell her what they're doing there. Gero chuckles, offering to humor these fools before they are wiped out. Years ago, Gero was discovered by the Frieza Force when they invaded Earth. In order to pay for his life, the Doctor decided to join the Emperor and assist him in the invasion. When Frieza and Cooler were defeated, Gero retreated along with the rest of the Force. He spent the last few years repairing and upgrading the Cold Clan with cybernetics. However, in secret, Gero was developing Cell with the data of the universe's strongest warriors, in order to get revenge on Vegeta for destroying the Red Ribbon Army. It took a long time, but the ultimate android was born. His name was Cell, yet he still wasn't perfect. In order to obtain his perfect form and access his full potential, Cell needed to absorb two other androids, 17 and 18. Unfortunately, they were still locked away back in his lab on Earth. And so Gero awakened Cell, massacring the remaining Frieza Force within the ship and traveling back home. Now there would be no one to stop him, from accomplishing their grand plans. Cell stepped forward, his tail waving in the air as he asks Bra and the others if they could be as kind as to move out of the way. He's just so excited to see his siblings. Bra is terrified at seeing Cell, remembering how scared she was when she saw him in her timeline as a kid. However, she notices Gohan and Bulma are just as terrified. Bra decides that she can't show how scared she is in order to protect them both. Bra expands her ki, transforming into Super Saiyan and yelling at Cell to back off. If they won't, then she'll stop them in their tracks. Gero rubs his chin, curious about this strange transformation. Cell is enraged, hissing as his aura bubbles up. Gero stretches out his hand, ordering the android to attack. Bra orders Gohan to protect her mother as he rushes in to block Cell's incoming strikes. The battle is intense, with each blow shaking the lab and the mountains surrounding it. Bulma staggers, falling into one of the giant metal containers holding the androids. Bulma stands up, telling Gohan that they need to release these guys so they can get away from Cell. Gero looks over, panicking as he realizes what Bulma was about to do. He charges forward, aiming to grab her neck when Gohan dashes from side to side, kicking Gero in the face. He wouldn't allow him to hurt her. He promised that to Bra. The two Saiyans battle against the Doctor and his bioweapon while Bulma worked fast on opening the containers. Gero's absorption was irritating, but he wasn't that much of a challenge. It was Cell who was the real problem. His power was unreal, and he knew various techniques from the Z fighters. Bulma continues typing away at Gero's console until finally, one of them opens. From out of the chamber, Android 16 steps out. 16 scans his environment, turning to face Bulma and ask her where Son Goku and Vegeta are. It is his primary mission to exterminate them. Bulma sweats, pointing over at Cell as she says that he has the DNA of both Goku and Vegeta. He should fight that guy instead. 16 stares at Cell, scanning him, and he declares that this creature designated as Cell does indeed contain generic material from both. He looks over at Bulma, nodding, calmly stating that this fits his mission parameters. As Gohan exchanges blows with Gero, he's grabbed by Cell's tail. Gero laughs, placing his hand on Gohan's neck, absorbing his energy. Bra yells at the androids to get away, but as she prepares her sword to slice them, two fists fly past her, colliding with Gero and Cell and knocking them towards the nearby wall. Bra turns around to see Android 16. She didn't know anything about him. Bulma was surprised and satisfied with herself. Cell is enraged, but Gero is absolutely livid. He barks at 16, demanding to know what the meaning of this is. He commands him to stop. 16 stares calmly at the Doctor, explaining that he has designated the one known as Cell as a world-ending threat. For the sake of the planet, he must eliminate it. Bulma and the rest cheer for 16. Gero sweats nervously. No, his plan cannot end here. Gero uses all of his power to blast his lab into smithereens. The mountain is disintegrated as Bra and Gohan do their best to protect Bulma. Smoke and ash surround the area while the sea fighters look around. Where were they? Two loud noises similar to glass shattering echoes across the destruction as a bright light shines onto the sky. 16's voice rings out, yelling at the trio to stand back. Bra and Gohan shake in fear, with Gohan falling to the floor, his legs giving out. Cell's aura was so massive and intense, it parted the clouds of smoke and debris. Cell was different, sleeker, his appearance more humanoid. Next to Cell were the remnants of the two remaining pots, their latches broken open as Gero stood triumphantly. Perfect Cell was born. 16's voice snaps Gohan and Bra out of their fearful daze as he tells them that they have to escape. They have no hope of defeating Cell now, yet Cell looked at them smugly. He wouldn't allow them to leave without giving him a proper workout. 16, Bra, and Gohan try their best to contest against Perfect Cell, but their efforts are worthless. Cell was merely toying with them at this point. Bra and Gohan are smacked away with minimal effort as 16 grabs onto Cell and he attempts to self-destruct, yelling at the Z-Fighters to get away as he explodes into a giant fireball, completely annihilating the entire mountainside. Gohan cries out in despair. 16 was a good guy, he didn't deserve to die like this. However, despite 16's sacrifice, Cell survived. From only a torso, Cell manages to regenerate completely. Nothing could possibly stop him now. The Neo-Red Ribbon Army would take over the world. No, the entire universe. As Gero continues to rave like a madman, Cell simply sighs.
I grow tired of your incessant peddling. Did you really think you could control me?
What? Before Gero could even act, Cell punches a hole straight through the doctor. In an instant, Gero and his dreams for the Neo-Red Ribbon are no more. Cell is now fit to do as he wants, but he has to do something first. Looking over at the wounded Bra and Gohan, Bulma tries to flirt with Cell in an attempt to get him to leave them alone, but unsurprisingly it doesn't work. However, before Cell can fire a single ki blast, Bulma blurs out that killing them wouldn't mean anything. Cell asks what she means, and she struggles to come up with an argument. Sweating profusely, Bulma explains that eliminating weaklings like them wouldn't mean anything to someone as strong as him. He had Goku and Vegeta cells, right? Then that would mean he was looking for the strongest challenges out there, right? Cell is quiet, contemplating deeply, before speaking. She may have a point. Exterminating them would be too easy. It's like stomping an ant. Cell turns around, facing the sky.
Now that's what I'm talking about. There's some pretty large power levels thrashing around in that direction. Maybe they don't mind letting me join in the action.
Writing off the trio as a waste of time, Cell rises from the rubble and flies away, in search of a worthy combatant. Bulma falls to her knees, sighing in relief. They all felt powerless. Bulma told her daughter that it was okay to feel frustrated, but what matters most is that they're alive. As long as they're alive, there's a chance to make things right. Gohan and Bra are too tired and beaten to fly, so Bulma pulls out a capsule plane and the three board it. She remembers Piccolo, praying to whatever gods there may be that he gets out of this fight alive. Back on the island, Piccolo's battle against Frieza and Cooler rages on. Piccolo understands that despite his massive power boost, he just can't defeat the brothers in a battle of attrition. He uses many abilities like a Hellzone grenade in order to stay far away from them. Cooler's impressed, saying that this Namekian is putting up a better fight than the Saiyans. Frieza fires multiple death beams, redirecting them to destroy the floating Hellzone balls. Cooler goes in for an attack. Piccolo struggles to keep up. His worst fears were coming true. Not only was he tired now, but the enemy wasn't showing any signs of stopping. Right on cue, Cooler smirks as he mentions that he felt excited. Perhaps it would be time to show off his ultimate form. Piccolo knew he needed to do something drastic, fast. Piccolo charged his ki to the max, putting fingers together for one final attack. He wouldn't allow him to transform. But in the middle of the charge, Piccolo's ki suddenly drops. Cooler and Frieza looked puzzled, but they hear a chuckle from behind Piccolo. Perfect Cell. Cell introduces himself as he demands to see their full power, or else they'll die. Piccolo watches in disbelief as both brothers are unable to land a single strike on Cell. They're going to lose at this rate, and Earth will be doomed. Unless, as Cell is about to counterattack, he's hit in the forehead with a special beam cannon. It wasn't enough to pierce through his head. It only brought them some time.
Well, that was certainly a nice try. That actually stung a little. Frieza, Cooler, we have to work together.
What? That's ridiculous. We can fight this vermin on our own.
You don't understand. If we don't fight together now, we'll be wiped out in an instant.
Brother, it may be wise to listen to the slug man.
No, I refuse to work with trash. We're more than enough to destroy this bug.
Huh. We shall see, almighty Space Emperor.
Frieza bulks up to his full power as he rushes in to tackle Cell. However, he's immediately kicked in the gut and slaps down into the ocean. Cooler and Piccolo rush in together against Cell. They are no match against this demon. Even a point-blank light grenade does nothing, and the supernova gets smacked away into outer space. Cell cracks his neck, stating how boring this playdate was. Maybe the prince can give him a better match. Cell grins As Vegeta arrives in the battlefield with little Trunks, he had felt his ki. The prince asks who he is. He only came here for Frieza and Cooler, but this guy seems to be more of a challenge. Cell smiles, stating his origin and purpose. Vegeta smiles maliciously, saying with great satisfaction that he achieved his own version of perfection. Vegeta's power rises, his aura sparking golden. This was the pinnacle of Super Saiyan, mastered and refined to its greatest potential. This was the true Super Vegeta. Without a word, the two clashed. Vegeta struggles as Cell kicks him away. He wanted him to fight with everything he's got, or else. Vegeta's ki rises to its peak, yet despite dealing damage to Cell, it wasn't enough to finish him. Cooler weighs his options as the battle progresses.
Frieza, we have to work with the Saiyans.
What? No, I refuse.
For once, I agree with Cooler. Despite how violently Yelan makes me, we need each other to survive this time. I propose a temporary alliance. Once this cell creature is eradicated, we'll continue our crusade. But until then, our revenge will wait. Deal, Prince?
Deal.
With this new deadly alliance, they all collide against Cell. Trunks even joins in, unleashing his own Master Super Saiyan. But despite their best efforts, nothing could compete against Cell's immense power and regeneration. Cell walks over to Vegeta, placing his foot on his face as he was knocked down. He really thought he would find a good challenge on this planet. Was he wrong? Is there no one that could satisfy him? Vegeta coughs up blood, cursing at Cell and declaring that it's not over yet. Kakarot could heal soon, and he'd train. Cell thinks back to Bulma's words and smiles, taking his foot off of Vegeta and saying that they all get to live for now. The broken fighters pick themselves back up as they watch Cell fly away. Vegeta looks over at the Emperors, demanding to know if their truce still stands. Cooler nods. They have a place to go now. At the lookout, the Z fighters gather together, with Goku exiting the building, finally healed from the heart virus. Everyone is surprised to see Frieza and Cooler with Vegeta of all people. Bra has her sword drawn out, but Goku puts his hand on her shoulder. They could trust her dad's judgment. Goku walks up to Vegeta, glad to see him again. But his face turns solemn. He asks Vegeta if this Cell guy really is that scary, that he has to team up with Frieza and Cooler. Vegeta closes his eyes and sighs a yes. This Cell guy is unlike anything they've faced before. Goku chuckles. Vegeta tells his brother that they need to enter the chamber together. It's their only chance. Bra speaks up, requesting that she go in with her father, but Goku brings up a different idea. Why don't they all go in together? Vegeta asks if that's possible, and Popo chimes in. It will be fine as long as he prepares the necessary supplies. Frieza demands to know what this time chamber is, and Goku explains what it does. A room that manipulates time differently. Frieza and Cooler reject Goku's offer of training with them. They could never stoop as low as to train with these monkeys, although they both make sure to keep this room in mind. As everyone waits for Popo to supply the chamber, they listen to Bulma's portable TV, waiting to see the news about Cell. Sure enough, he hijacks the news station and announces the Cell games. If no one can beat him, he'll destroy the planet. Frieza and Cooler leave the lookout, telling everyone they're off to train for a few days. If anyone dares to interrupt them, they're going to die a gruesome death. Piccolo resolves to focus on meditation, while Bulma gives refined Saiyan armor to her family. Thus, Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Bra, and Trunks enter the time chamber. The Sun family spend their days catching up with Vegeta and Trunks, mastering Super Saiyan before their real training begins. The battles between Goku and Vegeta were so intense, it actually caused the time chamber to shake a few times. Bra is glad to spend time with her family since she never got a chance to in the future. She appreciates her father's fierce determination and her uncle's unwavering resolve. It was even nostalgic when Trunks taught her how to advance her Super Saiyan state, or when she saw Trunks and Gohan spar. This was the family she always wanted. One day later, the Saiyan family exit the chamber, their armors cracked and damaged. After reuniting with their friends and remaining family, they choose to relax for a few, the two families staying together. and during the time of relaxation, Goku and Vegeta talk amongst themselves. They still aren't sure if either of them are capable of beating Cell, but their kids? They've known for years the boys held great potential in their training, and this past session just confirmed it. If anyone can save the world from Cell, it would be them. Soon enough, the day of fate arrived. Gathering together at the Cell Games arena, with Cooler and Frieza's new power immediately catching their attention. Did they really get this powerful already? Mr. Satan was the only normal fighter during the games, but he was smacked away by Cooler's tail. He was tired of waiting. He wanted revenge now. The first battle began between Cooler and Cell. At the beginning of the battle, Cooler announces that he will be going all out from the start. He asks Cell if he knows how to experience fear as he bulks up. A metallic visor swishes over his face as Cooler unveils his fifth form. The Emperor laughs, saying this is the first time he has to use his full power since birth. However, Cell merely chuckles. The two titans collide, their purple auras enveloping the land. Mr. Satan faints from the pressure as the Sea Fighters can barely keep up with the villain's movements. Frieza remarks that Cooler has always had nasty temper, a drive that pushes him to always improve his dominance. As a member of the Cold Clan, this is only natural when faced with overwhelming odds. As the strongest family in the universe, this is just the natural order of things. Vegeta and Goku sweat nervously. Cooler had become so much stronger than they could have anticipated. Despite this, they knew it wouldn't be enough. No matter how malicious and brutal Cooler's onslaught was, Cell would simply regenerate. In addition, Cell's mastery of martial arts programmed into him allowed him to overwhelm Cooler. Eventually, his stamina fell, and Cooler took advantage of the situation to win with a flurry of blows. Cell laughs maniacally. He points his finger at the wounded Cooler, reassuring his opponent that, although he will die, he should find satisfaction in knowing that his genes live on within him. And with that, Cell fires a death beam straight through him, ending him. Cell looks back at the terrified Sea Fighters with a mischievous grin on his face. He asks who else is next. Frieza scoffs, saying that his brother was a weakling and a fool. This is what he deserved for being so weak. Despite Frieza's casual remarks, Goku notices Frieza's hand ball up into a shaking fist. Vegeta steps forward, announcing that he will go up next. Cell informs Vegeta that they should make this battle a little more interesting, pointing at Goku and gesturing over to him. This would be a 2v1 between the Saiyan brothers and Cell, an appropriate handicap. Vegeta is angered at this, but reluctantly he agrees, both of them bursting into Super Saiyan, going face to face with their greatest opponent yet. Cell remarks that he's excited to see the fruits of their training. If they can't satisfy them, the Earth will be destroyed. Without any more time to waste, the match commences. Through their combined efforts, the Saiyan brothers are able to actually push back against Cell. Their decades of training and fighting together has resulted in the greatest fighting duo in the history of the world. Cell was finally excited. This was the battle he was yearning for, utilizing the multi-form technique and splitting himself into two. With his power cut in half, he hopes to truly savor the moment. With each punch and kick, the Saiyan armor shatters, and Cell's carapace cracks. Red and purple blood splatters across the Cell Games arena as the ferocity of the fight rises. It is apparent to everyone watching, despite the severity of the situation, these three warriors were having the time of their lives. Eventually, Goku and Vegeta are greatly injured, as is Cell. Vegeta pelted the Cells down with numerous finger beams. Goku launched several Destructo Discs that finally cut the foe in two. However, Cell's regeneration kicks in, and he recovers from the wounds. But as he recovers, Goku and Vegeta stand back to back, firing a Kamehameha and a Gali gun respectively. They had used this opening to stop Cell as he's healing. They needed to vaporize him without a single trace. Had they done it? Had they defeated Cell? But before they could celebrate, a key presence that was slowly ascending in power was felt. In only a single moment, Perfect Cell had returned far, far stronger than ever before. Cell congratulated the pair for pushing him so far. He genuinely could have died back there. Thankfully, one of his cells remained, and that's all it took for him to survive. The match was to continue. However, as Cell roared and dashed forward, they stuck out their hands and powered down, forfeiting. Cell, along with the rest of the Z Fighters, were absolutely flabbergasted. Did they hear him right? Had they given up? Cell has no choice now but to destroy the entire galaxy. Vegeta scoffs, telling Cell that he's an idiot. Of course they know that. That's why they're passing the responsibility of destroying him to someone else. Someone they know is much stronger than themselves. Vegeta looks to the crowd, pointing his thumb at Bra. She would be the one to take him down. Cell laughs maniacally. The sword-wielding punk? Last time he checked, she was frightened like a little rabbit with a power level to match. However, Bra was stern and determined. She thanks her father for giving her this chance. She promised him not to fail. Vegeta simply says 3 words: knock him dead. In the ring, Bra stares down at Cell. She yells out that she isn't the same person she was back then. She would be the one to destroy him, for all the people he's hurt, and for the honor of her masters. Bra's aura exploded into Super Saiyan. Cell was surprised and impressed. Perhaps Goku and Vegeta weren't talking nonsense. The third match commences, and it's intense. Bra is able to defend himself well against Cell's attacks, using a variety of techniques and martial arts, with different stances for various situations. She takes out her sword in an attempt to slice through Cell, but he parries the hit as the sword flies off her hand. Cell goes in for a follow-up attack, but he's pierced from behind with the same sword. Bra had practiced a technique Goku and her father knew but never cared much to use: telekinesis. She could now control her sword no matter where it was. Despite this, Cell is still able to overpower Bra. It's more than that, really. Cell asks Bra to stop holding back and take this fight seriously. Did she not see what happened with Cooler and her father? Was she underestimating him? Bra grits her teeth. Of course she wasn't afraid or anything like that. She refused to be scared anymore. Cell snickered. That was quite a reaction. It looked like his guess was right. On the money. She was terrified.
I see now. No matter how hard you train, no matter how much you deny it, you're still afraid of me. How could you not be? I am the perfect weapon, after all.
No, you're wrong.
Well, regardless of if I'm right or not, I want you to fight at your full power. It's time for some drastic, hands-on therapy, don't you think? Maybe if I push you far enough, you'll face your fears and show me your real power, whether you like it or not.
No, wait!
Cell threatens Bra, letting her know that if she doesn't fight, all of them will die. Bra watches on as everyone is demolished, flashing back to her master's death, to the feeling she felt when she saw Cell the first time as a child. She had a panic attack, falling to her knees and yelling at them to stop. Cell is disappointed at what he sees. In the end, it looks like Goku and Vegeta were wrong. He approaches Bra, a ki blast forming in his hand. At that moment, when it seems like all hope was lost, Gohan in his Super Saiyan state rushes in to kick Cell away. He yells at his cousin, asking her if this is really how she wants things to end. She was so powerful and courageous. Ever since they first met, he admired her. He never wanted to fight, but seeing her stand up to these androids, despite suffering so much, inspired him to fight for what's precious. Bra thinks she sees the back of future Gohan in that moment, as she recalls the lessons he and future Trunks instilled on her. Even in the face of danger and unrelenting darkness, a bright light of hope will always shine through. Bra's aura swirls, shining as she thanks Gohan for always having her back. Whether it be in the future or the past, the two hybrid Saiyans unleash their full power as they charge at Cell. The bio-android is taken off guard. He wasn't expecting this level of strength. He orders his Cell Juniors to attack, but the Golden Warriors are easily able to dispatch of them. Cell and the rest of the wounded warriors couldn't believe their eyes. Goku and Vegeta merely smiled. Their suspicions were right. Cell wouldn't take it lightly, however. He clashes against the cousins in a brilliant display of flashes. Cell was definitely intrigued by these two brats. They were really something else, but was this really everything they had? If seeing their family and friends getting hurt was enough to push them further, what if someone died? Cell elbows Bra and Gohan, sending them rocketing into the Cell Games arena, shattering it. And without even blinking, he fires multiple death beams at a single target, Goku. Bra and Gohan dash forward with all their might, but they are too far away. Goku's eyes widened, but as he's ready to accept death, a figure stands before him. Vegeta. He had taken the entire blast. Hold on, Vegeta, stay with me. I'll get you a senzu bean, don't worry.
This wasn't supposed to be how it ended. To think the Prince of all Saiyans given his life to save a low class. It was because of our grandfather, and you, both of you. Your blasted kindness, it rubbed off on me. But I suppose this isn't the worst way to die. Live on, Kakarot. Survive, brother.
Vegeta. Vegeta! Silence echoed across the war zone as the last Prince of the Saiyans passed away. Gohan and Trunks were enraged, but Goku and Bra, they were feeling a bubbling rage they had never felt before. For Goku, his precious brother, who he had chased after his entire life, the ideal warrior he always looked up to, the one person he hoped to acknowledge him as equal, was gone. For Bra, this was the father she always dreamed on meeting. The stories of a stern, stubborn, prideful, yet kind man with a heart of gold were all true and more. The time she spent with her father and their family in the time chamber was some of the best moments in her life. Two enormous pillars of wild, thrashing light shoot upwards into the heavens, parting the clouds as two echoes of sorrow shake the planet, creating earthquakes in their wake. From in front and behind Cell, two figures with pointed hair and electricity dancing across their bodies slowly approach the villain. Cell panics, experiencing fear for the first time in his life. He yells at them to stay away, swiping the land beneath them with a ki blast. However, Bra and Goku appear before Cell, punching his arms so hard they fly clean off. Trunks and Gohan can't believe what they're seeing. This must be a form beyond Super Saiyan. This must be Super Saiyan 2. Cell didn't stand a chance before these avatars of vengeance. This was no longer a battle. This was torture. The bio-android was literally being torn apart. The Cell Juniors never had a chance, getting eviscerated. Cell absorbs the remaining children in an attempt to regain his energy. The monster flies up to the sky, charging a massive full-power Kamehameha. He was going to wipe out the entire solar system. But Goku and Bra steadied themselves, charging their ki. The father and niece unleashed their power, firing a double Kamehameha. The beams clashed in the middle, locked in an intense deadlock. At first, it wasn't clear which side would prevail. Gohan and Trunks sparkled, bursting into Super Saiyan, as they stand behind their family, firing their very own gallant guns. Yet, it still wasn't enough. All those times Cell was torn apart and regenerated, it only served to empower him even more. They were lost in their rage, and this was their punishment for their actions. As the Saiyans struggled to push back that Kamehameha, the Z-Fighters looked in awe, but there was one person who wasn't amused. Frieza, who was seething upon these Saiyans surpassing his own power. As Cell focused on pushing the Galick guns, Frieza appeared behind Cell, firing a massive death ball at the android. The blast connected, managing to hurt Cell. As the Saiyans continue to struggle, a familiar voice rings out.
Come on, is that all you've got? Put your back into this and show that bog how terrifying we can be. You're all Saiyans, the strongest race of warriors in the universe. Make that scum pay for ever underestimating us.
Gohan and Trunks' rage soars, inspired by Vegeta's words and their anger towards Cell for all the pain and suffering he's caused. They break their limits, ascending beyond Super Saiyan as Bra and Goku have done. They all yell out, the mighty roar of an Ozaru echoing throughout the wasteland. Cell's eyes widened as the family Galick gun expands in a frenzy, swallowing the Kamehameha, the death ball, and Cell himself, finally after all the struggles, finishing off the monster. The Sun family falls to the floor, winded but lighted. Following the end of the Cell games, the heroes have no option but to find a way to revive everyone killed by the androids and Cell. Sadly, with Kami fused with Piccolo, there is no Dragon Balls on Earth, and this Goku never went to Yardrat or Namek for that fact. So, without much of a choice, Piccolo suggests going to planet Namek, using a spaceship to head towards there. Surely they have Dragon Balls there. This is a much more peaceful time on Namek. They would have to take Frieza with them to make sure that he doesn't attempt anything stupid while they're gone. Even while on Namek, he wouldn't attempt anything with Goku around and knowledge that he could be defeated easily. So it takes some time, but the team makes it to Namek, where they find the Elder Murray. At this point in time, the original Grand Elder had already passed away, though the Dragon Balls are not upgraded. The reason the Dragon Balls were upgraded in the first place, during the Buu Saga, was because of the events on Namek. Without that happening, the Dragon Balls still properly function the same. The heroes are disappointed to find out that they can only revive one person at a time. So instead, they ask if there's anyone willing to come with them to Earth and become the new Guardian. Murray, trusting Dende, chooses him to go with the Earthlings. He can sense goodness in their heart, and thus, Dende goes with them to planet Earth, where he recreates the Dragon Balls and they wish everyone back. With the Dragon Balls gathered, they wish to bring back everyone destroyed by the androids. 17 and 18 are brought back to life, even cooler, yet Trunks and Bra look around, unable to find their father. Goku asks Shenron what happened to him, and Shenron says that Vegeta hasn't come back because he refused to return. A voice rings out to the Z fighters, causing Bulma to tear up. It was Vegeta. The prince explains that he doesn't want to return just yet. Raditz, Frieza, Cooler, and now Cell, their foes, proved to him that he needed to become stronger. So strong that no one could ever threaten his family again. He will train in the other world. Train with King Kai. Vegeta says farewell to everyone, telling Kakarot, Gohan, Bra, and Piccolo that he had nothing left to teach them anymore. It was up to them now to protect Earth. With a smile, Goku promises to make sure Vegeta has a peaceful world to come back to. With a second wish up for grabs, Bulma asks Shenron to remove the bombs from 17 and 18. Bra is surprised, asking her mother if that was the right call. Bulma winks at her, saying that it's alright. 18 and 17 never did anything wrong in this timeline. Besides, it's what 16 would have wanted. Nearby, a choking was heard. Cooler and Frieza, who were present in the entire time, stated that they can't stand all this kindness. It was starting to make them physically ill. Goku asks what their plan is now. After all Cell is gone, their truce is over. Cooler and Frieza stay quiet, replying that they've had enough of this planet. They're going to leave it immediately. The least they can do for bringing Cooler back to life is give them more time to enjoy their miserable little lives. However, Frieza reminds them that they are living on borrowed time. One day, they will return and they will kill them, immediately leaving the lookout to their spaceship. Some more time passes and Bra prepares to return to her timeline. The Z fighters gather together for one final goodbye party. Bulma makes sure to give Bra a set of capsules containing a sewing machine, fabric, mannequins, and everything else she wants to design clothes. Once peace returns to the future, there's going to be a lot of people needing stylish clothing. Piccolo gives her a brand new sword, with a symbol of Vegeta's royal crest, as Gohan and Trunks give her a shirt they made themselves, embellished on a bold black text with a simple word, hope. Finally, she looks back at Goku. He isn't much for making things, but he does give her something. He calls down Flying Nimbus and gives her a piece of her. Now she'd have a friend to go back home with. Bra hugs everyone in a tearful goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done. You gave me and my future a chance.
As everyone waves goodbye, Bra steps into the time machine, presses the button, and as she travels through space and time, she remembers her father's words. She smiles, ready to return home and save the world once more. Out in the depths of Otherworld, a single planet floated gently above the clouds. However, this serene scene was shattered with loud screams and explosions that rocket the heavens. Shut it, Kai. Can't you see I'm busy? After 7 years of relentless training following his death, Vegeta's sole focus was becoming stronger to protect his family and home. Accepted as a pupil by King Kai, the guardian Kai of the North Galaxy, Vegeta learned the Kaioken technique and pushed his Super Saiyan state to new heights. However, mastering King Kai's Spirit Bomb proved to be challenging due to the remnants of evil within Vegeta's heart. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Vegeta watched over his family from heaven with the help of King Kai. Bra, his daughter, grew up surrounded by loved ones, including the Briefs, Sun family, and even the reformed Pilaf gang. Bra and Goten were raised around each other and formed a close bond, while Gohan and Trunks trained alongside Kakarot and Piccolo to protect the Earth in Vegeta's absence. Trunks took his training even more seriously, and Gohan sometimes struggled to balance his studies and training. The two boys became superhero partners as the great Saiyaman 1 and 2, but soon had their identities discovered by a classmate named Videl. She blackmailed them into training her and participating in the upcoming Tenkaichi Budokai. Videl's crush on Gohan provided amusement for Trunks, leading to playful teasing and swift kicks from Videl. Despite their different paths and challenges, Vegeta's family and friends continued to grow, train, and adventure through Earth, eagerly awaiting for the day that Vegeta could return to them from his intense training and join them once more. It was during these training sessions that Videl encountered the rest of her new friends' company, including Goku and Piccolo. They had heard of Videl and the Tenkaichi Budokai from the boys. They remembered the good old days, when they would attend those tournaments. Videl nearly had a heart attack when she saw the pair. Wasn't this the legendary martial artist Son Goku and the Demon King Piccolo? Trunks said that his dad was even more impressive. He was the one to win the 23rd World Tournament. Videl couldn't believe it. These two dorks were close to so many martial arts legends, although Videl wonders who between the three of them was the strongest. Probably me. What? Don't make me laugh. I beat you once before, Kakarot, and I'll do it again. I don't know, Piccolo. That was a long time ago. A lot has changed since then. Besides, I got Super Saiyan. You don't. Well, you could call me a Super Namekian. I've been training too, and I'll mop the floor with you and Vegeta when he gets here. Nuh-uh. The hell do you mean, nah-uh? I mean what I said. Why? You wanna prove me wrong? That's it. I'm beating you down this instant. Once I'm done with you, Vegeta's next. That's the spirit. This ought to be a good warm-up. Who knows? Maybe I'll go to Otherworld myself and challenge Vegeta. Oh, shut up. That's it. I'm coming down there and I'm going to beat you both with my hands tied behind my back. Huh? What is that? Vegeta? Dad? Everyone was shocked to hear the voice. Vegeta, who had been watching what was happening down on Earth, was furious to hear all this disrespect. In the spur of the moment, Vegeta decided to announce here and now that he would be returning to the living realm soon. He will be attending the World Tournament and prove to everyone that he is the strongest warrior around. While Videl was utterly flabbergasted, everyone else was excited. Trunks flew off, eager to tell his mother and sister as soon as possible. Goku and Piccolo trained even harder than ever before in preparation for this rematch, encouraging Videl and Gohan to do the same. Vegeta himself was thrilled to be returning home, but he never showed it. Yet, King Kai could tell. He asked his pupil if he really thought he was ready to return. Didn't he still have trouble with that new form? Vegeta stayed quiet for a bit, but replied with confidence that it didn't matter. He'd figure out how to master it sooner or later. Back on Earth, the news of Vegeta's return quickly spread to the rest of the Z fighters. Everyone was delighted, especially Bulma. Bra was actually a little nervous. She didn't know how to feel now that she's finally going to meet her dad, but her family reassured her that he would love nothing more than to see her. Goku and Piccolo were now convinced that they needed to join the tournament too. They had to fight Vegeta and show off the fruits of their training. It's a good way to celebrate. And thus, everyone's training continued until the very last minute. On the day of the 25th Tenkaichi Budokai, the Z fighters gathered together at the tournament. Everyone was surprised to see Trunks and Gohan in their Great Saiyaman costumes, but this quickly went away once they saw a certain man with spiky hair approach them, a halo bobbing above his head. They couldn't believe it. Standing before them for the first time in 7 years was Vegeta. The Z fighters celebrated with glee as Vegeta walked up to Bulma, immediately hugging her and ruffling Trunks' hair. He had missed them, and he's glad to see how much Trunks had grown, even if he was wearing a ridiculous costume. As Trunks tries to defend his fashion sense, Bulma smiles as she says that there's someone else that needs to meet him. Unlike Goten in the original story, Bra immediately steps up to the plate, taking steps towards her father and looking up at him with a mischievous smile. She was excited to see just how strong her dad was after all these years of hearing about it. No one was sure how Vegeta would react, but suddenly, the prince picked her up, lifting her up with a big smile. Glad to see his princess. Kakarot and Piccolo were shocked at the sudden display of affection and the smile, but Bra just giggled with glee. Her papa wasn't as mean as he looked after all, but she was sure he would kick everyone's butt. From behind, a hand was placed on Vegeta's back. As he turned around, he saw the face of Grandpa Gohan for the first time in so many years.
Welcome back, Vegeta. It's good to see you again.
Yes, it's good to see you too, son Gohan. This moment was cut short, as a cough was heard. Uranai Baba told Vegeta to be careful with his time limit. Trunks and Bulma were upset. He wasn't gonna stay? Vegeta laments that as much as he would like to, he still has some training to do in Otherworld. However, he believes that it wouldn't take much longer. He was at the verge of a breakthrough. He could feel it. Once he had crossed that wall, he would return for good. Bra was sad about this, but Vegeta told her that the heir to the Saiyan Empire shouldn't be upset at this, asking her if she would participate in the tournament. Bulma was going to answer no, but in a move that surprised everyone, Bra said that she would. Gohan and Trunks couldn't believe it. They thought she had no interest in fighting, but Kakarot and old Gohan encouraged her. Without further ado, the 25th World Tournament begins. The tournament kicks off with the Children's Division, and unsurprisingly, Goten and Bra sweep the competition as they make it to the final match. The cousins face each other, and, eager to show off to their parents, rush in to attack. However, in an unexpected turn of events, Bra is able to brush off Goten's attacks. Despite having little training, Bra was naturally gifted at fighting, just like her father was. Even if she didn't like to fight, her Saiyan instincts were extremely prominent, maybe even more so than Goten. Goten attempted to use Super Saiyan in order to breach the gap, but at that second, he lets his guard down. With a simple push from behind, Goten is knocked off the ring, and Bra is declared the winner. Vegeta's proud of his daughter, remembering the future version of her. He had no doubt she would be a strong warrior one day. Perhaps her strength wasn't there yet, but she was cunning, and that would get her a long way. It was a shame she didn't want to train. Goten was pretty upset and on the verge of tears, but Bra said that he was really strong too, and that maybe they can get stronger together. This doesn't completely console Goten, but he likes her spirit. After a small altercation with Mr. Satan, where Bra nearly kills him on accident, and he plays it off as if it was on purpose, the Z-Fighters get ready for the adult division. With nothing else to prove, Goten and Bra sit with their mothers in the audience, and thus, no Mighty Mask is harmed. Yet. As the new division commences, the Z-Fighters scanned the other contestants to scope out the competition. They saw a few small fries here and there, but there was two strange men in even stranger garb. However, their jaws drop at what they see next. Three men approaching them. Two of them were very buff, deranged-looking men in spandex, and standing between them was none other than someone with a familiar long hair. Raditz. It had been many years since they saw him. He had left with the remnants of the Frieza Force after the end of Cooler and Frieza's disastrous invasion of Earth. Perhaps he could come back and reconcile with Goku. However, Goku and the rest realized something was wrong with Raditz's energy. His aura was incredibly dark and malignant, unlike anything they had ever seen before. Not only that, he had a mysterious M symbol on his forehead. Goku and Vegeta confront Raditz about this, asking him why he's back on Earth with two new friends, but Raditz simply grins, saying sarcastically that he didn't come here to exchange any pleasantries. He was here to size them up, and he's disappointed at what he sees. He hopes they're hiding more of their real power, because if they aren't, he's going to beat them to death. It would be a shame that that happened, wouldn't it? He had a surprise for them after all, especially for the prince. Spopovich and Yamu stare maliciously at the heroes, before Raditz orders them to leave. They had nothing else to see here. Goku was worried. They had left on good terms the last time they saw Raditz. He had even helped them fight against Cooler when he invaded Earth. What could have happened out there in space? But the tournament begins, and Krillin easily defeats Pintar. However, in the second match, Piccolo forfeits against a mysterious foe. Everyone was puzzled at this outcome, and when asked why, a single title is uttered: Supreme Kai. Vegeta perks up upon hearing this. He swears he's heard this title before. He could recall that this was someone who was very important in the hierarchy of the universe. But why did that matter to the prince? With a pompous attitude, Vegeta announces that he was well aware from his time in Otherworld that the Kais weren't that impressive. Of course, they probably came here to request help from strong mortals to get anything done. Shin raises an eyebrow, wondering if he should give King Kai a call sometime about his star pupil being so unpleasant. In a panic, Piccolo tried to defuse the situation and made sure that everyone respected the Kai and his attendant. Before Videl's battle against Popovich, Gohan and Trunks wish her luck as they think she'll wipe the floor with their foe. But the Z fighters instead watch in horror as she's beaten within an inch of her life. Raditz revels in this brutality, which further upsets the heroes, and leaves both Goku and Vegeta incredibly concerned. What had happened to Raditz that caused this? Gohan and Trunks were absolutely livid. Despite their father's warnings, they burst into Super Saiyan and charge towards the ring. With their fists outstretched, the two land a devastating punch that twists Popovich's head and neck. They pick up Videl and ask the tournament staff to take her away immediately. They didn't care about the tournament rules anymore. They couldn't stand back and watch their friend be tortured like this. However, Raditz laughs as he declares that this was the moment he was waiting for. He orders Popovich and Yamu to strike. From behind, Popovich and Yamu launch towards the powerful teens in an attempt to steal their energy. Trunks manages to dodge out of the way, but Gohan is unable to move. Popovich grabs onto Gohan as Yamu sticks a device into the young fighter, draining him of energy. Trunks quickly kicks Popovich out of the arena, so far into the sky that he simply becomes a blip in the horizon. But Raditz spins on his heel, blasting at Trunks and grabbing Yamu, getting out of there. Yamu asks about Popovich, but Raditz says that he's surely dead after that. They needed to return to their master with his bountiful harvest. The Kaioshin steps forward as his attendant Kibito heals Gohan. He apologizes for that. It was imperative to let those villains take his energy so they could follow them. If they give that energy to their master Babidi, then they'll be one step closer to reviving an ancient evil named Majin Buu. Vegeta and Piccolo trusted Shin's words as they agreed to help. Although Vegeta made sure to warn Shin that if he tried to pull that paralyzing stunt on any of them ever again, he'd make him regret it. His position as the Kaioshin be damned. Goku, Krillin, Gohan, and a reluctant Trunks decide to accompany them as they bid their friends goodbye, promising to return as soon as possible. It doesn't take much time for the heroes to arrive at Babidi's spaceship. While there, they witness Babidi himself destroy Yamu and Popovich after receiving their Kili device. They were useless to him now. It wasn't as if they were strong enough to qualify as soldiers anyways. Raditz, on the other hand, was a remarkable find and a worthy addition to Babidi's forces. The wizard congratulates Raditz for the job well done, as the Saiyan bows down in return. However, he smirks as he informs his lord that he has not only brought the Kili device, but several guests as well. The Z fighters jolt up upon hearing this. They've been spotted. Or had Raditz known they were there all along? Before they could disperse, Dabura appears overhead and spits on the heroes. Several of the Z fighters jump out of the way, but Piccolo and Krillin aren't so lucky. They are turned into stone as Kibito is blasted away. Vegeta and Goku are enraged, but Trunks and Gohan are absolutely livid. First, Videl. Now Krillin and Mr. Piccolo too? They wouldn't get away with this. Raditz chuckles as he encourages them to do something about it and follow him into the spaceship. His laugh fades away as the Majins disappear into the spaceship. Shin warns everyone that they must not waste any time fighting. The longer they battle, the more energy they will generate for Majin Buu. The Saiyans listen to this advice at first, making quick work of Pui Pui and Yakon similarly to the original story. However, once they arrive on the third floor, they encounter the Demon King Dabura. Still angered over what happened to Piccolo, Gohan requests to take on this devil alone, but Trunks disagrees. Piccolo was his master and friend too. The pair get into a mighty battle of rock, paper, scissors. Dabura was enraged by this disrespect, lunging forward in a strike. However, Gohan and Trunks yell out at Dabura to not interrupt as they uppercut him into the ceiling. It looks like they haven't any choice now. They would both fight. Snickering, Trunks proposes that whoever defeats this demon guy first can ask Videl out on a date, betting that he could beat Dabura first. That wouldn't happen because he'd be the one to knock him out first. Shin can't believe they're doing this over a girl. This can't be a good idea. The battle is rather one-sided. Despite missing out on a lot of training recently, Gohan and Trunks are still incredibly powerful, thanks to their constant sparring with one another. Trunks himself never missed out on a day of training. He was in an entire league of his own. Yet, he couldn't help but be a showboat. Trunks decides to show off some more of his new superhero moves, creating a tornado from his hands and disorienting the demon in a move called Cyclone Hurricane Punch. Gohan thought it was cool, but he warns Trunks that he wasn't the only one with a surprise move up his sleeve. Eager to show off something he had been saving for the tournament, Gohan lunges at Dabura feet first as Dabura is struck in the chest and sent spiraling down into the stone below. Several Spit Loogies shoot out right towards Gohan. Vegeta yells at Gohan to dodge, but thankfully a large ki blast incinerates the spit. Trunks saves Gohan, who warns his cousin to pay attention. Gohan apologizes as the two warriors take a battle stance together. With a combined onslaught of attacks, Trunks and Gohan rush down Dabura without giving him a chance to breathe, finishing him off with a combined Masenko. Vegeta chuckles in amusement. There couldn't have been a better attack to finish off that so-called Demon King. With that, Piccolo and Krillin should be released from their stone prison. Shin is nervous that maybe they have released too much energy, but Goku reassures him that it should be fine. All that's left was Babidi, and before Goku could finish his sentence, a loud laugh echoes in the air. Suddenly appearing in the middle of the stage was Raditz. The Z fighters get on guard, with Goku demanding an explanation. Why was he doing this? He thought they were friends now. However, the evil invader simply grins with devilish glee.
Friends, that's ridiculous. It's been clear to me ever since I first met you and the prince that I could never have a place here. I'm always going to be a slave, no matter how hard I try to fight that fate.
Raditz explains what happened to him after he left Earth. He retreated alongside the remnants of the Frieza Force, attempting to rebuild whatever remained of the Empire. However, what he and no one else could have expected was the betrayal from their newest asset, Dr. Gero. Raditz was on board the Frieza Force mothership the day Gero rebelled. He saw the Doctor's abomination, Cell, break out from the research facility and slaughter every single living being on board. It was only through quick thinking and sheer luck that Raditz was able to escape with his life. With his master dead and the Empire in shambles, Raditz truly had nothing. No mission, no goals, no purpose. He wandered the universe as a nomad, merely going through the motions, not truly living, only surviving. Eventually, he began taking bounty hunter jobs from some former business partners of Frieza known as the Heaters. It was through this line of work and taking a particular mission on planet Zune that led him straight to Babidi. With a promise of unimaginable power, Raditz was reborn in a baptism of darkness. As Babidi's loyal Majin servant, Raditz would be able to have his revenge and defeat those putrid brothers, Vegeta and Kakarot. Vegeta scoffs. He doesn't believe that Raditz is worth his time. Shin tries to calm down Vegeta and prevent him from provoking their enemies any further, but it's too late. In a show of force, the deranged Saiyan unleashed a shout that shakes the entire spaceship as his wild hair bursts in an electrifying golden glow. Raditz points to Vegeta, demanding that he be his first victim. As the prince chuckles, he'd be more than happy to humor his little fragile ego. Shin can only stutter in disbelief, but a hand is placed on his shoulder. It was Goku, smiling as he reassured the god that Vegeta would end this battle in no time. Raditz requests his master to change the scenery to something more fitting. Raditz snaps his fingers as the entire room appeared to be the smoldering ruins of West City. Trunks and Gohan's eyes widened in panic, but Shin told them to relax. This wasn't their city, not really. It was an illusion created by the foul Babidi. As Vegeta looks around curiously, he wonders aloud why this place was chosen. Raditz responds angrily that this is the perfect setting for their battleground. This is where they fought many years ago. In his mind, there could be no other place more fitting for their rematch. His feral hair danced in the wind as the manic berserker lunged at Vegeta. The prince chose to remain in his base state in an effort to push himself, expertly dodging and parrying the beast attacks with grace. Goku whistled in delight. His brother sure was something. That stance looked a little familiar, reminding him of something Grandpa Gohan had shown him long ago. Trunks and Gohan cheered for Vegeta to keep up good moves, but this ended up distracting the prince. Raditz takes advantage of the moment and uppercuts Vegeta, spinning upwards before unleashing a devastating dropkick straight into the hero's chest. Vegeta is sent crashing through several smoking skyscrapers as Raditz shouts at him to take this battle seriously. He knows he's holding back. A massive pillar of dazzling light breaks through the plumes of dust and ash, revealing an annoyed Vegeta with golden hair and sparkling aura. He wipes some blood off his lip as the prince promises his foe that playtime is over. Raditz grins in manic delight as he stretches out his hands, beseeching Vegeta to come forth. Vegeta rockets towards Raditz, their fists clashing as the sonic boom echoes through, shattering glass off of nearby buildings. Shin gulped, unsure if it was Vegeta or Raditz that looked more terrifying. The Saiyan's power was horrific, yet spectacular, nearly decimating the room around them as their volley of ki blast razed the towers nearby to the ground. Shin yelled at Vegeta to stop the madness. They were only empowering Majin Buu. If he valued this world and life as he knows it, they need to end this battle now. From behind, Goku steps up as he looks sternly at his brother. He's right, you know. Vegeta, stop messing around. You don't want Bulma and your kids to get hurt because of that Majin Buu guy, right? Fine. But I'm only ending this because I decided to, not because of you, Kakarot. The prince declares to Raditz that, while his strength was impressive, his form was still too sloppy, and beyond that, this was a power he didn't even reach himself. This battle was a nice warm-up, but it wouldn't be able to satisfy him. Infuriated beyond belief, veins pop across his forehead as Raditz charges his ki to the max. He demands that the prince take on this, his greatest move.
Double Sunday!
You call that a proper name for a final attack? I'll show you, fool. I'll end this.
Final Flash!
The two beams clash as the entire room starts to collapse. The illusionary space distorts as Babidi's magic can no longer remain in the face of such overwhelming power. Goku, Shin, and the boys pull up their hands in an attempt to shield themselves as the resulting explosion pushes everyone back. The heroes soon open their eyes in disbelief. There was no city, no spaceship. It was completely destroyed. All that remained was the floor beneath them, alongside the bloodied body of Raditz, with a smug, victorious Vegeta. Raditz can only stare at the dirt beneath him, grasping his hair in disbelief. Despite sacrificing everything, how was he still weaker than Vegeta? Goku approached the broken man, asking why he gave up his soul. No. Why did he surrender his pride to Babidi? If there's anything he's learned from this life, it's that pride is still the last thing a Saiyan ever gives up. Raditz looks up, tears flowing down his cheeks as he laments in frustration. It's because he took everything from me. I was a low-class Saiyan destined to live an existence of hardship and despair, while Vegeta got a life of luxury. Frieza may have controlled my life, but Vegeta stole it. I was a punching bag for decades. I worked so hard to survive, and all this time, that bastard got to live on this peaceful planet with a family, with a life, with a wife, and children, with my brother. I was your brother, Kakarot, not him. Why? Why did I have to suffer my whole life while he didn't? Why did he have a chance to have a family that loves him when I couldn't? Vegeta stays quiet, remembering back to the fateful day he was sent off from planet Vegeta. That's right. Kakarot's mother had begged his father to let Raditz come with them, but the king ignored her. No matter how much she cried and begged, if the king had shown just a bit more mercy, Raditz may have had a completely different life. As Vegeta recalled Guinea's tearful pleas, they echoed in his mind, as Raditz's cries intertwined with hers, until Vegeta snapped, dashing forward with his boot, kicking Raditz square in the face. Shut up already, will ya? Whoa, Vegeta, chill out! He wasn't fighting anymore, don't you think that's a bit much? It's his fault for spilling his guts like that. Besides, we don't have any time to sit around and continue listening to his sob story. We still need to find Babidi and this Majin Buu. Sure enough, with blood gushing from his nose, Raditz was sent rolling back into the dirt and passing out. With no more minions left, all that was left was Babidi. The wizard, still hiding in the deepest floors of the destroyed ship, was panicking. All of his fighters were gone, and he was only moments away from being discovered. Majin Buu's egg was on the verge of awakening. Couldn't end now, when he was so close to reviving his destiny. In a final attempt to change his fate, Babidi peered into the minds of the Z-Fighters and attempted to exploit that darkness in their hearts. If he had just one more servant, one more vessel to stall for more battle, he could gather enough to revive Buu. Unfortunately for the villain, his attempts to mind control proved to be futile. Goku and his son's hearts were pure. Trunks had some small vestiges of darkness within him, as any normal person would, but it wasn't enough. Finally, Vegeta, the only proper candidate with ample darkness in his soul, was far too powerful in mind, body, and spirit. Despite his best efforts, Babidi could not break through Vegeta's indomitable spirit. As Babidi struggled with upending Vegeta's mind, the roof above him broke apart. He gasped in disbelief as the Z-Fighters appeared before him. Vegeta scoffed. It looks like this potato was trying to whisper lies into his mind. Shin thanks everyone for their hard work. They seem to have arrived just in time. Babidi shrieks, saying to stay away as Vegeta holds up his palm, shouting out a mighty Big Bang attack. A shrill cry is heard, followed by an immense explosion. When the dust settles, nothing remains of Babidi nor the egg. Goku, Gohan, and Trunks rush in to hug Vegeta in jubilation, but the prince merely shouts at them to get off. The moment is quickly cut short, however, as the body of Raditz drops and lands on the floor with a loud thud. The Z-Fighters look up to see Krillin and Piccolo float down as Gohan and Trunks scream out their names, happy to see them again in one piece. Krillin laughs. He's just glad he didn't get marked with any pot shots by nearby birds. Shin laments the passing of Kibito, but Piccolo chimes in, remarking that they wouldn't have to wait long. This world has Dragon Balls. They could easily gather them and bring his assistant back to life. Shin sighs in disbelief. Beneath them, something stirs that catches everyone's attention. It was Raditz, groaning in pain. He was still alive. Trunks asks what they should do with him. Shin mentions that the M on his forehead is gone. This meant that Babidi's spell was broken, theorizing that it must have happened after his death. However, he wasn't sure what to say about Raditz's fate. For a moment, an eerie silence fell in the air. Then Vegeta spoke up. Surprisingly, he believes that they should spare him. There's no need to kill him now. He was manipulated by Babidi because of the loneliness and bitterness in his heart. It was because of his father's actions that set Raditz on a lonesome path of pain and misery. Vegeta couldn't help but feel partially responsible for his fate. Perhaps this could be the chance Raditz needs to pick up the broken pieces of his life and make something new of it. Goku snickers. He never took his brother to be such a softie, but Vegeta yells at him to shut up. Shin smiles in delight, thanking them for their assistance, despite the few road bumps. Vegeta tells Shin to think nothing of it. Now, there was nothing stopping him from having a rematch with Kakarot at the World Tournament. The Saiyans looked at each other in shock. They had completely forgotten about the tournament. If they were quick, they might be able to make it back in time before the final match. Shin offers to bring everyone back in an instant, requesting them to link hands. He could teleport them in the blink of an eye. Vegeta looks down at Raditz, picking him up and throwing him over his shoulder. Goku smiles as everyone locks hands, and as Shin promised, they were all teleported away to the World Tournament. Bulma, Chi-Chi, and the rest of their friends and family were shocked to see the Z-Fighters suddenly appear before them, as Gohan and Trunks reunite with Videl, and Piccolo explained what happened to the rest. Goku couldn't help but be impressed with Shin's technique. Teleporting was so neat. Maybe he could learn it someday. Shin remarks that he wouldn't mind training any of them in the ways of the Supreme Kai. It was the least he could do after what they did for him. Krillin asks everyone what they missed, as Yamcha laughs, pointing over to the arena and mentioning that he should go ask his wife. Sure enough, 18 was in the middle of the ring, and underneath her were the beaten and bruised figures of the tournament contestants. As it turned out, the tournament had turned into a battle royale after everyone left, with the last warrior standing being Mr. Satan. Of course, 18 was far stronger than any of them, so it was no surprise that she would win. Goten mentions that the adult fights were really boring. Was that really it? This gives Goku an idea. He walks to the tournament announcer, who is glad to see him return. Goku puts his hands together as he makes a request. Could he fight Vegeta here on the tournament ring? The announcer isn't sure at first. They did drop out after all. However, Goku responds that he isn't interested in any prize money. He just wants to fight his brother. The announcer smiles widely. A battle between two of the strongest martial artists in the world? That would be absolutely what the show needs. After a quick discussion with the rest of the staff, the tournament announcer makes his decree. Alright folks, we have breaking news. Before we show you the exciting finale, it has been decided that we whet your appetite with something special. Think of this as an exhibition match to show off the kind of fantastic feats of power you should expect to see from world champion class martial artists such as Mr. Satan. That's right, here before us in this stage is none other than Son Vegeta, the Prince of Power himself, the champion of the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, and right by his side is his younger brother and alumni of the World Tournament, Son Goku. These two masters of combat who have changed the world of martial arts. We ask that you stay seated for this once-in-a-lifetime event. Before you now is the battle of the ages. Son Vegeta versus Son Goku. I'm starting to get pretty excited. Are you ready, Vegeta? You better not hold out on me like you did before with Raditz. I wouldn't dream of such a thing. Bring it on, Kakarot. The crowd roars and applauses as Goku and Vegeta get into their battle stance. The Son families cheer and shout in glee as Gohan and Trunks encourage their fathers to win. Raditz wakes up from all the applauses, wondering what the hell is going on. Why wasn't he dead? What happened to Babidi? From behind, Piccolo tells Raditz to be quiet and watch. The announcer wasn't lying. This was going to be a match for the ages. He encourages Raditz to keep his eyes on the tournament arena and never forget it. With silent anticipation, he watches on. Goku and Vegeta's battle was a true sight to behold. They utilized every technique and stance they could think of, expertly dodging, parrying, and striking each other with grace. Even to the average onlooker, it was clear that these men were fighting at the peak of martial arts. They were real masters. The entire audience was mesmerized by their precise and bombastic movements. They couldn't wait to see what Mr. Satan could do. However, this was only Goku and Vegeta at their weakest. They were pacing themselves, building up to the next level. Once they got serious, they burst into Super Saiyan 2 in an explosive display. Some people started to leave the stands out of fear for their lives, but most in the audience didn't care. They wanted to watch till the very end. It seems now as if the two fighters were equal in both skill and strength, yet something was off. Goku could feel it. He asked Vegeta to keep his promise and stop holding back. Vegeta chuckled. He couldn't hide anything from him. He warns his rival that he spent the last few years in Otherworld perfecting this power. If he thinks he's up for the challenge, then Vegeta is more than happy to oblige. Vegeta screams at the top of his lungs as the entire planet shakes. Everyone in the planet capable of sensing ki is unable to process what they're feeling. Vegeta's hair begins to stretch out, his aura brimming with power. Raditz and Goku's eyes widen as they bear witness to the magnificent awakening occurring before them. Vegeta smirks, proclaiming that this was the fruit of his training in Otherworld. This was a form beyond the ascended Super Saiyan. He called it Super Saiyan 3. Goku compliments Vegeta. He knew he could count on his big brother to pull something crazy out. He's a little scared, but he can't help but be excited. Goku charges his ki to the max and shouts at Vegeta to bring it on. The brothers clash again, lost in the moments as they unleash an all-out brawl. Raditz can't help but be mesmerized by the fight. Was this kind of power possible because of this planet? Bra cheers on both her father and her uncle as it seems the fight is about to reach its apex. Goku was ready to unleash a secret special move, one he promised he'd been working on for years with Piccolo, to specifically defeat Vegeta. However, before he could even start to prepare, a shrill cackle is heard across the tournament arena. Goku, Vegeta, and the rest of the Z fighters look around in surprise as Shin feels a chill go down his spine. It wasn't possible. There was no way. This voice, it couldn't be. From the middle of the stage, a blip is heard. Shin's worst fears are confirmed. Appearing before them was the vile wizard Babidi and the steaming egg of Majin Buu. It was steaming profusely, radiating so much heat that the egg had turned from pink to a blazing hot red. While Shin yells out in panic, demanding to know how Babidi's alive, the malevolent warlock shakes his finger, taunting the heroes for brushing him off and not checking if he was truly disposed of. Babidi reveals that, moments before Vegeta's attack reached him, he created a last-ditch illusion to fake his death. He then teleported both himself and Buu's egg away from danger. He stayed hidden, erasing all traces of his magic and his presence, waiting for an opportunity to gather the last remaining bits of Keely from Buu. His patience paid off handsomely. The obscene amount of energy generated from the tournament match was just what he needed. With all this delicious Keely, it'd be more than enough to revive Majin Buu. No. It would supercharge Buu to the level even he wasn't aware of. Vegeta and Goku head down to the arena, preparing to launch a double Gallic gun to destroy the egg. But it was too late. An enormous pillar of smoke pops out of the egg, resembling a volcanic eruption that pushes back Goku, Vegeta, and the remnants of the tournament audience. From out of the smoke emerges a figure with power that sends chills down everyone's spine. Shin falls to his knees in absolute despair. They had failed. Majin Buu had returned. This was the end of the universe. Standing in the middle of the World Tournament arena, the Z-Fighters look on in pure terror at the awakening of the ultimate evil, Majin Buu. However, the audience is confused at what they're seeing. The tournament got interrupted yet again, but this time by a giant pink blob with a diaper. At first, Majin Buu didn't seem to act like some horrific monster of legend. It just seemed whimsical and excited. It hopped around the arena as if playing hopscotch, while Babidi desperately tried to give it orders. But to the Z-Fighters and Shin, they could recognize recognized just how terrifying the situation truly was. They could sense the Majin's ki, and it was unbelievable. They had never sensed a ki as large nor as malevolent as this before. Even Shin could barely comprehend it. The Buu standing before them now was leagues ahead of the monster he once witnessed countless millennia ago. The massive amount of energy he had obtained from the Saiyans over the course of the day had skyrocketed Buu's power to untold heights. The Z fighters were paralyzed by fear, but to the average audience member, all they felt was annoyance. As Buu continued to laugh in glee, several agitated spectators began throwing popcorn, trash, and anything else they could get their hands on straight at Majin Buu. They were booing and groaning, heckling Buu and yelling at him to get off the stage. Goku cries out for everyone to run away as Vegeta yells at the crowd to stop what they're doing and flee if they value their lives. But it was too late. Buu didn't like being yelled at. Steam shot out from his head as an eerie smile formed on his face. With sadistic glee, Majin Buu points his antenna at the crowd. In a moment of shock and despair, the ancient evil shoots out a pink beam towards the crowd as he turned an entire section of the audience into candy. Little Bra looks at the beam, transfixed at the light as it nearly reaches her. Grandpa Gohan, the one nearest to her, jumps in the way of the blast. Bra cries out in agony as her beloved great-grandfather is turned into a candy bar right before her eyes. In an instant, the various pieces of candy and chocolate are magically pulled towards the arena as Majin Buu sucks them up into his mouth and eats them. Goku and Vegeta stare in awe. In just a few moments, all these innocent people had died, including their grandfather. Goku and Vegeta roar in anger, their ki rising towards the heavens as Majin Buu finishes feasting on these snacks. He notices their ascending power and laughs.
Woo! You guys look fun! You want to play with Buu?
I'll do more than play with you. I'll tear you apart for what you did to my grandfather. We'll never forgive you.
The two Saiyans charge towards Majin Buu with their fists outstretched as a new battle of fate is decided. As the remaining Z fighters try to help lead the various survivors away from the World Tournament arena, they can only place their remaining hopes on Goku and Vegeta. Yet they knew this battle wouldn't be won by mere faith. More than anyone else they have ever fought, Majin Buu was proving to be Goku and Vegeta's greatest challenge yet. Not only was his power absolutely absurd, his strange abilities were constantly catching the pair off guard. Vegeta in his Super Saiyan 3 state had power that rivaled Buu, yet he was constantly trying and failing to find a way to hurt the genie. Goku did his best to provide as much support as possible, but they weren't making any progress. Every punch, kick, and ki blast they would launch would go through the beast, and if any hit did land, Buu would just reform himself as if nothing happened. All the while, Babidi laughs with demented glee. These pitiful worms were doomed. No matter how much golden hair they grew, they were simply fodder for Majin Buu to grind into dust. As the Z fighters attempted to escort as many people away from the tournament arena, Raditz looks on from the stands in fear. He couldn't move. Majin Buu was just so strong. He had no hope of winning if he tried to fight. Should he attempt to side with Babidi once more? No. He already awakened Buu. He was useless to him now. Once again, just like the Core Clan's invasion of Earth, Raditz was at the crossroads. Should he run? Should he stand with his fellow Saiyans? He just didn't know what to do.
If you're not going to fight, then move out of the way.
Vegeta shouted at everyone remaining in the arena as Raditz snapped out of his daze. No, he wouldn't allow himself to be disposed of. Not again. As Goku and Vegeta regrouped, they started to formulate a new strategy. Vegeta had been using Super Saiyan 3 far longer than he'd expected. As powerful as this form was, it had a fatal flaw. It drained tremendous amounts of stamina. He didn't know how much longer he could last in this form. Not only that, Goku was exhausted from his battle against Vegeta, yet Buu seemed completely fine. They could never win a war like this. The battle needed to end immediately. If Buu could simply regenerate from their attacks, then they simply had to keep blasting the beast until nothing remained. In unison, the brothers dashed towards the Majin with dazzling speed. Vegeta unleashed a devastating barrage of precise punches and kicks as Goku rushed forward with a right hook. When Buu is knocked back, Vegeta fires a salvo of ki blasts at his foe as Goku charges a Kamehameha. But Buu attempts to escape until he realizes he's surrounded by a dozen ki bullets. With nowhere to run, Goku launches his charged Kamehameha as Vegeta retracts his spears. The beam and the ki mines strike Buu at once, the resulting explosion cracking the island beneath them. The brothers stand on guard, waiting to see if their opponent is truly defeated, as all that remained was dust-sized particles floating in the air. Was that enough? Babidi, who was observing the battle from afar, started to panic. These Saiyans were strong. Too strong. Majin Buu was supposed to be the ultimate weapon, yet he was struggling this much? Was it already dead? No, that was impossible. Although, just in case, perhaps he should retreat while he has the chance. Yes, he'd escape and use as much of his magic as possible to rebuild Majin Buu later. Then, they return, refreshed and ready to annihilate the planet. However, he feels a brooding presence behind him, radiating killing intent.
Consider this my resignation.
Before he could even act, Babidi is blasted to smithereens by Raditz, the man he had manipulated to be his minion. Goku was glad to see Raditz acting like his usual self again, while Vegeta just scoffed. He reminds Raditz to not feel too proud of himself for getting rid of such a weakling, but he does commend the Saiyan for taking the first step at getting his own life back. Raditz doesn't know what to say. He never expected the prince to give him support, yet here he was now. Life works in mysterious ways. A shout is heard in the distance as Gohan, Trunks, and Piccolo fly towards them. Piccolo asks if the battle is over, and Goku gives them a thumbs up. It sure was. All that remained was nothing more than small specks. They couldn't even detect his presence anymore. The boys celebrate, and Vegeta sighs in relief. They shouldn't waste any more time. They should head back to their friends and family. Everyone was surprised by the suggestion, especially the somber tone of voice. Raditz wonders what he should do, but Goku encourages him to come along. Without any delay, the Z-Fighters reunite at the destroyed tournament grounds. Even so, they could feel happiness and relief that the world was saved. But Vegeta didn't join in those celebrations. If this was about Grandpa Gohan, then they shouldn't worry. They still have Dragon Balls, right? They can revive everyone killed by Buu's rampage. But Vegeta didn't respond, as Bra tugged on her father's hand, asking what was wrong.
It's because his time is up. We got to go, Vegeta.
Everyone turned around to see fortune teller Baba, who suddenly appeared, as if from thin air. No one knew what she meant, but Vegeta sighed once again. With a heavy heart, Vegeta started to explain. When he was originally brought back to Earth, he had to accept certain conditions from Baba. One of them was not to use too much power, and he had used nearly all of it in the battles against Buu. Now he had to return. Everyone was shocked and upset. He barely got to spend any time there. Grandpa Gohan was already gone. They couldn't lose him too. Vegeta kneeled down as he wiped tears from his daughter's eyes. He wouldn't be gone forever. He'd come back once again and be strong enough to defeat anyone that comes their way. Bra wipes the snot from her face, and with a huff, she shouts that she'd only accept that if he gives her a pinky promise. There's nothing more important than that. Vegeta smiles and accepts, giving a pinky promise to his daughter. And so, with a melancholic goodbye, Bulma and Trunks begin to cheer up. Raditz felt awkward and out of place, but Vegeta reiterated to him that now it was time to change his life. No one else could choose fate for him. Shin thanks Vegeta and the rest for their assistance. They had saved the universe. King Kai had made a wise choice, taking him as his pupil. In the end, only one left to say his final goodbyes was Goku. Goku stretched out his hand and bids farewell to his brother. Yet, in a move that once again surprises everyone, Vegeta pulls in Goku for a hug. He was just full of surprises today. Goku didn't know how to react, but he whispers in his ear that he's glad that there are strong people such as him he can rely on to protect Earth. Goku grins happily, and he tells Vegeta to always count on him. If he really wanted to, maybe they could pinky promise too. Vegeta loses his cool and shouts at Kakarot to shut up. Everyone couldn't help but laugh. Now this was the Vegeta they knew. And with that, Vegeta heads over to Baba. He was ready. He gives them all a solemn smile as he disappears into the ether. The Supreme Kai thanks everyone for their help once again. For now, he will head to the other world to not only reunite with Kibito, but also make sure Babidi and Buu were sent to hell. The Z-Fighters wave goodbye as Shin disappears from sight too. With the day saved, what is left to do? After all the death and destruction, the World Tournament was surely cancelled. Bulma reminds everyone that they still need to gather the Dragon Balls in order to bring everyone back. Gohan decides to check up on Videl, who had gone back home with her father. He promises to return soon and help with the research. Even as Trunks teases him for running off to his girlfriend, the Z-Fighters scatter to their next adventure. And Goku can only look at the spot where Vegeta once stood. Krillin asks his best friend if he's missing him already, but Goku stays silent. Krillin is nervous at the sudden silence as Goku looks at his hand. He was sticky.
Huh?
His back. It was really sticky.
Oh, that's pretty gross.
It didn't feel right. It felt off.
Are you sure you're not overthinking things? He was probably pretty sweaty from all the fighting. Come on, your wife and kids are waiting for you. We got Dragon Balls to find, remember?
Yeah, maybe you're right. Hey Raditz, come with us. You've never lived until you've had a Dragon Ball hunt. Without the ability to teleport, it takes a while for the heroes to find the Dragon Balls. Raditz, who was dragged along by Goku, started to enjoy the experience as he saw more amazing sights that the Earth had to offer. Raditz also gets to spend more time with Bra and Goten, wondering if he could possibly ever be forgiven for his crimes and settle down like Vegeta did. This was his second chance and he didn't want to mess it up. After a few hours, the Dragon Balls were found and taken to Capsule Corp, where Shenron was summoned, leaving Raditz in awe. However, as the Z-Fighters were about to use Shenron to bring back everyone killed by Majin Buu, they hear a massive shout yelling at them to stop. They all turn around to see who was yelling at them, but no one was there. The cries echo in their heads once again. begging them to stop the wish. Were they receiving a distress call in their minds? No one knows who this voice is coming from. Goten politely asks the voice to please calm down as it takes what sounds like a deep breath. The voice introduces himself as King Kai, Vegeta's master and the guardian Kai of the North Galaxy. He is there to warn everyone that Majin Buu isn't dead. Everyone gasps as Piccolo snarls in disbelief. No, that was impossible. They couldn't sense his ki after Goku and Vegeta's combined attack. He had to be dead. Yet, Goku wasn't sure, but he felt after touching Vegeta's back. That sticky gunk. Was that Majin Buu? According to the Kai, somehow, someway, Majin Buu returned and reappeared in other worlds, causing untold chaos and destruction in his wake. He is currently fighting off all the champions in Otherworld, beating each and every one of them. Vegeta is the only one left standing against them. There was no other powerful fighters in heaven. Otherworld needs their help. Without any hesitation, Goku declares that he will fight. It was his negligence that let Majin Buu return. He needed to defeat him once and for all. Gohan, Trunks, and Piccolo, and even Raditz announced that they want to assist as well. In particular, Raditz didn't want to feel indebted to the prince. He wanted to start his new life with no debts. They wonder how they'll head to Otherworld. They didn't have to die, did they? In the middle of their thoughts, a panicking Shin teleports to them, and he asks everyone if they heard about Majin Buu. They nod, as Shin tells everyone that they can't waste any time, to all the fighters willing to lend their hand, thus teleporting to the other world. Throughout this whole ordeal, Shenron is left forgotten, waiting for someone to make the wish. Deep in the spiritual realm, the Z-Fighters arrive at the Grand Kai's planet, where they witness a gruesome sight. On what should be a tranquil training ground for the greatest warriors in the universe, what that remained was a war zone. Heaven was burning, laid upon the dirt were the beaten bodies of the champions of Otherworld, and standing over them was Majin Buu. However, he looked different than before. Buu wasn't fat and round anymore, he was chiseled, now filled to the brim with muscle and power. Beating down all of heaven must have been quite a workout. Standing next to Buu, covered in blood and panting profusely, was Vegeta. Trunks shouted at his father, bursting into Super Saiyan as he charged towards the monster. Vegeta saw his son approaching rapidly and yelled at him to stay back. Trunks landed a punch straight into Buu's face, but the monster didn't even flinch. Instead, it twisted its head around completely like an owl, delighted to see a new face.
Yay! You want to play with Buu? Buu hopes you don't break like the other guys.
Oh no, Buu headbutts Trunks, sending him flying into a nearby cloud as the rest of the Saiyans and Piccolo rush forward. Gohan, Raditz, and Goku burst into Super Saiyan and charge in together as Buu chuckles in delight. This was going to be fun. The battle of fate for the universe resumed. Vegeta was shocked to see his family and Raditz here out of all places. Majin Buu was incredibly motivated and just as strong as he ever was. However, it very quickly became apparent that this battle was far too dangerous for this plane of existence. Surrounding the Grand Kai's planet were the wounded warriors of Otherworld, as well as countless innocent spirits with no ways to defend themselves. If they died, the souls would be erased forever. Naturally, Majin Buu did not care about causing this destruction, as he fired volleys of ki blast, elongated punches, and candy beams through the Grand Kai's place. The Z-Fighters blocked the intense strikes and attacks, gaining devastating injuries in the process, except for Raditz. He didn't really care about anything besides fighting Buu. Shin, who knew he'd be unable to fight against this ancient adversary, teleported across the battlefield, rescuing anybody he could. Even if he was weak, he was still the Kaioshin. It was his duty to save as many people as possible. During the fight, Buu nearly kills the Grand Kai and a group of wounded Otherworld warriors with a string of ki blasts that Piccolo tanks with all his might. However, the maneuver leaves him wide open. Stretching out his hands, Majin Buu unleashes an intense flurry of punches that strike Piccolo with lightning-fast speed. Piccolo's body is broken from the onslaught as he's grabbed by the cackling genie. However, in a move of unbelievable bravery, the Grand Kai orders Majin Buu to stop, pulling out a boombox. The Grand Kai attempts to intimidate the monster into letting go of the valiant green fighter. The bluff doesn't work. However, what does work is the boombox. Majin Buu was so enchanted with the rock music playing from the boombox that he dropped Piccolo and started to dance to the beat of the music. Using this chance given to them by the Grand Kai, Gohan and the reluctant Raditz lunged with all their might to catch Piccolo, Grand Kai, and the injured fighters. Vegeta, Goku, and Trunks banded together to fire a triple Gallic gun straight into their foe, blasting off half their body and destroying the Grand Kai's mansion. However, Buu recovers rapidly from the pieces into 5 separate Buus.
That looks like fun! Buu wants to do it too!
All 5 Buus cup their hands together and fire back the same purple key ball.
No way,
That can't be.
That isn't what I think it is it?
That's Vegeta's technique. The Grand Kai planet erupts beneath their feet as the Z fighters dive into the clouds. The force of the explosion scatters all of them throughout the other world as multiple copies of Buu chase after them. Vegeta, who had crashed into the fields of flowers, recomposed himself as he looked at his surroundings. The nearby souls had ran away from the field, afraid. He was now alone, or was he? Looking up at the Buu that had followed him, Vegeta declared that he will not allow this dishonor to stand, bursting into Super Saiyan 3 once more. Without a mortal body, nor time limit, nothing could restrict him anymore. Vegeta was going to use his full power.
I figured it out earlier. The key to defeating you is crushing you so thoroughly that there's nothing left for you to come back from. I wonder, does a pink blob of goo like you feel fear? I hope you do, because you're about to witness death itself.
Vegeta roars, veins popping across his forehead as his long, wild hair dances in the wind. The field of flowers around him carried off from the force as the prince's golden aura suddenly turns into a crimson red.
Kaioken times 20!
In a stunning display of power that shakes the entirety of heaven itself, Buu can only watch, stunned in silence, as sweat starts to drip from his face. Covered in a bright red aura of ferocity, Vegeta grins maliciously.
What you see before you is the culmination of humanity and the Saiyan race. Every Saiyan warrior, every martial artist, the battles they fought, all the blood, sweat, and tears they've shed, the entire history of both races, their collective knowledge and experiences led to this moment. To me, to your demise. From the moment you were created, you were destined to die by my hands. Don't worry, I'll end you quickly.
For the first time, Majin Buu panics. Before he can even defend himself, Buu's entire body erupts in a massive shower of pink droplets. With unparalleled speed and power coursing through his veins, Vegeta fires a point-blank final flash that incinerates Buu into oblivion. Not even a single atom remained. However, this wasn't over yet, not by a long shot. There were at least 4 other Buus out there, dispersed through other worlds. Without Shin anywhere nearby, Vegeta would have to search for the remaining Buus on his own. He only hoped that this angelic body of his could handle the strain of both Super Saiyan 3 and Kaioken. With no time to waste, Vegeta bolted out of the field, faster than light. Throughout heaven, the various spiritual beings that lived there weren't able to comprehend what was happening. All they saw was fleeting streaks of red light, as if they had witnessed the trailblaze of a shooting star. In reality, it was Vegeta who was traveling through the entire length of Otherworld and back, in search of his prey. He found one Majin Buu standing over the defeated Raditz, attempting to swallow several floating spirits at the airport. The beast was atomized before it could even get a chance to react. There was another Buu at the check-in station who was about to turn Piccolo, Gohan, and King Yama into chocolate. He was annihilated before a single candy beam was fired. At King Kai's planet, Bubbles, King Kai, and Trunks were getting chased by Buu when the genie suddenly disappeared in a crimson flash.
Wait a minute, that energy, it feels like my dad!
Now there was only one Buu left. Using the last remnants of his strength, Vegeta circles back around Otherworld as he attempts to feel the monster's key. Eventually, he finds one, arriving at the Otherworld tournament arena again. Of course, the final Majin Buu would be here. The prince rockets to unleash this final blow against Buu. He was distracted, terrorizing various souls. But unfortunately, at the moment that mattered most, the Kaioken dissipated. Vegeta's body seized up in immense pain, dropping out of Super Saiyan 3, screaming out as he loses control over himself. As the prince crashes into the arena, Buu points and laughs at Vegeta. What a dummy. This couldn't be happening. He was so close to winning. Majin Buu approaches the writhing Saiyan, his hand outstretched with glowing ki and a manic smile forming across his face. Vegeta closes his eyes, preparing for the end. Yet, the end doesn't come. Instead, a loud blip is heard as a foot appears out of nowhere, kicking Buu across the stage in a surprise attack. Vegeta suddenly feels his muscles start to relax. He looks up to see Shin healing him. The Supreme Kai smiles, thanking Vegeta for fighting so hard by himself. It gave him the time to find some of his friends. They take it from here. The prince turns around to see Piccolo, Gohan, Trunks, Raditz, and a massive army of rejuvenated Otherworld warriors. They were healed and ready to have their payback. As the army collides with Majin Buu, Vegeta can only lay on the ground and watch as he recovers. Shin couldn't believe the amount of damage Vegeta had received. The recoil from the Kaioken and the strain from Super Saiyan 3 was extraordinary. If the prince wasn't so strong already, he would have died again. But Vegeta needed to get out there. Despite their best efforts, one by one, the other world warriors fell. Vegeta could only wonder what happened to Kakarot. Where the hell was he? He hadn't been killed, right? Oh, that couldn't be right. That was impossible. Distracted by the bickering, the pair don't even notice Buu hovering over them. Buu nearly kills Shin and Vegeta with a Gallic gun, but Raditz, unwilling to let Vegeta die, jumps in the way of the attack. The Z-Fighters gasp in horror as Raditz falls to the floor, dead. All that remained was Gohan, Trunks, and Piccolo, and the last remaining warrior of Otherworld, a green man with a turban with a familiar face. But there was one more, an old man with a gentle face filled with burning resolve.
I've had enough. Leave my family alone. Leave this realm at once.
I agree with the Earthling. This is the sacred tournament arena of Otherworld. This was to be a place where Vegeta and I would have a rematch. Heaven is my home, and these valiant warriors have been my allies for thousands of years. For their honor, for Vegeta's honor, I'll end you, Majin Buu.
Less talk, more punchy!
The battle continues, as Piccolo and Trunks combine their wind-based attacks to create an immensely potent hurricane that tears Buu apart, as Gohan and Piccolo fire a twin light grenade, and at the center of it all, Grandpa Gohan fired his signature Kamehameha. The combined techniques almost work, but they weren't quite able to completely atomize the Pink Fiend. As Buu regenerates, he rushes in to strike Gohan, but the attack is blocked by none other than Raditz. With a halo hovering over his head, Raditz declares that not even death could keep him from fighting. He would never rest until this battle was done. That's the spirit, Raditz. I knew you had it in ya.
What the? Uncle Kakarot? Dad, boy am I glad to see you, son. Took you long enough, fool.
Sorry for the wait, Vegeta. I had to do something important real quick, but don't worry. I'll take it from here. Hovering over them all was Goku, holding a massive sword, as standing by his side was none other than Kibito. A halo swaying over his head. Following the destruction of the Grand Kai's planet, Goku was found by the deceased who brought him over to the world of the Kais. They couldn't just stay there and watch, not with Majin Buu around. After getting his wounds healed, Goku was ready to return back to the fight. However, Kibito requested that he stays back a moment. He wasn't sure about this. He hated giving this to a mortal, but Kibito knew this could be their only chance. After a short explanation of the Sea Sword, Goku was pumped and eager to answer to the challenge. It took a while and required most of his power, but in the end, Goku was able to pull it out. He needed to train with the sword for as long as he could. He could already feel himself getting stronger, while also sensing the immense power Vegeta and Buu were releasing. Back in the present, Goku readies the sword as he lunges at Buu. He wouldn't allow anyone to hurt his family again. Goku and Buu are locked in an intense combat as Kibito attempts to heal Vegeta alongside Shin. The Sea Sword was incredibly sharp and heavy, easily slicing through Buu. However, Buu reformed once more every single time. Goku was panicking, pulling the sword and demanding Buu to let go, as the sword was still stuck inside. Buu blows raspberries in response, pulling back as the two fighters engage in a fierce tug-of-war back and forth, until snap. Oh no.
You broke the Sea Sword?
No, I didn't. He did.
Nuh-uh!
What do you mean, nuh-uh?
Ah, yes, finally. I'm out of that musty sword.
Huh? Everyone was shocked to see the Sea Sword breaking, but even more shocked to see an old Kai suddenly appear from thin air. Goku drop kicks Buu out of there. The strange old man gets angry, telling his youngsters to respect his elders, after being called an old man so many times. He was the Elder Kai, the wisest and oldest Supreme Kai of all. Shin and Kibito's jaw drops to the floor. As the heroes continue to fight against Buu, the other Kai is caught up to speed. He understood that Buu was a dangerous guy, but he couldn't understand why they hadn't tried fusion yet. Vegeta had heard of that term before during his time in Otherworld. He recalled encountering a pair of Metamorians who showed off that technique. They offered to teach it to him, but he was not interested in fusing with anyone, especially not with that ridiculous dance. The Elder Kai shakes his head. He didn't mean the fusion dance. He points to Shin's earring, talking about the Potara fusion. It came at a terrible cost, however. They could never be separated again. Vegeta jolts up as Shin pleads with him to sit back down. He still hasn't completed healing. Vegeta couldn't sit down anymore. He demands that the Kai hands over the earrings immediately. Shin doesn't know if fusing with him would be much help, but Vegeta shouts that he would never fuse with him. He's talking about someone else.
Kakarot, look at me. Take this earring, quick.
Huh? Okay, sure, Vegeta. Should I put this on?
Yes, put it on your right ear. After we put this on, we'll fuse. We'll become a single warrior, and we'll be strong enough to defeat that pink freak. But if we do it, we'll never be ourselves again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Wait, that's it? You're willing to accept that fate that quickly?
Well, it's not like I have much of a choice. Besides, there's no one else I'd rather fuse with than you. You're my brother. We're in this together no matter what.
You never cease to surprise me.
Kakarot.
Okay, let's do it, Vegeta! Piccolo, Grandpa Gohan, Piccolo, Gohan, Trunks, and Raditz struggled to hold back Majin Buu, a steam poured from Majin's head. He wasn't having fun anymore. He was ready to blow up this entire place. As he started to gather his ki, a massive pillar of light shone nearby. The Z Fighters and Buu look up in awe as a single man bursts forth from the radiant beam. The ultimate fusion born from the bonds between brothers had arrived at the scene. Majin Buu was stunned at the power he felt emanating from the fusion, nearly paralyzed. Vegeta taunted Buu, eager to see what this bubblegum was made of. The fear within Buu was replaced with seething anger. As Majin Buu lunged at Vegeta, it was no use. The fused fighter was dodging every single strike with ease, yawning without a care in the world. Majin Buu's rage grew even more as Vegeta continued to treat him like a joke. The Z Fighters couldn't believe that Vegeta was this grossly overpowered, but was he capable of killing Buu? In contrast, Grandpa Gohan could only look on in pride. His boys were finally working together in perfect harmony. Their stances, their moves, it was poetry in motion. All they could do now was place their hopes on this savior. Eventually, Vegeta blocks Buu's punches with a single finger, declaring that it was fun, but it's his turn. Grabbing onto his antenna, Vegeta knocked Buu around like a paddle ball. Every punch hurt Buu. It was unlike any pain he had felt before. The fusion slams Buu into the ground, cracking the tournament arena into rubbles, as Buu pops like a balloon. But it wasn't over yet. In an instant, the particles swirled together in vortex, and like a cotton candy machine, thin pink threads began to mix together, reforming Majin Buu. Furious beyond belief, Buu roared.
You make Buu very angry! Buu blew you all away!
Realizing what was about to happen, Vegeta merely smirks. Aw, that's cute. Throwing a temper tantrum. You may act innocent, but you're deadly. There's no place for you here. It's about time I spank you and put you to bed, once and for all. Vegeta bursts into Super Saiyan as he generates a sword made completely out of golden ki. As Majin Buu prepares to erupt, the entirety of heaven swirls and shakes. Reality was seemingly tearing apart, but despite it all, Vegeta's cocky smile never wavered. With a single swipe of his hand, Majin Buu was sliced into two. Piccolo shouts that that simple slice won't work, but Vegeta knew that.
I'll keep slicing and dicing, Buu. I'll slice you down to the last atom, until absolutely nothing remains. This is the power of the Saiyans. This is the power of Earth. And this is the power of Super Vegito!
Majin Buu couldn't even scream as the very last molecule was cut in half and Buu was defeated. Sliced into oblivion. It was over. Heaven was greatly harmed, reality slightly altered, but otherworld remained. With Buu defeated once and for all, Shin, Kibito, and the Elder Kai thanked the heroes for saving the universe. Many souls needed to be healed, and many more worlds needed to be restored. Gohan and Trunks fly over to Vegito, hugging him as they both call him father. Grandpa Gohan holds on to Vegito's hand, beaming with pride. Should he still call him grandson or grandsons? He wasn't sure. The fusion laughs nervously, as he starts to wonder how he's gonna break the news to Bulma and Chi-Chi, and then it broke off. Goku and Vegeta were once again separated. Looks like it wasn't permanent after all. Vegeta thanks everyone for the help. Vegeta walks over to shake Picon's hand, thanking him for his help. Their rematch may not have come, but fighting side by side with him was just as good. Picon says that they can just have a rematch soon, but Vegeta stays quiet.
You want to go back, don't you?
Vegeta turns to face Grandpa Gohan with a warm smile.
Go on, head back home. There's a lot of people waiting for you. Are you sure? You don't have to ask me for permission, Vegeta. You've never done that before. But if you ask me, you fought so hard to protect us all, you've earned it. You can be happy again. Will you come with me? No, my boy. I feel that it's about time I settle down here. Maybe find a cute lady or two to keep me company. But it's definitely not your time yet. Vegeta, ever since I met you and Kakarot, I knew you were going to do great things. There was always good in you. You just needed to see it. I'll see you soon, my boy. Take care of your brother. You two will always have each other. Yes. Thank you, Gohan. No, thank you for everything, grandfather. You gave me everything. As you have me too. Farewell. You'll always be my grandson.
Goku pats his brother on the back, saying that if he's gonna come with them, then they better hurry. They gotta go to planet Namek and use the Dragon Balls there to revive people and restore everything back to normal. And revive a certain someone. Right, Vegeta? Goku expected Vegeta's usual comebacks, but instead, he just smiled at him.
Let's go home, Kakarot. I have a promise to keep.
Goku was taken aback, but he smiled back at his brother. The Z Fighters laughed in celebration. Vegeta stands over the remains of the Otherworld arena as the prince let the feeling flow over him. This was a feeling of happiness, of something else. Content, delight. He knew he was going back home, to Earth. No matter how hard he tried, it seemed like he could never get too far away from Earth. Who could have thought that the prince of the Saiyan race could have felt this way about such a planet? Vegeta looked at the clouds, ready to return to the arms of his family and friends, and above all, ready to see the surprise on Bra's, Bulma's, and the Pilaf gang's face. He was ready. He was ready to live on Earth one more time.
I have granted your wish.
Vegeta, Goku, and the rest of the Z fighters appeared back in front of Capsule Corp. Vegeta, though he wouldn't admit it to anyone, felt a little anxious about the situation. He finally had a chance to stay home, to truly get to know his daughter and reunite with the family he worked so hard to form. Not only that, but bring new parts of his friends and family together. He had seen the way Raditz changed, and saw a chance to not only help him grow, but grow together. Maybe once, long ago, they lost their original race, their family, the Saiyans, but now they had a new home. This was the new generation of Saiyans they were raising, and if there was any Saiyan out there that survived, he wanted them to be involved. He'd invite Raditz to stay. They were the legacy of the Saiyans after all. Goku hurried inside, but Vegeta stopped him by putting a hand on his shoulder, telling him to wait a second. He needs to do something first. Vegeta made his way back to Capsule Corp lab. He thought he'd find Bulma there, but it was late. Maybe she was asleep. He looked around. This was a nostalgic sight. It'd been many years since he'd been here, but something caught his eye. A box. He opened it up and looked inside. There was no doubt about it. Those were the colors Grandpa Gohan gave him long ago. That was his turtle school uniform. It looked just like the way he remembered it. Immediately, he put the shirt on. It was so familiar. It truly felt like being home now. He heard the door slide open again.
Vegeta, are you really back?
The Saiyan Prince looked down at his gloved hand and smirked, forming a fist as he turned back around to look at Bulma and smiling at her.
I'm back, Bulma, and I'm here to stay.
Bulma knew with that smile that whatever challenges came ahead, Vegeta, Kakarot, Trunks, Bra, Chi-Chi, Gohan, Goten, and all of their friends would make it through all right. Because they weren't just martial artists, they were a family. Meanwhile, on the other side of the universe, a planet met its demise, as in the sleepy eyes of the god of destruction Beerus, a prophecy was foretold. A prophecy of a Super Saiyan god.
Is somebody going to make a wish or what?
Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this first season of What If Goku and Vegeta Went to Earth Together. I don't usually do these season videos. I've done it for like 1 or 2 series before, I think, but this one has been going on for a long time. I mean, it's 11 parts deep, and halfway through I switched my thumbnail styles, so it can be a little daunting to get into it, especially since it took a while to get them all done, but I really hope you enjoyed. Obviously, this covered from Dragon Ball to Z. Once I do make a season 2, which I'm very sorry, but I will take a little bit of a while to do because I'm planning on doing it as one whole video instead of doing it in parts. But once I do that, I will cover Dragon Ball Super. You let me know in the comments down below what you think of this series, how you think Dragon Ball Super will pan out, and if you do want me to continue it. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, so you never miss some of the best Dragon Ball what-ifs out there. Don't forget to check back next week as I'll be doing a video all about what happens to the Z fighters after the end of Z, going deep into a lot of cool lore that some fans don't know about. This series has been such a fun ride to make. Huge thank you to Professor Chimp, who took up a lot of the writing for this story, as well as the various voice actors I had, including my good friends Josh from Dragon Ball University, Aaron Gray, and my girlfriend Novaria_8. And of course, the great editors Chris Diaz, Ragmain, What If Universe, and myself. A huge thank you to the patrons of the channel. These videos wouldn't be coming out without you guys. Lost Saiyan 997, Orange Crimsicle, Sunbloom the Flower Gen, Chris Macareno, Yo Mama 420, Mao Lick, Dad D, Cyber Samurai, Beastie Man 420, Faisal Al-Sharef, Akko, Zanos, D-Man for Life, Marlon Gonzalez, Blaze 9526, Crazed PlayStation CK, Free Flow Highway, Shane K, True Lightning Striker, Ghost 1571, Kaiser Jirachi, Trench Rules, D-Man Plays 22, Jim G, Jerome Foster, Salil Paranjape, Keith Grimes, and the real Samuel Randall. And until we meet again. See ya!